This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
London 2012 with Mark Bougach.
And tonight it's the fast show. Usain Bolt steps out for the 200-metre semi-finals.
And his giant stride devours the ground. Usain Bolt wins again. 9.64 seconds. What a superb performance. Usain Bolt is the Olympic champion for the second time in a row.
The women's 200-metre final is too close to call.
Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce will take the gold for the second time in a row. Gold for the second games in a row to Jamaica. Sanya Richards-Ross from Ohurugu takes the silver on the line. Richards-Ross, this time she timed it right.
The men's 110 hurdles has been billed as one of the races of the Games.
And he wins. Dairon Robles, 10 out of 10 this season, lives up to his billing as the favourite for gold. Cuba take the sprint hurdles gold for the second time in 3 games.
Great Britain's women's hockey players are 1 game away from their first ever Olympic final.
Cullen with the drag flick, low down into the nets. GB take the lead against the Netherlands. It's Krista Cullen yet again from the set piece. Fabulous stuff for her 4th goal of the campaign.
Great Britain-Argentina underway at 8 o'clock. It's live on Olympic Extra. We'll keep you right in touch with events at the hockey. And at 10 o'clock, Tom Stalker fighting for a place in boxing's light welterweight final. The fight with us in full here on 5 Live. A very good evening. Here's a guide to what's happening here in the Olympic Stadium this evening. The men's 110 metres hurdle semi-finals at 7:15. The final a couple of hours later at 9:15. Bolt, Blake and co in the men's 200 metres semi-finals after 8 o'clock. Women's 200 metres final, that competitive race at 9 o'clock. And Britain's Shara Proctor in the women's long jump final after 8 o'clock. There's also men's javelin qualification. They're warming up away to our right. And half the Olympic Stadium bathed in sunshine on what's been a lovely day here in East London. Our athletics correspondent Mike Costello is in place. Kath Merry as well, Olympic bronze medalist, 3-time Olympic medalist in the javelin, Steve Backley, and Darren Campbell, gold and silver medalist from the Olympics as well. Mike, 110 hurdles first of all. Just a shame that Lu Zhang has suffered an injury for the second Olympics in a row.
Yes, it is, but still high-quality performance involved. Aries Merritt of the United States has clocked 12.93 seconds 3 times in a row. The American champion and the gold medal favourite here. But how much in the locker has Dairon Robles of Cuba got? The defending champion. He's run very sparingly this season and ran well within himself in the semi-finals as well. Might be coming good just when he needs it most. Lawrence Clark and Andy Turner, who won bronze at the World Championships last year, are involved for Britain. 3 semi-finals, the first 2 from each, will go through to the final also this evening.
Kath, what about Andy Turner, who got that bronze, of course, after there was a little bit of shenanigans in the final in Daegu last year, and so he was upgraded to bronze. What do you think of Andy Turner's chances of making it through to the final?
It's a tough one. He's drawn the second semi-final and he's in the lane next to Aries Merritt, the new world indoor champion, the world leader. And of course it's only the first 2+2 fastest to the final. He has a championship pedigree. You can't argue with that with Andy Turner. He won a world bronze last year. He's the Commonwealth Games champion. But he's not in the best of form at the moment. But the heat was encouraging. So hopefully he's going to, he can potentially get through to this final, but he's going to have to run the race of his season, the race of the 2012 season for him to actually make it. At his best, of course, he should be in it, but he just needs to get near that personal best time of 13.22 seconds, I feel, to maybe progress into this final.
3 semi-finals of the men's 200 as well. Johan Blake is in the first of them, Usain Bolt in the second of them, and Christian Malcolm of Great Britain is in the third of them. Darren Campbell, good evening, Darren. We're looking forward to this a great deal.
Definitely looking forward to this. I've had a look at all 3 heats, and I have to say the gods are shining down on Usain Bolt. He's in the second of these semi-finals, and nobody in the field in that semi-final has run sub-20. So Usain Bolt is going to be able to potentially jog round in a time of 20.10, maybe 19.9. Very comfortable, saving all his energy for the final tomorrow. Whereas the first semi-final has got Johan Blake, Wally Spearman, Christophe Lemaitre,
well. Yeah.
And you're talking about 3 athletes there who have run this season under 20 seconds. The dilemma is only 2 qualify automatically and 2 fastest losers, which means I think we're going to get a very, very competitive first semi-final.
And you mentioned in the introduction, Mark, the weather. There's more clear blue sky above us tonight than at any other evening session start, and the forecast is for the weather to get better and better this week, so the conditions even are falling right for Bolt as well.
And Darren, the women's 200 final, we've got the reigning 100-metre Olympic champion, the defending 200-metre Olympic champion, the reigning 400-metre Olympic champion. We have 3 times world champion in the 200 metres, Alison Felix as well, and the reigning world champion at 100 metres. What a field! It's USA against Jamaica.
Well, after apologising after the final of the women's 100 metres, I think this is the race of the night. This is the race that deserves to be hyped up. What we're talking about is 100 and 200 metre sprinters against 100, 200, 400 metre sprinter, and then also, just to throw in the mix, you've got the 400 metre Olympic champion who is a 200, 400 metre runner. So I think what we're going to see in this 200 metres is the flower 100 metre speed athletes potentially dominating around the bend, coming off the bend, potentially in the lead, or that's what they'll be looking to do. You've got Alison Felix, who ran an amazing bend in her semi-final, shocked me, who, when I've spoken to sprinters today, feel that she may run 21.5. And I'm like, okay, that will be extremely impressive. And then you've got Sanya Richards-Ross, who...
the 400 metre
champion, personal best over the 200 metres of 22.09, and is obviously confident, but then has that added endurance. But her problem will be sticking with those guys around the bend. If she gives them too big a lead, there's no way on this earth she's going to reel them in.
So we've got the 110 hurdles, semi-finals and finals for men. We've got that wonderful women's 200 metres final. Usain Bolt and Johan Blake in the men's 200 semis. And we've got Shara Proctor, Steve Backley, good evening, going in the long jump, having qualified very comfortably.
Yeah, good evening. And she did 6 metres 83 in that qualification. She might need a bit more to think about getting on the rostrum in this long jump final. The favourite has to be... Brittany Reese, of course, double world champion. Brittany Reese of the States. She's a world leader, 7 metres and 15 centimetres. And Britain Shara Proctor in the sort of sunbathed back straight, just outside that back straight on the far side of this Olympic Stadium. Great conditions for the sprint hurdles and the 200 has been mentioned. Also for that long jump, it's slightly warmer, it's relatively still. We could see some 7 metre plus jumps.
We'll be talking an awful lot more about the long jump. We can see the little minis going back towards those who've been throwing the javelins. There are about 3 or 4 of them sticking out the top.
I want one of them.
They look unbelievably cool.
Know, I can see me sitting in the garden and sending one for a beer.
Definitely.
And bringing it back.
There's something wrong. You got a garden that size.
Well, I didn't say it was big. It's just the sort of getting the little carts are just going.
What, 5 metre gap, is it?
It's just
trying to lie to us.
The way it goes back to the official, just takes the javelin out and hands it to the thrower, and they says, there you go, get on with it. Kath, the decathlon's going on. Catherine, what's happening there?
It is, yeah. We're up to, well, we had the 100 metres this morning, followed by the long jump and the shot put. So the next event for the decathletes is the high jump, and they'll finish this first day with the 400 metres. And the world record holder, Ashton Eaton from the USA, currently has a 105-point lead over his teammate Trey Hardy. This could potentially turn into a two-way battle between the Americans. And the sad news is, though, we've lost Daniel Ord from Great Britain and Northern Ireland. He started wonderfully with a personal best in the 100 metres this morning of 10.71 seconds. But the injury he picked up in the long jump after a couple of no jumps and then down on his best of about a 6.84 long jump means that, unfortunately, the 24-year-old from Britain has had to withdraw from the competition. But it continues for the big boys, and they're currently warming up, and the high jump's getting underway.
It's 7:15 on 5 Live. Another Olympic evening unfolds, and Great Britain's women's hockey players could clinch a medal tonight. They're in the semi-finals against Argentina with an 8 o'clock kickoff, which is live on Olympics Extra. As Tariq as ever at the Riverbank Arena. 20 years, Ali, since the women's team won an Olympic medal. So what are the chances of securing one this evening?
Well, they've got a shot, Mark. They really do have a good shot. I mean, they will be considered the underdogs. They're ranked 4th in the world as opposed to the Argentinians 2nd. The Argentinians reigning world champions, and a side who've littered with, global stars. But that said, Great Britain have got a reasonable record against them, particularly in recent times. They beat them here twice in the test event back in May. And I think if they create enough chances inside the circle to release Krista Cullen because the penalty corner routine has been working so well. They've got a great opportunity, and particularly if they get a little bit physical, because the Argentinians were very surprisingly beaten by the USA in the pool stages, and they pretty much went out there to rough them up, and it worked. So I think a combination of lots of activity in the circle, lots of physicality and aggression and intensity, and who knows what might be possible.
Karen Brown is part of the GB coaching setup and a bronze medalist from 1992, and she joins us now from the Riverbank. Karen, good evening to you.
Good evening.
How is everybody feeling? What is the atmosphere like? So close, potentially, to a medal.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, everyone's been really positive in the ever since we've made the semi-final, really. Yes, we lost to the Dutch in that last game, but the feeling around the group has been, you know, we're in the stage of the tournament that we wanted to be in. We're playing the opposition that we expected to be playing at this stage of the tournament, and we're ready for it, I think. I think the girls in our meetings that we had today, I left them about 15 minutes ago to walk over to do this interview, and they were pretty chipper, actually.
Karen, this is the match of their lives, let's be honest, isn't it? It's a nice sunny evening, it's a home Olympics. I'm just walking around the hockey arena earlier. There's a tremendous atmosphere. Lots of fans are trying to swap tickets because they weren't sure which semi-final Great Britain were going to be in. There's going to be an enormous sense of occasion and anticipation. As I say, the match of their lives is ahead.
Said that, it's absolutely, just yeah, very, 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 very much so. I mean, we've been tremendously well supported, and this is an absolutely fantastic atmosphere. And when the crowd get behind us, it does. You know, the players keep saying it makes an amazing difference.
And what has head coach Danny Carey done to get Great Britain to where they are now?
Well, we've been sort of working on a sort of 7-year programme almost. I've been involved since 2005 with Danny, and Craig Parnham, and the coaching team stayed the same. Our management team's virtually the same, and our whole sort of structure has been designed around London 2012. And the programme is designed about us winning a gold medal. So that's what the players' stated aim is, and that's what the coaching aim, and that's what we're trying to do.
And Karen, sorry, Mark, I think it's worth pointing out here that they've left no stone unturned in terms of their preparation, as you would expect, but it's gone beyond lots and lots of training on the field. There's been a huge amount of work in strength and conditioning and nutrition. They've had specialist vision training. You've been for sessions with the Marines, haven't you? Improvised comedy was taken on at one stage to kind of take the players out of their comfort zones a little bit. You really have tried everything to get them in the best possible shape, both physically and mentally, haven't you, Karen?
Yes, we had. We knew it was going to be a very, very different tournament, and we had to stretch them physically, mentally, everything. We've gone to the nth degree. We've learnt a lot of other sports, other successful sports. We've learnt a lot from business, from, we've gone to the heads of corporations, and they've been really helpful. The Marines was brilliant, but so was the improvised comedy that we did with Neil Malarkey, which was a really, really tough thing mentally to do. It sounds really easy, and you watch programmes on the telly and you think, God, they make that look good, it must be scripted. And when you're up on a stage doing it in front of your peers, in front of your groups, it actually, put them into very, very, very pressurised situations.
Yeah. Out of their comfort zone, for sure. Karen, just a final word about the Netherlands as potential finalists.
Well, they're the Olympic gold medalists, the number one side in the world, and I think everyone expected them to get there. I think they made a bit of hard work of getting there, but it's not a surprise that they're in the final. And we'll deal with the next game when we've dealt with this one, and that's all. We're only concentrating on Argentina at the moment.
Karen, thank you very much indeed for your time. Let's go outside to Simon Mundy, who's with a lot of fans waiting with bated breath for this game. Simon.
That's absolutely right, and all that talk about Argentina's got these three particular fans excited, because in here tonight Team GB are up against them, the women's hockey team. We're at the Riverbank Arena, and it's going to be a special night. Will, you're probably the biggest hockey enthusiast I've ever met in my life. Just tell me why you think tonight's going to be so special.
Well, it's a great chance for GB. It's a great chance for people to see hockey. What a great sport it is. I've played it for over 30 years. My kids have played it. It's a fantastic sport to play, and people should really enjoy the game tonight. And GB have got as good a chance as they've ever had at getting through to that gold and silver medal game, and hopefully win that gold medal.
And the last time Team GB won a gold medal was back in 1988, the halcyon days of Sean Curley, of course. Now, you've told me, Charlotte, that this is more of a could win than a should win, even with the crowd behind them.
Well, Argentina are ranked the number one side in the world, and they've got Aymar, who is an outstanding player, but she is retiring after this match.
Charlotte, just a quick one. I'm going to have to correct you. I think they're number 2 in the world. I thought you knew more than me. It's number 2 in the world, but they have got the world's best player, right?
The stats must have changed. But yeah, Ima's a very, very good player, so we're going to have to mark her out of the game, really.
You told me that she was the Maradona of Argentina hockey. Kate Walsh is back, Rob. Is she going to make a big difference? She obviously had that fractured cheek.
Yeah, well, she's the talisman of the side, really. I mean, in defence, she's the one she's been playing for so long. She's got so much experience that hopefully her being back in the side will help give the girls the confidence to go on and get the win.
And you've been sort of explaining to me about how hockey operates the whole year round, talking about the Champions Trophy, which is the equivalent of the Champions League in hockey, and getting me very interested, I have to say. And you're saying it's a much quicker game now than it was in 1988 when Sean Curley and co start.
Yeah, it's an incredibly quick game. Hockey keeps changing the rules all the time. People watching tonight will see the self-pass makes the game really quick. It's a fantastic sport to watch. I just wish it was on telly more often.
And do you think this will give it an opportunity to come out of the shadows a little bit, to prove that it is a great entertainment sport? What do you think, Charlotte?
Definitely, and I think just people at home need to stick on the TV, turn on the hockey and just watch what a good sport it is to watch. It's so fast, it's just amazing.
And of course tonight, I mean, we've been here just down the road, just around the corner where the studios are, and we can hear roars from this hockey arena regularly over the last week. Tonight, we expect them to be louder than at any time before. That's right, isn't it, Rob?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you get a big hockey crowd in, everyone who goes to watch a hockey match is either probably a player or a coach, so everyone knows about the game, how it works, so everyone's going to be going for GB as much as they can, really.
And with that kind of support, you'd have to say it may just be a should win rather than a could win. Back to you, Mark.
Well, it's live on Olympics Extra. We will see exactly what happens with Alistair Eakin and Sean Curley. Great Britain's women's semi-final, 8 o'clock kickoff against Argentina. Right, we're going to go to Horse Guards Parade now for the beach volleyball women's bronze medal match and gold medal match. Steve Parry's there for us. Last night I saw a tweet from my friend Claire which just said, Steve, Benny Hill, beach volleyball, rain, only in Great Britain.
Well, do you know what, Mark? It's funny you say that, because as you're talking about Horse Guards Parade here, there are 16 people walking out in bikinis and surf shorts to welcome on the Chinese team that are just coming out for the bronze medal match. Zhang Ji and Zhu Chen, they're going to be taking on the Brazilian pair who were hot favourites coming in, but they were beaten by the Americans. So we've got an all-American final for the gold match at 9 o'clock, but the bronze match at 7's between China and Brazil. But I tell you what, I'm wishing I've come down here before, Mark. It is fabulous spectacle. It is really, really high energy stuff.
We hurtled down there after the athletics the other night. We saw 4 points. Literally 4 points. But anyway, we can say we've been there and ticked it off. The final is receiving a lot of attention in the United States because it's an all-American affair.
Yeah, you know, which for me, it's a little bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to have seen Missy May Traynor and, of course, Kerry Walsh, who have won the last 2 Olympic Games. I would have liked to see them against the top-ranked Brazilian pair. But you know that the gold medal's going to go to America. But the other Americans, April Ross and Jennifer Kessie, they're not going to give it up easily. You know, they had a really hard-fought battle against the Brazilians the other night to beat them. So you know it is going to be a great event. But I tell you what, I was a bit worried in Beijing that we weren't going to be able to match the spectacle that they put on over there. But I think beach volleyball embodies everything that LOCOG 2012 have done well, because it is really, really good, and the backdrop is amazing.
It is a fantastic setting. Do get a chance to have a look at it on the television. It really is unique. Steve, it's on Olympics Extra, the Brazil-China match for the bronze. That is before, of course, the hockey, Argentina against Great Britain. Right, Great Britain could get a medal here in the Olympic Stadium. Shara Proctor in the women's long jump, and of course the men already have the champion in Greg Rutherford, who was with us last night. The women's final gets underway shortly after 8 o'clock, and Mike Costello, she was a top qualifier, so she comes into this in some sort of form.
Yeah, she's a very promising talent. She's broken the British record 5 times this season, most recently at the Olympic trials to qualify for the Games, 6 metres and 95 centimetres, breaking the near 30-year-old mark held by Bev Kinch. And she comes here having competed in the past for Anguilla in the Caribbean Sea, but Anguilla doesn't have a national Olympic committee, so she couldn't represent them here at the Olympic Games. She has had a British passport since birth, and she was cleared to compete in a British vest in late 2010 and was very impressive in qualifying. She led all 12 of them into the final this evening.
Just to tell you that Robbie Grabars is about to get his bronze medal from the high jump last night, one of 3 competitors who are going to get a bronze medal, so it's going to be quite tight on the right-hand side of that podium. And Darren Campbell, it could be quite tight on the flagpole as well.
That's what me and Steve were just laughing at. We were like, oh, what are they going to do? Are they going to line them up and just one under another? Or?
I can see the Union flag.
Oh, yeah,
they are. They're all going up. They're all going up. Quite right, too. They're all going to have their moment in the sun. The Canadian flag, the Union flag and the flag of Qatar all going up as well. Yukov of Russia won the gold medal. Steve, Shara Proctor, what's she like as a person? I think, and you've just outlined it once more, her background people are more and more familiar with, but what sort of personality are we talking about?
Well, I think one thing that she's proving is that she can deliver under pressure. I think that's the most exciting thing. She jumped 6.95 as we hear Robbie Grabars introduced to the crowd. Huge roar to appreciate that bronze medal in the men's high jump. Good to see. But yeah, back to Shara Proctor. You know, she can deliver under pressure. 6.95 in the trial was a British record when it counted, and I think that's what matters most in the qualifying rounds here. Again, she stepped up, 6.83 meters, first jump, bang. You know, she's no nonsense. She can definitely cope, and a domestic crowd, I'm just getting the feeling, as it possibly did for Greg Rutherford, can buoy her all the way to certainly she's going to have to think about extending that British record to think about getting on the rostrum.
Well, she's going to be running past the Union flag, which I can see is draped over the front of the well, they're not advertising hoardings, of course, it's the Olympics, but they would be advertising hoardings in normal situation. Proctor joined us for a live show in front of an audience ahead of the Birmingham trials, and she revealed one of the secrets of her success.
Yes, I do get nervous before my first jump. I usually just try to tell myself a tiny little joke and laugh. I laugh to myself. And that helps me calm my nerves, and after that I'm fine.
Do you know what joke you're going to tell yourself for the weekend?
I just look around and find funny stuff to laugh at.
So when you see her laugh at the weekend, just make sure she's looking at you.
Darren, you did the same sort of thing. Told yourself a little joke.
I did sometimes. Every situation is a different situation, and you deal with everything accordingly. So I remember Europeans, I was so like twitchy, anxious, all nervous systems working. I was listening to love songs, and I remember. Are you laughing?
What were you listening to?
Mariah Carey. You remember, don't you?
And we gave him some real grief about it.
Yeah,
imagine,
but I had to. And I remember coming back after Dwayne Chambers in the semi-finals, ran faster than my personal best, and I ran in the second semi-final, and I walked back, and Linford came up to me and started teasing me, going, "Oh, Dwayne just ran faster than you." And I said, you need to shut up, because I said, if you're not careful, I'll go and break your record. So that's what I did.
So, and you owe 10% of it to Mariah Carey.
Well, I needed to relax.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I can get a bit, irate at times. And other times, maybe I'll come into a competition and I'm a little bit flat. Sydney 2000 Olympics 200-metre final. Tired, fatigued. I just listened to hardcore rap music just to get me really up for it, and so you know, you need to understand yourself. You need to know what you need that makes you tick. Not every day are you going to feel perfect, but you need to try and find the right things that make you feel perfect.
I think everybody would understands that. Michael Johnson said exactly the same thing when we had him on the programme a couple of weeks ago, the sort of music he listened to, particularly in Atlanta. Steve, just one on the javelin, the men's javelin. We've got qualification this evening. Mervyn Luckwell going for Great Britain.
Yeah, automatic qualification is 82 metres, and Mervyn Luckwell's thrown that far this year, so there's a good chance he can get forward and through to that final on Saturday. Main contenders, Andreas Thorkildsen has won the last 2 Olympics, and he is set to try and challenge the mighty accumulation of Jan Zelezny's, of course, trio of golds, I should say. But Vyacheslav Vasily.
Was that wishful thinking?
Yeah, that's right. No, that was my medals. Vasily is the Czech athlete that Jan Zelezny now coaches, and it's quite ironic, really, that the guy that could stop Andreas Thorkildsen taking another gold medal is coached by the great Jan Zelezny. So yeah, it's a lovely situation down there.
So Steve will keep an eye on that. It's Radio 5 Live with Mark Pugac and the team at the Olympic Stadium at exactly 7 o'clock.
This is the Olympic Station.
An Olympic dream is realised.
London 2012
on 5 Live.
And a first Olympic final beckons for the Great Britain women's hockey team.
Cullen with the drag flick, low down into the nets. GB take the lead against the Netherlands. It's Krista Cullen, yet again from the set piece. Fabulous stuff for her fourth goal of the campaign.
The semi-final against Argentina's live on Olympics Extra at 8 o'clock. Plenty of updates here on 5 Live. Coming up, Colin Jackson gives us the expert view on the men's 110 hurdles.
Everybody loves jumping around, right? You put anything in front of people, they will jump it, right? So it's something that's really natural for you to do. But it has to be, because these barriers are pretty high. When you hit them, they hurt.
The semi-finals at 7:15, the final at 9:15. Just after 8, the main man's back on the track, Usain Bolt in the 200 semis. And at 9, a stellar final of the women's 200 metres. No medals today so far for Team GB, but Nicola Adams will fight for gold in the women's flyweight boxing after victory in her semi-final.
Remember, you can catch every Olympic moment right here on 5 Live and also over on our new digital radio station, 5 Live Olympics Extra. And if you miss it, catch up later on the BBC Sport website. This is the Olympic Station.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
I'm Faye Rusko with the BBC 5 Live News. The Chancellor George Osborne says the government will put 110% effort into getting the economy back on track after the Bank of England downgraded its growth forecast to around 0%. Labour say it's proof the coalition's policies are failing. The partner of Tia Sharp's grandmother is being interviewed by police as part of their hunt for the 12-year-old schoolgirl. They say he's not under arrest and is being treated as a witness. He's one of the last people to have seen her before her disappearance on Friday. A South African has pleaded guilty to murdering the honeymooner Annie Dewani and has been sentenced to 25 years in jail. He's one of 2 men accused of taking payment from the newlywed's husband in exchange for killing her. Shrian Dewani from Bristol is awaiting an extradition hearing and denies any involvement in her murder. Heavy fighting's been reported in Syria's second city, Aleppo. The government says its forces have overrun a rebel-held district, but the opposition has denied that it's lost control of the area. And Transport for London says it's given out almost 2,500 fines to drivers for going into the Olympic Games traffic lanes. But it says 98% of drivers stayed out of the lanes and no one was fined in the first 6 days of operation.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
London 2012 with Mark Pugac.
So the 110 hurdles semi-finals coming up in just over 10 minutes' time. It's an exciting event, but it's also technically very difficult to master. Here's a man who did just that, former world record holder Colin Jackson.
The most important thing is to have a minimum clearance. That's what we always say. So you want to go over these hurdles with the least space over the barriers you can possibly imagine, and you need to get on the ground as fast as you possibly can, because that's the only way you generate speed, is when you're on the floor running. So if you just think of those things, very little flight, hit the floor as quickly as you can.
And obviously when we get to this level, everybody's taking the same amount of strides between the hurdles, which tends to be, what does the pattern tend to be?
You'll either see a 7 or 8 stride approach to the first hurdle, then you'll always do 3 strides in between, and then it's about 4 strides into the line.
What's the decision when you go, I don't want to just run 100 metres or 200 metres, I actually want a hurdle?
You have to have a natural kind of flair over the barriers for it to work straight away. And once you kind of get that flair going, it's really a lovely event to run, because you're doing something you love, which is running fast, and everybody loves jumping around, right? Yeah. You put anything in front of people, they will jump it, right? So it's something that's really natural for you to do, but it has to be, seriously, it has to be something you do naturally, because these barriers are pretty high.
How high are they?
They're 3.5 foot in old money and 1 metre and 6 centimetres in new.
There's a beautiful sort of flow, isn't there, a fluidity to what happens when you get it right.
The most important thing is the hurdling should look nearly like you're sprinting. There should be very, very little deviation of your sprinting stride pattern. That is the ultimate goal. That is perfection. And someone like Sally Pearson is not too far off that. If you literally put your hands on the TV screen just above her waist, and you can see that her arms and her shoulders, they look like they're just pumping like she's sprinting. So she's nearly flawless, technically.
And by that stage, is it like a reflex? Once you're over barrier 3 and 4, and maybe you're in front and you're flown, you just let it go because you've done it 100 times before?
That is a really good question. And unless you run the event, you wouldn't necessarily know the answer to that. No, it changes the whole way around. So you can imagine when you come up the blocks, the hurdle is where you expect it to be. But as you go through the race, the distance between the hurdles change, because as you accelerate, you're getting closer to the barrier, or as you decelerate, you're getting further away from the barrier. So you're always making adjustments as you go along in the race. And to the naked eye, you don't see it. But to the athlete running the event, it's very clear when you start to slow down and the hurdle gets a little bit further away, and you have to stretch. And of course, that means you have a longer flight, which means you're slower. So you always want to be close to the barriers all the time.
What sort of speed are you going at top speed?
At top speed, I think you're reaching around about 21 mile an hour, most probably, at top speed, which is quick. And when you think you're trying to fly over these barriers as well, when you hit them, they hurt.
Chris Akabusi is with us this evening and is listening to me. Chris, good evening. Oh, we got a technical malfunction there. I hit the first hurdle there, and that hurt.
Let's play. You know what? They were trying to see if Akabusi can really shout all the way down.
I was going to say, Akabusi doesn't really need a mic, Mark.
Hear him in Australia. I was really interested listening to that, because it just looks so hard to get it right to the amateur eye.
Yeah, I mean, the hurdles is the most technical sprinting event, because not only have you got to run, but you've got 10 barriers to negotiate at speed. And as Colin said, contact with the ground, of course, is desirable, because that's where you generate the speed. So the least time spent in the air, the more speed you actually get crossing the barriers.
Did you, as a 400, do you practice 110 sometimes?
Well, I use them for my drills, but I never actually race or attack, because it's a completely different skill set, a completely different approach. You know, we are a little bit more silkier than the 110, because we've got 35 metres in between our barriers, as opposed to about 8 metres between the barriers.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see why when you get it wrong, you have it's like watching the Grand National when you get it wrong, isn't it? Like we saw with Liu Zhang, I know he was injured, but you get these terrible falls.
Well, absolutely. Well, you've got no time to recorrect it. If you smash one of the barriers at 110, before you know it, the next barrier is on top of you. Whereas at least with the 400, you've got a little bit of time to reassess, recalculate, look at the next hurdle, and the most important thing is approach and attack that next hurdle. But you haven't got that chance at 110.
There's a real grace about the sprint hurdles, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really great to watch, and they are the sort of gazelles of the track and field arena. They're tall, they're rangy, they're powerful and dynamic, but rhythm is the key. And as Colin was saying, as you get further along the event, it's easier to get out of rhythm and out of kilter, and often you see people of 6, 7 or 8, they're all over the place and knocking the noodles like there's no tomorrow.
So if they're the gazelles, what are you lot?
We are the wildebeests.
Yeah, I like that. I think so.
We're the
not quite as quick, but a little bit more imposing.
Absolutely, but much more
and always
powerful
migrating.
And aggressive. Yeah, exactly.
Kath Merry's with us as well.
Sorry, the wildebeest jump.
They do. Yes,
when needed.
They do. They jump river. You've seen the great famous wildebeest migration, which I think is between Tanzania and Kenya, isn't it? They have to jump the river to make sure they don't get eaten by the crocodiles.
Okay. He was thinking about the rhinoceros. No, they don't. The wildebeest, baby.
No, I'm just checking.
We should do that tonight. We should have the Animal Olympics.
Yes, yeah.
So, Darren, what are you? We're wildebeest and they're gazelles. What are you?
Well, it's got to be a cheetah.
Oh, they've got to be a cheetah.
We are the cheetahs.
You are the cheetahs.
What's Kath?
Are the cheetahs. Kath, what are you? The 400
quarter-milers, what are they?
What are you, the quarter-milers, the 400 flat?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
because we're kind of like, bottom part cheetah, top part
Yes.
Wildebeest,
You are
we can be a bit of both.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We can mix it with both, baby.
Mix it up. We can
There's probably an animal in Greek mythology that would best suit what you are.
I'm feeling a bit of a tortoise at the moment.
Well, we all are after 2 weeks on the road, aren't we? Oh, the boss has just said back to the hurdles.
Too much around.
Yeah, exactly. Too much. Right, we've got Robbie Grabas is going to come and talk to us as well after his bronze medal, which is
G-Man.
Fantastic. That's great. The jumpers. Right, Chris, when you look at the hurdles,
Merritt, as I know, the one that Colin fancies, Colin Jackson. Where are you looking? What is your eye drawn towards?
I'll tell you what, my eye is drawn towards Andy Turner. Not to win it, but to get a surprise medal. You know, Andy's a peak performer. He had a series of injuries, but when he comes to the party, he comes to dance. And so I'm looking for Andy Turner to pick himself up a surprise medal and to get us towards our medal tally of 8, which is what the director of coaching predicted.
Yeah, there is. Well, we saw him get the medal. It was. He wouldn't say it was unsatisfactory circumstances, but I think he'd rather won it on the track. Was it Robles who was disqualified last year? Who had a clash with Li Zhang and their arms entangled.
Yeah.
And actually the general feeling was it was a bit harsh on Robles, wasn't it? But Andy Turner was the beneficiary of getting elevated from 4th to 3rd.
Yeah, and look, so he's had a taste of what it's like to stand on the podium. He's obviously European and Commonwealth champion. I think this year in particular he's struggled, various injuries. He had a terrible fall at the trials right at the end, and he thought somebody spiked his finger, and then he said to me afterwards, he looked at the bottom of his spike and he saw blood, so he thinks he spiked his own finger, so he had to have an operation. The tip of his finger, he had to have plastic surgery on his finger not long after, which of course, when he was getting down onto his start position, you know, they lean forward so much, and the start is vital because it's not like a normal sprint 100-metre start where they can really gradually start to rise. They need to be up and ready for a 3'6" barrier.
We saw that with Sally Pearson.
Yeah,
the fact that she had such a good start, the race is in her grasp by the first barrier if she hurdles them properly.
The momentum that Chris was talking about is all gained at the beginning when you're exploding out of the blocks. I think the Americans have come here in absolute cracking form. I think Richardson, the reigning world champion, and Aries Merritt, world number 1, is looking very, very impressive. We're about to see Richardson in the first of these semi-finals. But Dayron Robles, he's the reigning Olympic champion and has come here with huge desire to take that title back.
Let's go to Sonia McLaughlin, who's trackside, and give us an idea of a much warmer night than last night's drizzle, Sonia.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been talking about wildlife up there, and actually this Olympic Stadium has been invaded by flying ants. I've not seen those before in this London Olympic Stadium, so let's hope that an athlete perhaps doesn't get one in the eye later on, because it's a wonderfully warm evening. I think that's what's brought the wildlife out. Very little wind in here, so when we start to see the rounds of the 200 metres later, and again these high hurdlers about to go, perhaps for the very first time we might actually see some really quick times out here. There's very little breeze, if any at all, and we're also going to see Mr. Bolt, of course. That could play into his hands, and I continue to hear speculation down here. I don't know if it's accurate, that he might just run a leg of the 4x4 relay. Wouldn't people pay good money to see Usain Bolt get a baton in his hand and do a full lap round this stadium?
Well, that just brings us back to the conversation we had a couple of nights ago as to whether when it gets to Rio that will be his distance. Chris, the general feeling was it was too much like hard work for him.
Yeah, that was you guys. I am telling you, he will be running 400 in Rio. I've got no doubt about it.
And I told you the other day this is part 2 of a 4-part. So what did you think the 4th part was? Not long jump.
I definitely want to see him over 300 metres against Karani James. That would be mouthwatering.
That would be great. That was the cheer for Lawrence Clark in the first of these 3 semi-finals, Mike, in the men's 110 hurdles.
And Lawrence Clark, drawn in lane number 4, in all likelihood will have to break his lifetime best of 13.33 seconds to claim a place in the final. It's a high-quality first semi-final. Only the first 2 are certain to gain places in the final at 9:15 this evening. Wayne Davis of Trinidad and Tobago is drawn in lane 2. Garfield Darion of France is in 3. Then Lawrence Clark in lane number 4 for Britain. Jason Richardson, the United States, in lane 5. The world champion from last year after the disqualification of Dayron Robles of Cuba that we've just been talking about. And he was second, Richardson, in the recent American trials behind the flying Aries Merritt, who's been quicker than anybody in the world so far this year. Orlando Ortega of Cuba is in lane number 6, beat Dayron Robles in the big meeting in Havana last month to advertise his form and his chances heading into the games, and he's the second fastest in the lineup on lifetime bests of this 8-man first semi-final. Konstantinos Douvalidis of Greece is in 7, Adrien Degelt of Belgium in 8, and on the outside for the Netherlands is Gregory Sadok. So Lawrence Clark, who took bronze in the Commonwealth Games 2 years ago and hasn't stopped improving since, needs another upgrade here to get through to the final at 9:15 this evening. Andy Turner, Aries Merritt and Dairon Robles still to come. But this is the first semi-final in the men's 110 metres hurdles, and it features the world champion Jason Richardson, drawn in lane 5. And they get away first time. Ortega and Richardson rise to meet the first barrier virtually in unison, but Richardson quickens to better in the centre of the race, and Richardson now being followed through by Lawrence Clark and by Orlando Ortega. Richardson is clear from Ortega, and Clark in third place. 13.13 seconds is the winning time for Jason Richardson of the United States, and he walks off almost immediately. Absolutely no fuss, the minimum of effort. Richardson wins from Ortega in second place, the favourites 1 and 2, and Lawrence Clark might well have run a lifetime best, and very soon there'll be a huge ovation as his name appears on the scoreboards at either end of this stadium. Richardson confirmed as the winner, 13.13 seconds. Ortega in second place, 13.26 seconds. And there's the roar for Lawrence Clark, 13.31 seconds. A lifetime best on the biggest occasion of his career.
Well, you can't ask for anything more from Lawrence Clark. He's come here, he's made a semi-final, he's now got a personal best. He now has an agonising wait to see the next two heats, because currently he's in that first fastest to the final position. It's going to be tight, Mike, because I think this final is going to be, there's a good chance all three medalists could go under 13 seconds. There's many, many men that have that in their capability. Lawrence Clark, what a cracking run. An explosive start. He clattered the fourth and the fifth barrier, and that really did he lost a bit of momentum there, but to come back the way that he did and not lose any composure, very, very impressive.
And that one run into a slight headwind, which means that over on the far side of the track in the long jump run up, they run the opposite way down the stadium, and that means that Shara Proctor and the rest of the long jumpers might well have a following wind, and we heard from Greg Rutherford over the last couple of nights about how difficult that was to contend with.
Well, you can't ask Chris for more than you'd aim for a season's best, at least a personal best in the Olympics, to give yourself a chance of reaching the final. You can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely right. You know, the Olympic Games is about climbing your own mountains, raising your own barriers. He's raised his bar, he's delivered in the arena, 13.31. You know what, we hope that's good enough to get to the final, but if it's not, he's registered and he's lived the creed that the essence lies not in the victory but the struggle. It's not about the winning, it's about raising your own bar. So he's done that, he's delivered that. Well done, Lawrence Clark. Let's hope you get to the final and have another go, another crack at your personal best.
Talking about raising the bar, I love your seg, because Robbie Grabars is next door to you, who won the bronze medal in the high jump last night, of course. And Robbie, many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You are rightly so. We love the way that you were talking. You're coming here for gold. No, I'm only thinking about gold. It's a bronze. How do you reflect upon the last 24 hours?
I got myself an Olympic medal. I've not stopped smiling since. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, you're punching the air, Chris. Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely right. You know what? I've said it a couple of times already. You know, to come into the arena, to get to Mount Olympus, to scale those heights, to get out there and come away with some hardware. That is tough, baby. There's very few people who manage to chink away at that rock and put a bit in their pocket and say, you know what, baby, check what I've got up there where the air is rare and clean. I've come back with some hardware. Robbie G, the G-man, has brought back some hardware from the top of the mountain.
Look, you've got a wonderful smile on your face. Which
that smile's going to stay for a while, yeah.
And to do it clearly at home and in this atmosphere as well. There was a tremendous noise every time your name was announced and your face was on the big screen.
Oh, it's just, I don't know. I'm absolutely lost for words. It's really hitting home now. I've got my medal, and I know I'm never going to experience a crowd like that in my whole entire career, and it's just absolutely amazing. And I think I dealt with it well, and you know, I came here dreaming of the gold medal, and I jumped well, and came away with a medal, which I'm over the moon with.
There was no part of you that felt, oh, it's such a big crowd here, I hope they're not expecting too much, I hope it's not putting too much pressure on me?
I think the most pressure I put on was from myself, to be honest, and I think I used the crowd to my advantage, and you know, I can focus in, and even though there is 80,000 people screaming for me, I did my job.
Yeah. Let's quickly go down to Sonia, who's got Lawrence Clark with her.
Yeah, he's just said to me, Mark, God, let's hope it's enough. You're going to have an anxious wait now, aren't you, to see if you're going to get into that final?
Well, it's anxious to an extent, because, you know, coming here, the semi-final was always my target, and, you know, I've got to be pleased with the fact that I came here and produced a personal best in what was the most terrifying circumstance of my entire life.
Was that simply because Jason Richardson was in there, the current world champion?
No, if anything, that really helped me and made me more relaxed, because I tend to stick to people in terms of when someone's faster in front of me, I tend to try and run them down. And this is probably the reason why I ran a personal best. And,
I can't ask much more. I had the best lane drives between a European silver medalist and a world champion.
So what was it that had just brought those butterflies out?
The fact there's 80,000 people cheering for you, and on that start line everyone's like, go on Clarkie, and the support in the stadium, support nationally, support globally is absolutely unbelievable.
How did you stay quite as composed as you did, particularly when someone like Richardson's gone out as hard as he has, and you just think, do your own thing?
Well, I have a habit in training sessions to sort of deliberately start behind my training partners, sit in the blocks a little, so I have to run people down, and that sort of training's clearly paid off today.
It certainly has, and we've got some Andy Turner about to go in the next one, so fingers crossed for you, and well done today.
And fingers crossed for Andy as well. I hope he makes the final.
Indeed, thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Robbie Grabars is with us. More from him and his bronze in the high jump after Andy Turner's semi-final, the second of three of them.
And Andy Turner drawn in lane number 6 here against the world leader this year, the American champion, Aries Merritt. It's very busy down that far end of the stadium, way down to the left as we look. They're starting behind the 100-metre start line. Of course, this is 110 metres hurdles, and then the athletes almost lost against the backdrop of the spectators almost immediately behind them. If they turn around, they could reach out and shake hands with that front row of spectators. To their left, as they look on, is the high jump competition within the men's decathlon. It's the 4th of 5 events on this first day, and the competition is being led by the world record holder Ashton Eaton of the United States. Britain's Daniel Ord, who finished 21st in Beijing 4 years ago, has pulled out after 2 events because of a knee problem. And so then to the second semi-final in the men's 110 metres hurdles. And can Andy Turner emulate Lawrence Clark by at least recording a lifetime best? Phillips in 1 for Jamaica, Villar for Colombia in 2, Bascu of France in 3, Brathwaite for Barbados in 4. In Berlin in 2009 became his country's first ever world champion. Indeed, any world champion medal had never been won. Andy Turner gets the latest of these huge ovations here in the Olympic Stadium as he's introduced in lane number 6. Between him and Brathwaite in lane number 5 is Nuruddin of Nigeria, and then in lane number 7 is Aries Merritt of the United States, the fastest hurdler in the world this year with his time of 12.93 seconds. He recorded it 3 times in a row, including at Crystal Palace. He was world junior champion as long ago as 2004. Just goes to show how long it takes sometimes to develop into a high quality senior performer. The American champion from the trials 6 or 7 weeks ago, and that kind of form normally is enough to be a real threat on this stage, but it's his first time at the Olympic Games. How will he react to the label of favourite? Konstantin Shabanov of Russia is in 8, and Wen Jungxi of China is on the outside in lane number 9. They're called forward to their blocks for the first time, and there's virtual silence now, just a hubbub ringing around the stadium, but that will fade in the next few moments as the athletes settle into their blocks. Phillips, Villar, Bascu, Brathwaite, Nuruddin, Turner, Merritt the favourite, Shabanov and Shi. The first of the semi-finals won in 13.13 seconds. Merritt, on his best form, will go even quicker, and the first 2 will go forward to the final tonight at 9:15. And the gun sets them on their way. It's a pretty level break into the first barrier, and so Aries Merritt quickens between the second and third and starts to draw away now from Brathwaite, the former world champion, on his inside. Andy Turner challenging for 3rd place, but Merritt clears the final barrier and sprints clear to win in 12.94 seconds. Only he has run quicker so far this season, and so the Americans looking to have a very strong hand here in an event they've dominated down the years, having won 19 times. It could be number 20 tonight, looking at that performance from Aries Merritt.
Well, we're yet to see the reigning champion Dayron Robles, but I think we might have just witnessed the man in waiting, ready to take the title. Aries Merritt made 12.94, his 4th time sub-13 this year. Looks so easy, and it wasn't a great start for him. He clattered the first 2 flights of hurdles, but he really did pick it up and look great. I think Andy Turner confirmed now in 4th place, 13.42.
And that means that Lawrence Clark is still in contention for a fastest loser spot with 1 semi-final to come.
We'll keep a very close eye on that. Robbie Grabals is with us with his bronze medal from the high jump. You've got a taste for it now, haven't you, which is wonderful. Sadly, you won't be able to do it at home again because we've had our turn, but you've got a taste for it now at the top level.
That's it. This is just the start for me. It's really my first year on the true international senior stage, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I can't wait for more of it.
How do you go about adding centimetres to what you can jump?
I mean, we've got a really good programme, and it's just about tweaking here and there. It's not changing anything dramatically, but you perform well, and if you think that's good enough to carry on performing well, then it's not going to happen. You've got to change a few things, and it's nothing dramatic in these changing. It's just perfecting a few things and doing a few things even better.
And we heard from you before the Olympics started that your coach had a good chat with you, what was it, at the turn of the year, and said, look, you've got a lot of natural talent. Use it. Don't waste it, use it.
Yeah, it was a matter of, you've got an opportunity here, grab it. It's yours to take. And it was really a simple decision, to be honest, just to say, yeah.
Did you need to hear that though? Were you doubting yourself? Was that what the issue was?
My coach had been biding his time in waiting for me to be ready to accept the conversation that we had and to use it in a really positive light. And I was ready, and I responded accordingly, and I've come away with European gold medal and an Olympic bronze.
I mean, Chris, that's what happens, I suppose. The penny drops at different times for different people because we're all different characters.
There's a great saying from the Eastern world which says, when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. And there comes a time, when, as Robbie said, that conversation has to be had. But, it may be had on a series of occasions, but the pupil wasn't ready to hear it. But when the penny drops and the pupil says, you know what, I'm up to that challenge, this is the sort of experience you get. You get a guy then who comes in, puts his mind, body and spirit, mens sana and corpus sano, fit in mind, body and spirit, steps in and then raises to the challenge that the coach puts before him, and you can see what you can do. It's not an overnight success. This has taken this guy quite a few years.
Yeah. Robbie, if you couldn't win, I think we were quite pleased that Ivan Ukov won, because now he'll be famous for something else other than his YouTube appearance.
Yeah, I mean, his performance out there was actually fairly spectacular. It would have taken something special to beat that guy. Yeah. His vest went missing, and it was very entertaining as a spectator.
Yeah.
And he performed really incredibly after that distraction in an Olympic final, and yeah, it was really impressive.
Robbie, thank you very much indeed. Great for you to spend the time with us. We wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Lovely
Bye.
to see another medal up here in the commentary box with us. Andy Turner, world bronze medalist, but going to be missing Alison from the final.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, Andy Turner, if he was truly honest, he only sneaked into the British team. In fact, he got beaten into third place at the trials. He definitely isn't in the sort of Andy Turner shape that got him the Commonwealth title, the European title, and a world bronze medalist last year. Of course he's going to be disappointed. Every athlete gets to this level, you want to at least be there in the final. But I think he was pleased to finally get selected. It was in the second wave of selections. He's had a lot of injury trouble. And I think he will look at that and just think, I got to a semi-final, I did all right.
Yeah. The challenge is, you see, you've got games in London, and as you've seen, guys are going to take the opportunity even when they're not 100%. And in actual fact, 50%, 60%, I don't know what the number is, the majority of times when athletes step into the arena at this level, they've got a niggle, they've got an injury. But the pride is such there that you look over the edge and you decide, I'm going to jump in and see if I can fly. On this occasion, he's made the semi-final. He's not done a personal best, but at least he can say he was there. And he's experienced something that I can only dream of from Angelosov. He's been in Olympic Games in London town.
Yeah, we talked about that last night. Particularly footballers are always saying to us, actually, the amount of times they played when they were fully fit, about sort of 1 or 2% of the matches. There's always something. It's a question of whether you can deal with it and actually play through it, run through it, jump through it in your case here.
What ends up happening though, you pay for it later down the road. You got bad knees, bad hips, bad ankles because of pain from it. But you know what? It's a price worth paying. It's just glorious to represent your country right there, right now, and you do anything in order to do so.
And this guy's had the sort of problems he's had are Achilles as well. And for a hurdler, Achilles pain is the worst pain out there anyway.
Well, as we saw with Liu Zhang.
Absolutely, and it's it's these tendons, because the forces that go through your body, it's like the long jumpers, particularly, javelin. I mean, Steve Battley talks about the forces that went through his hip, hence he had to have a hip replacement when he gave up. Achilles pain for a hurdler is the worst, and that guy has put up with so much. He's been a real battler. And then to come and do what he had to do with, when he had to have finger surgery. You think about, putting all his body weight through the start, I do feel for him, and I know he will be disappointed, but I think he's come here and done himself proud to get to a semi-final.
Colin Jansen was telling us at the start of the programme, if you get it wrong in the hurdles, it will hurt. We've seen 2 fallers already in the first 2 semi-finals, so going at that speed, when you don't get it quite right, you are going to get a bang. Right, the last of the semi-finals.
With Britain's Lawrence Clark, the first of 2 fastest losers at the moment, but 5 men in this field have run quicker than his 13.31 seconds so far this season. The question is, can they do it now under the pressure of an Olympic Games semi-final? Dairon Robles, the defending Olympic champion, is drawn in lane number 7. And Aries Merritt with the fastest time of the competition, 12.94 seconds against a pretty still wind, and looked as though there was more to come. Could it be that Merritt tonight could break the world record in this discipline, which is held by Robles and has been held by him since the last Olympic year, 2008? But that was the last time he went under the 13-second barrier. They're called forward to their blocks. Abate of Italy in 2, Doucouré France in 3, Shebenkov Russia 4, Parchment of Jamaica in 5, Fury South Africa 6, then Robles in 7. What sort of shape is he really in? He's been involved in the kind of Philip Sadovu sort of mystery in Cuba in the build-up to the Games. Linscher of Belarus in 8, and Porter, Jeff Porter, the husband of Tiffany Porter, in 9. And they get away first time once again, and Robles rises and saunters towards the first barrier and takes control of the race from Shebenkov trying to challenge, and then on the outside Jeff Porter also in contention, but Robles is leading here from Parchment in second place, and he wins in 13.12 seconds from Dairon Robles. He wins from Hansi Parchment of Jamaica in a time of 13.12 seconds, and looking at the distance between the first 2 and the rest, this is looking very, very hopeful for Lawrence Clark.
There'll be one happy Lawrence Clark in the bowels of this stadium, because 13.10 for Robles to win it, 13.14 for Parchment. Shebenkov, I thought, was going to be flying, and he absolutely clattered about hurdle 6. We've now been told 13.28.
This is going to be very tight. Lahan Fury of South Africa, 13.28 seconds. 13.35 seconds for Emmanuel Abate. And that means that Lawrence Clark is through as the second of 2 fastest losers.
Wow.
He's through, Chris. That's all that matters.
What a fantastic experience for the lad. He's come here, he's a novice, he stepped up into this arena, he's in the Olympic final. He is our quickest, the quickest British hurdler. He'll go away feeling 10 foot tall, and I'll tell you what, this will now propel him going forward. He will go forward knowing he's number 1 in the United Kingdom.
And do you remember what a certain Colin Jackson did in '88 when he scraped into the Olympic final in lane 1? He got a medal. I don't think he's going to do that, but no, listen, Lawrence Clark is in the Olympic final. He's going to be in one of the hottest Olympic finals, because I think those guys that have just won each semi are going to all go sub-13.
You're all telling me this week, if you've got a lane, you've got a chance.
That's it. If you're in it, you can win it. You can't win it if you ain't in it.
Yeah, but there's 10 reasons why you can't, and that's 10 those 10 barriers.
10 3'6".
But you can't,
solid barriers.
But you can't win it sitting in the changing rooms.
Exactly, and you only need 6 people to fall over. You've got a medal.
Yeah. Well, that's the way. Because I mean, to make a half a second improvement in 110 in one evening, that's a big improvement. But you know what, Lawrence, please prove me wrong. Laugh in my face, and I'll be quiet for about 5 minutes.
Only 5, but it's probably true. 7.33, great achievement from Lawrence Clark. Then into the final of the 110 hurdles, which is at about 9.15 this evening. Chris Akabusi is with us, part of our team here this evening. It's 7.33, so let's go to the news with Faye Rusko.
On digital radio, digital TV, mobile and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
After a gloomy economic forecast from the Bank of England, the Chancellor George Osborne says ministers will now give the economy their undivided attention. The Governor of the bank, Sir Mervyn King, said growth this year will be close to 0. Labour's blamed the government's failing policies. The boyfriend of the grandmother of the missing schoolgirl Tia Sharp is talking to police officers. Detectives say he isn't under arrest but is at a police station to help them with their inquiries. Tia hasn't been seen since last Friday. A South African man has been jailed for 25 years after admitting that he took part in the murder of Annie Dewani in Cape Town during her honeymoon 2 years ago. Her husband, Shrien Dewani, has been accused of organising the murder and is facing extradition to South Africa. He denies the charges. Reports from Syrian state media say that government forces have taken control of a key district in the country's second city of Aleppo, but rebels dispute that. Aleppo has been the scene of intense fighting between the two sides. And the actor Bob Hoskins has announced he's retiring after a career spanning 4 decades. The 69-year-old starred in box office hits such as Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Neverland. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease last autumn. Quick look at the roads in Staffordshire. One lane is closed on the M6 northbound after an accident between junction 12 at Gailey and junction 13 at Stafford South. Congestion there stretching back to Hilton Park Services. Heavy delays there. In Reigate in Surrey, there's very slow traffic on the M25 anti-clockwise from before junction 8 at Reigate to junction 6. There was an accident at junction 5 and a lane was closed. It has now reopened, but expect delays there of up to an hour. And just south of Coventry, the A46 is shut in both directions at London Road. Lots of congestion in the area because of a large fire. All approaches to the main roundabout are now closed while firefighters deal with the blaze on the industrial estate at Siskin Drive. Faye Rusco, 5 Live Travel.
The sprint is on, 2.5 laps to go. Awang hits the front. And Sir Chris Hoy now starts to make his move, and Hoy goes early. Chris Hoy goes to the front. If he's going to win this race, he's going to win it the hard way. He's made his move. The others are trying to come back to him. Awang's on his wheel, but Sir Chris Hoy has got just over a lap to go. Hoy leads at the bell. Hoy's going to have to really pull it out of the back here. I think he's going to do it. Chris Hoy claims the gold medal. What a moment in British Olympic history. A record 6th gold medal here. Now, get on your feet.
London 2012 on 5 Live and 5 Live Olympics Extra.
Olympic headlines tonight. British show jumpers Nick Skelton, Scott Brash and Ben Mayer all finished outside the medals in the individual final. Steve Gerd out of Switzerland took the gold medal. The British women's 470 crew are guaranteed a medal in the sailing. They go into Friday's medal race in joint first place. Britain's Sinead Reid has qualified for the semi-finals of the BMX competition. Liam Phillips made it through in the men's. Mo Farah eased through in the heats of the 5,000 metres to the final. Pole vaulter Steve Lewis and hammer thrower Sophie Hitchen are through to their finals. Daniel Lord, though, pulled out of the decathlon after 2 events with a knee injury. Britain's Lindsay Sharp and former world champion Caster Semenya of South Africa are into the semis of the 800 metres. Defending champion Tim Brabants finished 8th in the final of the men's kayak. And defending champions the Netherlands beat New Zealand 3-1 on penalties to make the women's hockey final. They'll play Great Britain or Argentina. That match live on Olympics Extra from 8 o'clock. And here's George Riley watching the beach volleyball bronze medal match.
Set point to Brazil. China took the first. This to take us into a decider. Larissa Flanker with the powerful serve. China to get out, and Zhang Ji to the net left-handed. But it's going to be returned, and an opportunity for a winner! And the crowd goes absolutely crazy. China dominated the opening set, won it 21-11. Brazil have fought back, and they've sent us into a decider. The bronze medal still very much alive. Brazil versus China, 1 set to decide bronze.
Well, it's live on Olympics Extra if your heart can take it. George, Kath, you've been down there. George has got the beach volleyball spirit.
Absolutely loves it, doesn't he? He took us all by surprise in the commentary box here in the Olympic Stadium. He was excited last week when we were down there doing stuff, but He's cranked it up a level for the medal matches, hasn't he?
Now it's the medals.
Oh, it's
very aggressive.
I have to say it is a wonderful venue. I went to the first ever beach volleyball down in Bondi Beach. Obvious place to have it. It was tremendous fun. But it's really cleverly done in Horse Guards Parade, isn't it? A bit late to get a ticket for anybody, but watch it on the telly.
No, it's been spectacular. They've erected a 15,000-seater stadium right in the middle of Horse Guards Parade. It's really taken off. There's been dancing, there's been music, there's been wonderful beach volleyball as well for the men and the women. Chris, you should have got down there. You'd have loved it, mate. You'd have blended in a treat. No, you wouldn't have even heard Chris with his whooping.
Yeah. I ain't going there, fella. Yeah. Hey, that's Justin Fashanu. I want Nakabusi, fella.
It really is terrific that you can wander off afterwards and have a drink, sort of Piccadilly Circus, great spot. Right, anyway, back to the serious business of the women's 1500 metres. 2 semi-finals this evening. Just 2 semi-finals here as opposed to 3. You've got to keep up. 3 British runners. Lisa Dobrisky and Hannah England in the first. Laura Waitman in the second. Hannah England one to watch, having won a silver medal last year in the World Championships in Daegu. She's also been mentored by the 2004 double Olympic champion Dame Kelly Holmes.
Hannah is a great competitor. You know, she's had a lot of struggles over the years anyway, and of course this year getting that injury of Achilles, which was an accident as opposed to an actual injury through hard work and training sort of thing. She's been able to keep her head positive, and I think that was the main thing. You know, if you started panicking and worrying, which was the initial first thought was, oh my God, you know, Olympics Games, am I going to get back? But she's been able to change that round, and with her coach Bud Badero, they've been able to really take that one step at a time. She put her neck on the line in Crystal Palace, which was a hard thing to do for somebody as Hannah's calibre to come out there and, you know, just use it as a, how is my Achilles feeling? What do I need to do to get back? My message was that you have plenty of time. I've been there, done it before, where, you know, you've got a limited amount of time to get ready, but as long as you stay motivated, you're already a world-class athlete, and then you train hard in areas that you can do, you'll be back on that start line. Anything can happen. We've got 3 really strong girls in the 1500 metres, along with Hannah England. Laura Waitman is also one of my on-camp with Kelly athletes, coached by Steve Cram. And again, they're a great partnership. They've done really, really well to get Laura to this stage, and I think Laura's a real underdog as well, because she's not afraid, she's not in the spotlight, she has no pressure on her, she knows how to race, she's tactically aware, she can get into the final. Again, anything can happen with her. So I think the 3 girls that we have, if they're all in the final, we could be seeing a medal from them.
And what about Lisa Dobrisky, a medalist as well, but again she's had her problems.
Yeah, well, she's the 3rd one, of course, Lisa Dobrisky, who again is a championship runner. What I like about Lisa is that she can pick it up when it matters, because her brain clicks into that auto drive of, I'm at a championship, I know what I've got to do to qualify, and when I get into the final I know what I need to do to try and be up there. She's had her problems, she has, but again she's come back strong through it. She's a determined athlete, and she's been successful and run really good times, and that's already in the bag. With Laura, it's going to be a real experience. She's the one that maybe needs to handle the occasion, go through one step at a time, not think about the final until she's gone through the semi-final. I think if she can take it step by step, I think she will then get to the end result with it being just a race that she can just do well in. So I'm really looking forward to the 1500.
That's Dame Kelly Holmes talking about the 3 British runners in the women's 1500 metres, and Lisa Dobrisky, Alison, in the first of those, has had a nightmare year, various injuries and blood clots on her lungs, which of course is far more serious than just hampering her athletics career.
Yeah, and that actually only got picked up by her physio watching a session down in Loughborough, and she was struggling to recover, and it was a session that she's always just a bread and butter sort of session she'd done week in, week out, and she was really struggling to breathe. And Ronnie, her coach, her physio, came out and just said, look, I'm not happy about that, and got one of the docs out. They got her straight in to have blood tests done, and this is where they found this blood clot, and got her straight into hospital and had her on warfarin, had her on blood thinning drugs. She's had a torrid time since getting a medal at the World Championships a couple of years ago. Came fourth, agonisingly just outside the medals 4 years ago in Beijing. But do you know what? As Kelly's just said there, Lisa Dobrisky knows how to deal with championships, and to me, she has come here, she looked fantastic in the first round, and by all accounts, the training she's been doing in Portugal, she is looking on top form. So I think she's the one for an outside chance of a medal.
And Hannah England, who ran really well in Daegu last year. I mean, arguably, she won a silver, arguably. She could have won it.
She could have. It was so tight. And this is the beauty of championship 1500 metre runners. There's no rabbit, there's no pacemaker. you have a true run race, and that plays into the hands of the likes of Hannah and Lisa, and now Laura as well. Laura's the same sort of athlete. They have a good turn of pace. Hannah's probably got the best turn of pace. The problem that Hannah's got is she got injured back in sort of early June, and that's sort of when you'd be doing your speed work. So she's done all the hard work. Hannah's just lost a little bit of the icing on the cake, if you like. If this race is fairly slow, I would bet on both girls making to the final, but I certainly think Lisa has just looked the most impressive out of all three.
We'll talk about Laura Wakeman when she runs in the second semi-final. First 5 in each heat, and the next 2 quickest advancing to the final. So, Mike, great that in a 1,500-metre semi-final, 3 British runners.
Yes, and in what are bound to be tactical affairs, every chance that a couple of them could make their way through to the final on Friday evening here. Lisa Zabriskie and Hannah England's images shown on the screen here and receiving huge cheers from the crowd. Another 80,000 strong crowd here in the Olympic Stadium, and if ever an athlete runs on nerves and adrenaline, it's Lisa Zabriskie, who just places her hair behind her ears. She's running in a ponytail and she's looking so nervous, as if she's just about to be sent to the gallows. She's drawn in the 5th position from the inside here. There'll be a bit of a cavalry charge towards the first bend after 100 metres or so, as they all look for some racing room. They're standing patiently behind the curved start line over on the far side of the track. The netting from the hammer cage where qualification took place this morning has been taken away, so we get a clear view now virtually directly opposite our commentary position, which in turn is up above the winning line, and you hear the starters official call them forward to that curved start line over on the far side of the stadium, and they're underway. 3 3/4 laps of the track ahead of them, and there's a real charge towards that first bend. They're almost sprinting their way through. Zabriskie content to settle herself right at the back of the field. Hannah England is towards the centre. There's a bit of bumping and barging already, as expected, and Kostetskaya of Russia, who was drawn on the inside anyway, has maintained that position, and she leads the field. Interestingly, through in second place is Yuseni of the United States. No American woman has ever won a medal in this discipline at the Olympic Games in an event introduced in 1972. And Yuseni, I say interesting that she's moved into second place out of any possible traffic jam problems, because she fell in the World Championship final last year with about 500 metres to go. She tripped with the Kenyan athlete Helen Obiri, having come through to the World Championship final pretty much as favourite on season's form. So they go past us then for the first time, and in the lead it's Kostetskaya of Russia from Yuseni in second place, and applause from the crowd goes round like a Mexican wave as the athletes go past each separate block of spectators and on their way round to the back straight on the far side of the stadium. Zabriskie still at the back of the field. Hannah England at this stage is in 8th position, but they've both got plenty of time to make their move, and Zabriskie is now just starting to try to thread her way through on the inside, but not panicking just yet. Alison Kirbishley just over a lap gone.
Yeah, and a pretty steady pace, Mike. 66 seconds at 400. It was quite difficult to find a front-running athlete in this group, because there are a lot of people who can wind it up and kick. And sure enough, Yuseni, as you said, does not want to risk getting tripped, falling. She will remember what's happened to her in the past, so she's making sure she's on the shoulder of Kostetskaya, the partner of Steve Hooker, the Australian pole vaulter who went through to the final this morning. She is up there at the front, piling on the pressure.
Well, have you ever heard noise like this just for a 1,500 metres semi-final? Zabriskie, with 2 laps to go, now just makes her way through into the front 6 as Hannah England goes in the reverse direction towards the back of the field. Right at the back at the moment is Van Dalen of New Zealand, but she's only 4 or 5 metres off the front. The pace has slowed, even though it's still being taken on by Kostetskaya, and any one of these 12 now could win the race. Most importantly, so many of them could finish in the front 5. The first 5 will be certain to qualify for the final on Friday evening, and there are 2 spots for fastest losers, with a great start to the evening with Lawrence Clark setting a lifetime best and qualifying for the final later this evening in the men's 110 metres hurdles. But now the race starts to get really serious here with 500 metres or so to go. Kostetskaya is still leading from Yuseni. The newly crowned European champion Çakır of Turkey is making ground out into lane number 2 into 3rd place. Wider still now is Zabriskie, but refusing to head to the front. She wants to sit in behind and wait and strike with her challenge in the closing 200 metres or so. We're heading now down the home straight, and once again there's only 7-8 metres between first and last, and Hannah England is towards the back of the field at this stage now. And on the inside, Kostetskaya is leading with just under a lap to go. Alison Kirbishley.
And she's battling now with Jamal of Bahrain. Chakir certainly the stronger athlete, the quicker athlete in this group, and look at this pace change, the battle with Jamal down the back straight. They've put some serious speed into this race now, but Lisa Dobrisky looking comfortable in fourth place. 250
metres to go, and it's Belete, once of Ethiopia, now competing for Bahrain, who leads from Chakir in second place. The long-time leader, Kostetskaya of Russia, is in third, and Dobrisky is in fourth, but about to be challenged by Morgan Yuseni, who usually gets the tactics right. The first five are certain to qualify, and now from last up into seventh place comes Hannah England. Has she got the fitness to strike in the home straight? Here we come then, 80 metres to go. Chakir leads from Kostetskaya. Dobrisky dances from the inside to the outside to find some room. She's got to finish in the front five. England is faltering. Chakir wins from Kostetskaya and Yuseni and Dobrisky all in a line for second, third and fourth. And so Dobrisky has qualified for the Olympic final for the second games in a row in a semi-final won by Chakir of Turkey.
And I still think Lisa Dobrisky can think and start dreaming about a medal, because she really did run that well. You very often find she hugs the curb. She doesn't like to run wide, but she knew quite early on that this was going to be a last lap burn up. She got herself out wide, she got herself out of trouble. She sort of ran a lot of the second lap out and about the third lane. She now hugs Hannah England on the track as she looks up into the screen, and she sees herself confirmed in fourth place. She now is an Olympic finalist. Very, very impressive running from Lisa Dobrisky after all she has gone through this year.
So great run there by Lisa Dobrisky, and Laura Waitman to come in the second semi-final. Let's go to Alice Tariq, Great Britain's women, about to start their biggest hockey match in a generation.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Mark. There is a very, very special feeling in the air in this particular corner of the Olympic Park. Great Britain fans have been pouring in excitedly to the Riverbank Arena, some inevitably dressed head to toe in red, white and blue. The anticipation is palpable, and you're quite right. This is the biggest match, certainly of these players' lives. Great Britain's women against the world champions Argentina for a place in the gold medal match. Their form recently not terribly special. They set out so strongly, beating Japan, Korea and Belgium, scoring a hatful of goals, Sean Curley, and then the two defeats to China and the Netherlands. Still making it through to the semi-finals, still here, still in it to win it. But what do you make of their form, and what are their chances tonight?
Well, form-wise, they, as you quite rightly said, they started well, got themselves in a very good position, but then, I don't know, maybe getting a bit near the line, you start to think about what's past that line, maybe a semi-final, so they got a little bit nervous and had a sort of nervy game against China, and then against the Netherlands, similarly, another nervy game, but I think they'll have got through that. They'll have had a lot of time they've had a whole day to sort that out, get it sorted out, and I think they'll be really keyed up for this. The way to beat Argentina is for Great Britain to go physically against them.
Which is exactly what the USA did, and got a very surprising result, managed to beat them by 1-0. What about Kate Walsh, one of the great stories of this Olympic Games from the hockey perspective, with the broken jaw, having got the Japanese stick in her face in match number 1. 6 days later, having had the titanium plate fitted to her jaw, she was back out on the pitch. Terrific in terms of resilience and character and resolve and all those things. The team have lost since she's come back. Do you think she's fully fit? Do you think she's able to play the part that she would like to play? Or do you think she's just still suffering a little bit?
Well, I mean, that remains to be seen. I think she's made progress in the 2 games. She came on and played against China and looked a bit white and a little bit nervous, but the team really wanted her back in. Played a lot better against the Netherlands, but ultimately couldn't stop that defeat. And really, as far as Kate's concerned, she believes she's fit and up for it, and so do the rest of the team, so that's probably just as important.
So important that she has a big game. Every single one of these players, Mark, will need the game of their lives. They have the opportunity to play for a gold medal at the home Olympics. It's what everything has been geared towards. Of course it has over the last 4 years. And this is their evening. They're up against Argentina, the reigning world champions, second in the world. They've never won gold, so it's on the line for them too. But Great Britain have a wonderful chance tonight.
It's live on Olympics Extra. We'll have lots of updates as well. Catherine Murray can bring us an update on the decathlon.
I can indeed, yep. The men's high jump hasn't concluded yet. There's still a couple of athletes jumping at the heights of 2 metres and 14, but not athletes at this moment in time that will challenge the leaders. But I can tell you Ashton Eaton went over 2 metres and 5 centimetres, and he'll extend his lead over his teammate Trey Hardy from the USA, who went out at 1 metre and 99. But Ashton Eaton was angry with himself when he failed at 2 metres and 8, because after 3 events, Pugas, he's just 57 points down on his world record total, and that world record was set in Eugene, Oregon a couple of months ago at the US trials when it rained and poured down. So in nice conditions tonight he was looking for a little bit more in the high jump, but even with the points added from his high jump event, he's still only 57 points down on his world record total. And this track is fast, and the final event of the decathlon on the first day is the 400 metres.
So first semi-final, Lisa Zabriskie through. Hannah England's injury problems meant what? That she probably just couldn't do the volume of work she needed to.
Absolutely right. You know, when you come into this arena in this cauldron of fire, it's not just about the desire. It is about the background. It's about the layering of work. It's about being able to pull on the fact that you've had this database of performance that you can pull on and know that you can deliver. And you know what? In here, you get found out. She's brave. She's tenacious. She tried to go with the pack. I think it'll be the slower of the two of semi-finals, and she does know that she's out anyway, but she gave it a go, and it's really hard. You really want to do well, but this place is no respecter of persons. She's a world silver medalist, but right now she's out of the final Olympic Games.
So Lisa Zabriskie is through. Laura Waitman is in this one. Alison, trained by Steve Cram, who's a young lady here who's come to the national attention in the last, year, 18 months really?
Yeah, I mean, she's been working with Steve for 3 years now, and went off to the World Juniors, came 6th there, and this year it's just been a massive breakthrough for her. And we started talking about the possibility of getting down to the Olympic qualifying mark late winter, and then just every race she's been smashing her personal best, and she's a great racer. She's got a good mind on her, and I know she is hungry for a place in the final.
Well, they're leaning over the curved start line on the far side of the stadium. I thought there was a stumble there by the Ethiopian athlete Abiba Aragawi, but they've been allowed to continue uninterrupted, and the lead is taken on by Mariam Jamal, who's quickly replaced in the lead as they head towards the first corner. And it's Helen Obiri, Kenyan champion for the 2nd year in a row, attempting to emulate her compatriot Nancy Langat, who became in Beijing in 2008 the first Kenyan ever to win this women's metric mile, as they call it, in the Olympic Games. And Laura Waitman is tucked in right behind her on the inside, refusing to take up the invitation to go into the lead, because Obiri deliberately moved out into lane number 2, hoping for somebody to come through to take it up. And it's Tatiana Tomasheva of Russia who finished in the silver medal position behind Kelly Holmes at the Athens Olympic Games of 2004, and later tested positive for drugs and missed 2 years out of the sport. Waitman now in 5th place on the inside as they head around to complete the first of 3 3/4 laps. Can she emulate her coach Steve Cram, who at the age of 19 on his Olympic debut reached the 1500 metres final in Moscow in 1980, the Kohanovich showdown, and 4 years later Steve Cram won silver, and still talks about how much that first Olympic experience meant to him and how invaluable it was. Likewise for Laura Waitman, can she get through to the final? She needs to finish in the first 5 places, as Lisa Zabriskie did in the first of the semi-finals. Hannah England run out of it. Tomasheva still has the lead from Obiri in 2nd place, and now Waitman in around 6th place. Alison Kerbishley as they head in towards the home straight, and the lap marker says 2 more to go.
Yeah, and certainly with the experience of Tomasheva, the Russian, this semi-final, as we'd hoped, has gone off quicker, 3 seconds quicker over the first 400 metres. Laura is quite comfortably placed inside. She's not got to panic. She's got Jamal on her outside. We've got Bullet, the Turkish girl that won her heat. She knows that she's got a turn of pace, but it's a lot quicker than the first heat. and they're just starting to wind it up now. There's a very talented Ethiopian, Aragawi, the world's leader, 3:56 this year. She's currently in 4th place as they go down the back straight, Mike.
600 metres to go, and Laura Wakeman is on the inside. 2 places ahead of her, Jennifer Simpson of the United States, the surprise winner of World Championship gold last year, just ahead of Britain's Hannah England. And now Bulut of Turkey has gone to the front, relegating Tomasheva to 2nd place. Obiri, the Kenyan champion, is in 3rd. They're followed through then by Simpson and Aragawi of Ethiopia. Hilali, the smallest of the field from Morocco, is gritting her teeth and trying to get into the front 6 as well. Wakeman is still going well within herself in 6th place as they head down the home straight for the penultimate time, and a lot will happen between here and the finish line in around 450 metres time, and Wakeman has got to be placed in the right place at the right time, and it's the bell time.
Yeah, and it's Bulut that leads them through. Laura Wakeman currently just on the shoulder of Jenny Simpson. She's got to think about racing room now. She's got to think about her position. There's a lot of kickers in there. Aragawi looking comfortable, chasing Obiri down the back straight with Tomasheva. They're the front 4.
And Wakeman now has slipped back into 10th place. Only the first 5 will qualify. Aragawi, the fastest in the field this year now, following the disqualification of Mariam Melsouli of Morocco because of a drugs offence. And Aragawi hits the front from Bulut in 2nd place. And making stealthy ground now is Laura Wakeman. She's only in 8th place, but some of those in front of her are starting to falter. Not Aragawi of Ethiopia, who's looking like a strong challenger for gold in this form, as she just saunters into the home straight by 2 or 3 metres from Bulut in 2nd place, then Obiri and Tomasheva, and Laura Wakeman just hasn't got the decisive kick as they come up towards the line. Aragawi allows Bulut to overtake her. No, she doesn't. She kicks on again towards the line. Aragawi wins in a very impressive 4 minutes, 1.03 seconds.
And Laura holds her head in her hands. She really did fight all the way for that. I think she might have maybe just dipped Klotz over on the line for 7th, but it's coming up as 8th on the board, and that will be disappointing. But I tell you what, she's got a massive personal best out of it, so I really do hope she's pleased. She's walking around with her head in her hands. Aragawi clearly looking the most impressive, as she was coming into this world lead. And now Selsouli has been caught and banned, who was the original world lead. 3:56 she's posted this year. I think one of the favourites has to be that Ethiopian, because she looks so comfortable.
Well, one British athlete then into the final on Friday evening of the women's 1500 metres, and Lisa Dobrisky, race by race after a terrible season with injury and illness, is running herself into form. She was 4th in Beijing 4 years ago, took the silver at the World Championships a year later. She has the big stage temperament, and she's into the final.
We've got the women's long jump final starting in around about 5 minutes time, and then the men's 200 metre semi-finals begin at 8:10. Celtic, I can tell you, have won their Champions League 3rd round qualifier against Helsinki. They won tonight 2-0 in Finland, so they've won 4-1 on aggregate. So Celtic are through in the Champions League. And Steve Parry's our man now at the beach volleyball.
I tell you what, Pugas, I spend far too long in the swimming pool and not enough time down at the beach volleyball. It's like a big party on Copacabana Beach with a little bit of sport thrown in there. But I tell you what, when the sport gets going, I can't believe how athletic it is. We've just seen a match here, the bronze medal match between Zhejiang and Zhu versus from Brazil, Larissa and Juliana, and the Brazilians look completely disinterested. They were the favourites coming into this, and they just didn't look like they wanted to be in this bronze medal match, because they got beat 21-11 in the first set and then went on to win the following 2 sets. They were spectacular in the last set, and China kind of lost it, throwed a load of unforced errors in there, but it's just the spectacle of the beach volleyball. It was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you very much indeed. It continues, and it doesn't continue on Sport Olympics Extra, because that at the moment has gone to the hockey, which is just underway. Argentina against Great Britain. That is on Olympics Extra. Quarter-final stage of the men's basketball now, which has moved to the North Greenwich Arena. Chris Mitchell there for us. Chris, you've got some heavyweight contests starting with Brazil, Argentina.
Yeah, these are great quarter-finals. We've got the Brazil-Argentina game. Is fascinating. Brazil, of course, with their Argentine coach. So there's a bit of tension there before we even begin. And we have just begun. A minute gone. This one will be too close to call. Later on, the United States and their NBA stars take on Australia. That should be easy for the US. But earlier, what a contest between France and Spain. Spain winning an ugly battle, lots of fouls in that one, and Spain will play Russia in the semi-finals.
The fourth quarter-final between the USA and Australia, that is on Olympics Extra from 10:15 right now. Olympics Extra, Great Britain's women against Argentina. Mike Costello, what's been going on in the 1500 metres? It sounds good news.
Yes, Laura Waitman came through in 7th place, but because that second semi-final, should I say, was so much quicker than the first, she has qualified as the second of 2 fastest losers. So the same story as Lawrence Clark in the men's 110 metres hurdles. Laura Waitman, on her Olympic debut, has emulated her coach Steve Cram. She's through to an Olympic 1500 metres final, and over on the far side of the stadium, that is the ovation for a medal contender for Britain this evening, Shara Proctor in the women's long jump.
So that's about to get underway. We'll keep you right in touch with that here on 5 Live with Mark Pugac at the Olympic Stadium. It's 4 minutes past 8.
This is the Olympic Station.
An Olympic dream is realised.
London 2012
on 5 Live.
And in the next few minutes, Usain Bolt continues the defence of his Olympic 200-metre title.
We have seen one of the most staggering achievements in Olympic history here. Usain Bolt becomes the 9th man to complete the Olympic sprint double. He has beaten the world record that everybody said was untouchable.
Shara Proctor's about to begin her challenge for a medal in the women's long jump. At 9 o'clock, it's the women's 200 metres final. The men's 110 hurdles final follows at 9:15. The big guns all through, along with Britain's Lawrence Clark, and Lisa Dobrisky and Laura Waitman are through to the final of the women's 1500 metres. Hannah England failed to qualify. Over on Olympics Extra right now, Great Britain, Argentina for a place in the women's hockey final. Regular updates here on 5 Live with the winners playing the Netherlands. No medals so far today for Team GB, but Nicola Adams will fight for gold in the women's flyweight boxing, and Tom Stalker fights later in the light welterweight semi-final.
Remember, you can catch every Olympic moment right here on 5 Live, and also over on our new digital radio station, 5 Live Olympics Extra. And if you miss it, catch up later on the BBC Sport website. This is the Olympic Station.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
I'm Faye Roscoe with the BBC 5 Live News. The Labour leader Ed Miliband says the Bank of England's decision to downgrade its outlook for the UK economy is proof the coalition should change its policies. The Chancellor George Osborne blamed the poor forecast on the Eurozone, although he admitted it was disappointing. A man living with the grandmother of Tia Sharp, who's gone missing in Croydon in South London, is being interviewed by detectives as a witness. Police say he isn't under arrest. The 12-year-old was last seen on Friday. A South African man who's been jailed for the murder of Annie Dewani told a court he killed her on the instruction of her husband. Shrien Dewani from Bristol is facing an extradition hearing and denies any involvement. There's been a lull in fighting in Syria's second city, Aleppo. Earlier, state media said the army had cleared large parts of the city of rebel fighters, but the opposition say they've won back some of the streets they'd lost. And 7 members of Cameroon's Olympic team who disappeared from the athletes' village in the Olympic Park have still not been found. It's thought the 5 boxers, a swimmer and a footballer may try to claim asylum.
Let's go straight to Alistair Eakin. Huge match for Great Britain's women's hockey players and an early goal.
Yes, a very big blow early on after just 6 minutes of the match. A penalty corner, the first of the game, fell to the Argentines, and it was Barrio Nuevo who swept it low down to the right into the goal past Beth Story. Sean Curley, a hammer blow.
Yeah, a hammer blow because Great Britain has started well, pressed high, got lots of possession in the Argentine half, but then one attack up the other end and Argentine scored first time.
8 minutes left in this, 8 minutes gone even in the first half. Argentina 1, Great Britain 0.
Plenty of time then for Great Britain to turn it around. That's live on Olympics Extra. So Shara Proctor about to go in the women's long jump as we build up Darren Campbell to the men's 200 metres. I know you've said this to us before, but people enjoy learning. Bend running. What is the trick? What is hard about bend running in the 200 metres?
It's difficult to generate speed and power and stay on the inner side of your lane. And and that's the difficult part. There's different ways to do it.
Because the tendency is always sort of to drift away, is it, as you're running around the bend?
Well, the more speed that you generate, it's going to push you to the outer side of your lane. Obviously, then you're running further. So it's trying to get that balance right. There's many different ways you can run the bend. I used to pretty much just go for it from the start, which is the bit of a crazy way. But then I wanted to put my rivals under pressure.
That's the chair for Johan Blake.
Johan Blake, yeah. I wanted to come into the straight in the lead. I always felt that if I could put the other guys under enough pressure, then hopefully they'll try and chase me early, get a little bit tight, and it would help me win medals. I worked really hard on my bend. I made the bend my strength.
This man, Christophe Lemaitre, the Frenchman's an outstanding sprinter. He didn't run in the 100 metres. Why would he decide that?
Well, I think he's realistic. He's had a very, very good season, don't get me wrong. But you're talking about going up against Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, Tyson Gay, Justin Gatlin. Maybe he didn't feel he had the speed to challenge those guys to get onto the podium. I think after his performance in Crystal Palace, I think it surprised him a little bit. It was a cold afternoon, and he ran 19.91. Very, very impressive. So for me, he's got a better chance of medaling in this 200 metres than he would have in the 100. So it made sense to try and save some energy.
First of 3 semi-finals, Bolt is in the second of them.
And this one features Johan Blake in lane number 4. We've just seen images on the 2 screens here in the stadium at either end of the arena. Reflections of the victories of Usain Bolt 4 years ago and Michael Johnson in Atlanta in 1996. Will Bolt be dethroned this time? And is Johan Blake, his fellow Jamaican, the man to do so? He beat him at the Jamaican trials 6 weeks ago, and he's drawn here in lane number 4. The first 2 will qualify for the final tomorrow evening at 5 to 9. He's drawn in 4, De Barros of Brazil is in 5, then Lemaitre in 6. Very impressive in his first round heat, and withdrew from the 100 metres to concentrate on this longer sprint and to give himself a better medal chance. Outside Lemaitre is Wallace Spearman of the United States. It looks like 2 from those 3 to gain the qualifying places. And they leave their blocks, and Johan Blake gets a terrific start and closes down on De Barros on his outside, and you'd expect him to do that with his greater 100-metre prowess into the home straight, and Blake has a clear lead from Spearman coming through into second place now. Lemaitre trying to make ground in the closing stages. This is all about Johan Blake. It's going to be very, very close for second place, and Blake almost made a huge error there, was almost passed on the line. He wins in 20.01 seconds. It's very, very close for the second qualifying spot between Wallace Spearman and the flying at the finish, Christophe Lemaitre.
Well, Blake used that amazing 100-metre speed to get round the bend. He almost drifts his right hand to enable him. He shortens it just so he can try and get round the bend. It meant that he came up into the straight with maybe a 5-metre lead and then relaxed. But the thing was, Spearman and Christophe Lemaitre weren't about to give up, because they know it was the first 2 automatically who qualify. So as we approached the line, Blake nearly timed it incorrectly. He finished off qualifying first in a time of 20.01. Wallace Spearman second in a time of 20.02, and Christophe Lemaitre 20.03. Very impressive, but on that form, it's going to be difficult to see anybody beating Usain Bolt.
Well, we've seen jockeys do that before, Chris Akavusi. They drop their hands, they drop the reins, and they get beaten on the line. It didn't quite happen to Blake, but you could see how Spearman and Lemaitre were finishing at great pace.
That's why I really don't like that showboating and trying to pretend that, when you're coming in that you're jogging. Mate, just be simple. Cross that line first and make sure you do it. If you look at that line, it really is a blanket between those 3 guys. I do think that Lemaitre will be a fastest loser, will get himself into the dance, but that was just incredible.
What about the way Lemaitre finished that race? Is that what he is that the way he runs a 200?
I think he'd be disappointed with that, because Wallace Spearman doesn't run the best bend. Christophe Lemaitre started well, didn't really continue that. I think he took his breather too early, which allowed Wallace Spearman to I guess claim back that stagger that Christophe Lemaitre initially picked up in the first 30 metres. Finished very fastly. he'll really look to attack that bend more in the final if he's going to pick up a medal.
Ultimately, Wallace Spearman and Christophe Lemaitre aren't known for running good bends, and that was a decent bend from Wallace Spearman. He was only a little bit...
No, that was better than decent, Kath. I don't think he's ever run a bend as fast as that, because Christophe Lemaitre can run 9.9. Spearman doesn't run enough hundreds, so for Wallace Spearman to come off the bend ahead of Christophe Lemaitre, it's the wrong way round.
That's what I was about to say. It was a decent and a very good bend because he was only a little bit behind Johan Blake, and that Wallace Spearman would have known Christophe Lemaitre would be coming. It was a real battle there in lane 6 and 7, wasn't it? Hence they just threw themselves at the line.
Can I
quite
just
rightly so.
Check something here, guys? Because showboating aside, Chris and Christophe Lemaitre and the guys, are we raving enough about what Johan Blake just did? He walked across the line in 20 flat.
Yeah, but he didn't shot. The thing was, he didn't actually shot off as early.
I'm just checking if you're raving enough.
I'm not going to tell you now, no, because he didn't shot off early enough. He was only walking across the line, but he probably only shot off about 20-30 metres out.
But he was 5 metres up, 20 metres out, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking at that. That's 19.8, 19.9. That ain't no big shakes. Yeah,
5 metres up.
Yeah, but but you're talking about when he slowed down. You can't talk about the gap he opened up on the people. My gosh, make up your mind. What are you asking for?
If it had done that, Steve, running 19.7, it would have been impressive, but it just wasn't.
I know now. It's good.
All right.
It's good.
Nice to have you back.
Steve,
now go again.
Steve, remember something. I'm on your side. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
There you go.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Did
it's
Blake,
not Usain Bolt. It's not all Usain Bolt.
Did Blake realise the other two were coming? I wondered that. Looking at it, I thought, did he realise just how close Lemaitre and Spearman were?
There's a difference, right? Because what you can do is generate the speed and let momentum carry you through, or you can brake. The problem is if you brake, you can't then accelerate. So regardless whether he knew, at the point where he started braking, there was no way he could do anything once they were coming. If you just use momentum to slow down, i.e. you're slowing down through momentum, maybe you can drive your arms a little bit. But the problem is, once you're braking, because you're trying to show off and look how easy this is for me, it creates you problems.
And that's Livick showing off.
Yeah. I think there's a lesson there for all of us, isn't there?
Don't show off.
Don't show off. Argentina 1 up in the hockey. It's live on Olympics Extra. Shara Proctor is about to go as well. The long jump on the far side, we saw triumph for Greg Rutherford a few nights ago. Of course, he was with us last night. Shara Proctor was very impressive, Mike, in qualifying.
Yes, she was. She led the field into qualifying, but the lead here, held by Ineta Radovica of Latvia, is longer than Proctor produced in qualifying. The lead at the moment is 6 metres and 88 centimetres. That is within the compass of Proctor. Her British record set at the Olympic trials is 6.95 seconds. And now she has the urgings of the crowd to drive her towards the takeoff board. And she's out towards the leading mark. And we wait to see if she gets the white flag. She does get the white flag, and now we wait for the measurement on the scoreboard just inside the infield as you hear the fanfare ringing around the stadium, and the introduction to come for the second semi-final in the men's 200 metres featuring Usain Bolt in lane number 6. You'll be sure to hear the roar very shortly. We're still waiting for the mark for Shara Proctor over on the far side of the stadium. There's been some delay. She did get a white flag, 6 metres and 55 centimetres, only in 5th place.
Yeah, she just forward rotated there, Mike. The undercarriage came down, her feet came down, her forward, she was leaning forward as she landed. That's not great. She's capable a lot more, 6.83 in qualification. And don't count her out yet. She's in 5th place coming towards the end of the first round.
So how much will Usain Bolt have to give of himself here as he leans in towards the camera once again? And there's a smile for the second time and a salute this time. It's about business for Usain Bolt, the 100 metres champion for the second time, refusing to take on the label of legend until he's won this 200 metre title for the second time also. Nobody in history has ever done the double-double. Now, in the semi-finals of the men's 100 metres, he ran 9.87 seconds so comfortably, it surely intimidated the rest of the field. Will he send a similar message here he looks like he's bound to go quicker than the 20.01 of his countryman Johan Blake, who, remember, beat him at the Jamaican trials in Bolt's last appearance over 200 metres, and that was Bolt's first defeat over this half-lap distance in 5 years. He has 6 of the 10 fastest times in history, 5 of them run into a headwind. And we saw on Sunday evening he is in very, very close to his best form. In better conditions, in a warmer climate, he might well have broken his own world record. As ever, his last movement before he settled into his blocks is the sign of a cross, and then he looks upwards and then stares downwards towards the track, which in a few moments' time he will burn over the first 40 metres or so to try to steer an advantage and then ease up when he reaches the home straight. They're down on their blocks, Bolt in 6. And they're underway, and he has on his outside Quinones of Ecuador, one of the heat winners to challenge, and he sweeps by him in a matter of strides and into the home straight. Bolt is in the lead. Trying to chase in second place is Jowadwana of South Africa, but Bolt is already cruising. He's looking left and right. He won't be making the same mistake as Johan Blake. He's keeping some sort of momentum all the way to the line. 20.18 seconds, and for the entire length of the home straight, Usain Bolt was doing no more than jogging.
Right, now Steve, that's the difference about being relaxed, shutting down, taking it easy. Usain Bolt drove for about 40 to 50 metres, come off the bend with about 80 metres to go, took off the afterburners, just used the stride, bounced up the straight and eased off.
I'd rave about that as well, by the way.
Very impressive from Usain Bolt. Very comfortable. Usain Bolt isn't gonna want to exert any more energy than he's gonna have to, and that was a fantastic run. That's how you do it comfortably. If you want to try and save energy in the 200 metres, it's important that you put the work in that first 100 metres. That's what Usain Bolt did, and then the end of the race just really looks like a stride.
Can he, as Mike said on the night of the 100 metres, could Usain Bolt possibly break the 19-second barrier?
I don't want to go. No. What I was going to say is I don't want to go against Mike, but I don't think he will do it here. No.
Yeah, no. Looking at that, no, he's going to go under 9. He's going to do 19.5, and but no, under 19, I do not think so.
He'll go under 19.5.
But interesting, when Sonia asked him, he was thinking about it, wasn't he? It's not like he said, no, it's impossible. There's a little pause.
Yeah, I think about making a comeback, but I'm not going to.
Right, Christian Malcolm's in the next of the semi-finals. Let's go to the hockey. Alistair Eakin.
It's still Argentina 1, Great Britain 0. There have been a few anxious moments, Mark, since the goal, which was scored by Barrio Nuevo from the set-piece penalty corner after just 6 minutes. Great Britain have spent quite a bit of time defending. Luciana Aymar, who is the kind of world superstar, if you like, in the Argentine side, their skipper, has been working her magic down the left and has been causing quite a lot of trouble, Sean Curley.
Yeah, she's causing a lot of trouble, but they're playing with an intensity that Great Britain need to play with. They've pinned Great Britain down in their own 22 for the last 5 minutes or so, and they're really playing well and confidently.
Here come GB on the counter-attack upfield via Sarah Thomas with 14 minutes left to play in the opening half. It's Argentina 1, Great Britain 0.
And it's live on Olympics Extra if that's what you would like. Kath, I feel a little bit sorry for the crowd. Wonderful to see Usain Bolt, but they like to have seen him sprinting a little bit more than he had to there. You know what I mean?
Well, if you've never seen Usain Bolt sprint properly before, that's quick to them. They think that's impressive, which it was. So it's kind of what you're used to, really, isn't it, in live athletics? But I think there's millions of people, as we know, that would love to see Usain Bolt live. 80,000 people have had the chance this evening. But I know what you mean. No, he's not on full pelt.
No, well, he doesn't need to be. I mean, it's not a criticism of him. Why exert more energy than you need to? Now, interesting, when Sonia right at the beginning of the evening said the rumour around about the media down trackside was that he might run in the 4x4. So, Kath and Chris, let's come in on this. He's obviously won the 100. He's hot favourite for the 200. If they've got to win the sprint relay if they get it round, what would he add to the 4x4? And just remind everybody what you said, of course, off air about the American 4x4 team.
I think he could add a lot because the Americans are weaker at the moment in that event. They are dominant, like Russian women in the women's 4x400 metres and American women. America are normally so strong in 4x400 metre running because of their individual runners in the 400 and the 400 metre hurdles. They had no individual runners in the men's 400 metre flat. They have some good 400 metre flat runners in the hurdles. But if you bring Usain Bolt into that team with a weakened USA team, you're going to heighten your chances on a one-off run of a medal for Jamaica. Chris?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I'm sure you're going to get a medal here, 2:58. You know, it's not going to be a 2:56 type, 2:55 type event. And so at 2:58, yeah, Usain Bolt, I'm sure, could make a massive difference. You know, you put him together with the Jamaican quarter milers that are there, and they've got to be a sub 3-minute team. And a sub 3-minute team, they can be in the party to pick up some silverware.
How would he run a 400, Bolt? I mean, I know it's a question you can't really answer, but how do you think he would run it?
Well, you wouldn't put him on the last leg, that's for sure. You put him on the second leg or something like that, and you allow him to pace himself off the top guys. So you're saying, okay, get a quarter mile on the first leg, give the stick over to Usain, probably the third leg, because the third leg is a no-brainer leg. Give him onto the third leg.
Well, sorry, what do you mean by a no-brainer leg?
Well, it's no-brainer because you get in the band and he follows the guy that's in the lead. So let's say the Americans are in the lead. He hangs on the shoulder, and you say, or catch up the gap and hang on the shoulder and push the stick over to the Jamaican on the last leg to come and bring the baton.
To an orthodox 400 runner.
Yeah, he doesn't want the first leg because the first leg he's got to do. He runs an unorthodox lanes, a bigger stagger. On the second leg he's got to come in, and on the last leg, well, that's the business end.
Yeah, when I was an inexperienced 400 metre runner before the Olympic Games in 2000 and the European Championships in 1998, I was still a 200 metre sprinter. I didn't know how to run the event because you have to learn how to run it. I was put on the third leg because that's what's called the safest leg, because if you have a lead you can potentially protect it. If you don't have a lead you can potentially do some damage. It's where you put the novice, and that's where you could potentially
and it's quite easy, as Chris was saying, to send out instructions, you know, follow them. You know, no one. What you're actually saying is you're not expecting him, if he ran in the third leg, to hand over in the lead necessarily.
And Pugas as well, it's the shortest leg. It's only about 390 metres. The guy on the second leg, he does the most of the work. That's why, remember Big John Regis?
Yes.
I always cane him because he ran the shortest leg in our 4x4 in 1991 that brought him the bacon. Regis, if you're listening, the world knows you ran the shortest quarter.
He was just on the big screen, Chrissy.
Was he?
So he's watching the men's 200. He gave the crowd away.
He was running the extra 10 metres, which he says he rode him all these years. Well, it'll be very interesting. That's the war for Christian Malcolm in this final semi-final. I mean, clearly it will be thrilling for London if you have Bolt probably with 3 gold medals and then a tilt at the 4x4. Could you imagine the noise if they owned the chance of winning that?
That would be brilliant. The only struggle I have, I think Bolt, being Bolt, would want to run the last leg because he's a showman.
But you would be able to say to him, look, this is not your speciality, trust us. We need to put someone on there who actually not knows what they're doing, but instinctively knows what it's about.
Yeah, and he does run 400 metres. He has a personal best for 400 metres. Not anywhere near the time he should run with his 100 and 200 speed, but he knows how to run a 400 metres. And I think if you put him in any leg, especially the third, the novice leg, which we've discussed, he would absolutely fly. He would be a chaser. You put something in front of him, he would just track it down.
Can you imagine having Usain Bolt breathing down your ear? Right, anyway, that's for another day. We'll see exactly if that does happen. Here's Christian Malcolm in the final of these 200 semi-finals.
Well, like Laura Waitman in the women's 1500 metres and Lawrence Clark in the men's sprint hurdles, Malcolm will have his eyes here on a fastest loser spot. The second of those at the moment is at 20.37 seconds. And that would be faster than he has run at any stage this season. He's drawn in lane 5 over on the far side of the track. On his outside in 6 is Warren Weir of Jamaica, very impressive winner of his heat, and could make it a Jamaican trio into the final. To the inside of Malcolm is Maurice Mitchell, he in turn attempting to become the second American through to the decider tomorrow evening. And they leave their blocks over on the far side of the stadium, and they're called back, Darren Campbell,
it
for a false start.
Yeah, false start in lane 2. The Bahamas athlete Matua. Yeah, definitely looked like a false start.
Michael Matthew is looking like the guilty party, and
He knew.
So blatant was his false start that he even stumbled on his second stride.
He tried to stumble and go back.
Because he was trying to hide what he'd done, and it was a clear false start. And so the Olympic Games for Michael Mathieu of the Bahamas, 28 years of age, the Bahamian record holder, are over at the semi-final stage, and the sprints here have been mercifully free of false starts. And it's interesting, I was looking at some statistics offered by the IAAF coming in here as he gets a warm, sympathetic round of applause as he's invited and asked to leave the scene of the 200-metre semi-finals here. Statistics from the IAAF showing there are so few false starts these days compared to in the past.
Definitely, the sprinters have just... Oh, sorry, I'm just watching a second. I'm wondering if he's going to try and run under appeal. No. Discipline. The sprinters moaned about the new false start rule and complained, but ultimately all you've got to do is retrain your mind and stay in the blocks. You can't beat the starter, so ultimately the important thing is to wait. It is unfortunate, and he was a threat. With a season's best of 20.16, this now does give Christian Malcolm a further opportunity of qualifying into the final.
As Mathieu disappears down a tunnel just to their right, the remaining 7 athletes now settle into their blocks. Behind them is the long jump pit, and Brittany Reese of the United States has just jumped into the lead. The world number 1 this year leads the competition after 2 rounds. Christian Malcolm here in lane 5. He has Warren Weir of Jamaica on his outside. He's going to have to do some chasing in the home straight because Weir was mightily impressive in the first round heats. They're on their blocks then, the last semi-final. And second time they do get away, and Malcolm has Warren Weir on his outside to chase, and Weir in turn is being led by Chirandi Martina in towards the home straight, and there's 5 or 6 virtually in a line, and Weir quickens to join them in the lead. Weir now from Martina in second place, Malcolm is in 4th, Martina's finishing stronger at the 2, Martina wins from in second place. Warren Weir of Jamaica, and Christian Malcolm might just have come through into 3rd. 20.17 seconds is the winning time. I wonder, was it quick enough for Christian Malcolm? We'll wait for the times to appear on the scoreboards at either end of the stadium. Chirandi Martina of the Netherlands was first, 20.17 seconds. Warren Weir of Jamaica in 20.28 seconds, and Malcolm is outside the qualifying times despite the roars from the crowd as his name appears on the board in 3rd place, 20.51 seconds. It's not good enough to get him through to the final for the 2nd games in a row.
Well, Christian Malcolm actually got a very, very good start, but the American on his inside in lane 4, Mitchell, took the stagger out of Christian Malcolm and came into the bend in the lead, but then it became a tussle between Mitchell and Malcolm. Neither of them were in contention of finishing 1st and 2nd, because that was between Weir and Martina in 6 and 7. They both qualified easily, and unfortunately there is no final this time for Christian Malcolm. That would have been his 3rd Olympic final over 200 metres, but unfortunately he's not made it this time.
Let's hear from Usain Bolt then, who trotted, it seemed, the last 100 metres of his semi-final. Here he is for Sonia.
Usain, well, that looked like a Sunday stroll out there. How much did you have in reserve?
Well, a lot. The main aim was to run my turn. That was the focus. I went out there to work on my turn. I haven't done a lot this season, so I wanted to run a quick time around the turn, so I did just that.
Now, there's a big debate going on in our commentary box as to whether you could break the 19-second barrier here. Depends on the conditions, of course. What do you say to that?
Well, I think anything is possible. I have thought about it. I wouldn't say I'm not, but for me, if my turn is well and I execute right, it could be possible.
Now, there's also some speculation swirling around here that you might be asked to run a leg of the 4x4 for Jamaica. Is there any truth in that, Usain?
We have talked about it, but I don't think I'm in the shape that I wanted to be. Well, while I was here, then I probably do, but I'm not in shape right now.
OK, just assuming that they begged you to get a baton in your hand and to run one of these legs, which one would it be, do you think? Where could you most do damage for Jamaica?
For me, in the shape I think I'm in, I'll definitely run the 3rd leg. If somebody really run a quick 2nd leg and give me a chance, then I would do extremely well on the 3rd leg.
OK, now if you were a betting man, what chances of that happening here?
It's slim, very slim. Very, 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 very slim.
OK, thank you.
That's it then. He's going to run, isn't he? No.
He tried to say no so many times politely. Yeah. No, I'm not in the shape.
Yeah.
I'm not in the shape.
No.
Listen, many times the 4x4 guys would say to me, oh, will I run a leg of the 4x4? And Kath knows I'd always be too scared, because for a 100, 200 metre sprinter, our biggest fear, okay, because remember, sprinters like to look good. You've seen the guys trying to shut down and break. Our biggest fear is coming into that straight and having nothing left. Yeah. And that 100 metres, feeling like you're running the 200 metres and you're having no control of your legs, no control of your arms, and having to crawl across the line. You just
and look
don't
a
want
bit
it.
silly.
Yes.
I've seen our coach Linford Christie try one, Pugas. It wasn't pretty.
Really?
It was not pretty. He never did another one.
Argentina 2-0 up in the hockey. Great Britain's women struggling, really struggling. And Shara Proctor, Chris, come back to you in a second on this whole business of Bolt. Anyway, you two, I'm glad you two are right. You are the 400 experts. There they were punching the air, but they're the experts. Mike, Shara Proctor's about to go.
Over on the far side of the stadium, the lead is 7 metres and 12 centimetres. This is her second round attempt now over on the far side of the stadium. She hits the takeoff board. It looked to be very close to an illegal jump, and she gets a red flag. Steve.
Yeah, she again forward rotated, but just on the plasticine there. She's currently in 8th position, getting towards the end of the second round. If she stays there, she will proceed to the second half of the competition. And the lead at the moment, a big jump. Brittany Reese, 7 metres and 12 centimetres. Second place, 7 metres and 7 centimetres. Sokolova of Russia. So it's all in front of Shara Proctor. She knows what she needs to do. 4 jumps remaining.
Biggest night for 20 years for the women hockey players, and Alistair Eakin, it's all going horribly wrong at the moment.
Well, it looks very much as if Argentina have got a second goal from Carla Rebecki. She was set free down the left by Luciana Aymar, the superstar I was telling you about a little bit earlier. Fabulous stick work down the left flank. She released Rebecki, who worked it along the back line. Out came the British goalkeeper, Beth Story, to try to defend. She managed to wipe out the player, Rebecki, as she came forwards, but then left just a tiny little gap and a very small angle, and Rebecki, with one hand on the stick, steered the ball into the goal, which has now been awarded after much debate. Sean Curley, all the GB players surrounding the umpire again, questioning the decision and suggesting it should have been referred to the video technology.
Well, interestingly, it looks like Aymar actually ran slightly out of play. The umpire didn't spot it, but it was outside the 25, and you can only refer for a goalmouth incident but if there's an offence in the 25 and not outside. So in fact, Great Britain have not been able to refer that.
So 2 minutes left to play. The goal has been awarded regardless, and Barrio Nuevo's early penalty corner, along with Carla Rebecki's strike now, has put Argentina 2-0 up in the match. The bronze medalists from Beijing, the world champions, ranked 2 in the world, GB ranked 4, but this their golden opportunity tonight in front of a home crowd. But things are not going their way for the time being. They've spent so much time defending, Sean, haven't they? And that will have sapped the energy and the concentration.
Yeah, I mean, it will, but they have no choice. They have trained. They are supposed to be the fittest side here. They've scientifically organised their training to make sure that they are. So they're going to need to use it tonight. No holding back now. They have to get back in this game somehow, and that will be by pushing up and really getting in the faces of this Argentinian team.
A minute left in this first half. The one bright moment was an Alex Danson shot on the reverse stick inside the circle, which hit the side of the goal. It was a terrific effort with not much of an angle to work with. But other than that, no opportunities, and they really haven't pressurised inside the D, which of course is where you can win those penalty corners, and their routine is so strong. You just feel if they're to be successful tonight, they have to have a number of those set piece chances. Krista Cullen has been lethal, and she needs the opportunity, but Argentina's defence has been very, very strong, and they've taken their chances with 30 seconds left to play in this first half. This first opportunity that Great Britain have had to get inside a gold medal match at the Olympic Games. They won bronze, of course, way back in 1992. In 96, it wasn't so much a semi-final as a bronze medal playoff game in Atlanta. They lost to the Netherlands on penalties. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these players out here. 6 seconds left to play. Argentina will have possession of the ball and the clock is ticking down, and I think that will probably be the last play of the match as the hooter sounds. Argentina 2, Great Britain 0, and Sean Curley, for the moment, Danny Kerry's side are being well beaten.
Well beaten indeed. An early flourish from Great Britain, but possession, putting pressure on for the first 5 minutes, but all of a sudden Argentina broke down the other end. First attack, penalty corner, goal, and then Great Britain from that moment looked rocking back. Argentina then had most of the game, bossed it, and managed to force that goal just before half-time, so deservedly 2-0 up at half-time.
That's the scoreline, Mark.
Sean, it needs to be the team talk of their lives now, doesn't it? But it's no good giving the old throwing teacups. What sort of structure does the team talk need to take?
Well, it needs to be calm. I mean, these guys have done it. I mean, Danny Kerry, he's done all the research. He beat this team twice in May in the test event. So there's no panic in many ways because they know they can beat them. It's all about the whole effort that's going in and making sure when they get up front, they get something out of it. So it's about putting a performance in the second half. So Danny will be talking about performance. He won't be giving them grief. He will be just giving little bits and pieces for them, a bit of hope for them to get back into this match.
Sean, thank you very much indeed. We're just going to speak about beach volleyball in a second, but I just want to finish off this conversation with Kath and Chris about what Usain Bolt said. So first of all, you say the fact that he mentions the third leg, you know, if we're playing sort of Inspector Morse here, they've had a conversation about it within the team, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, my friend, one thing's for sure, you don't talk what you don't know. And so that tells me quite clearly that somewhere along the line there has been that conversation to Mr. Bolt, and certainly spent time thinking, you know, when I was a boy, I thought as a boy, and my favourite toy was running a quarter miler. He was a quarter miler before he transferred to do the rest of the stuff. So I'm saying to you that somewhere back in the recesses of his mind, he knows I've got to do the quarter something. I've got to be a man, my son. The 1 or 200, I'm playing the boys' game, but one day I've got to be a man, my son.
But to be honest, he will of course always be asked. It's whether he goes that one step in his mind and in his body. And let's be honest, at this moment in time, he doesn't have to.
He ain't going there, forget it.
He doesn't have to yet.
Listen,
but of course he'd have been asked, you want the fastest men there?
When you're one of the fastest men in the world, regardless what anybody... Listen, when I first started running, everybody said I was going to be a 400-metre runner because I had long legs. At the point where I could be one of the fastest in Britain, I weren't going into that pain zone. Why? Yeah. Why? Why would I run 400, which is far, when I could run 100 and 200? That ain't far.
Quickly, can I just say, Regis used to say this to me. The 400 metres, when you run the 400 metres, you run ugly. And when you run ugly, you feel pain. And no one can pay me enough to run ugly and feel pain. So I know what you're saying, Dan.
Yeah, but and Regis, if Regis could have run good hundreds, he wouldn't have run the 4.
Just quickly, because we've got a journalist standing by. The other thing was he did talk again about breaking this 19-second barrier in the 200.
Yeah, but then he also kind of gave you a little hint into where his fitness is at, because he also said I'm not fit enough to run the 4.
Wow. And he won't have to. 1950, he cleans up this 200.
Oh no, it's not a question whether he's going to win or not. It's a question whether he's going to break the.
Yeah, but what I mean is, so because he doesn't have to, he won't. Yeah. He'll run 1950 jogging and say, "I'm the man."
He needs to be fearful of those guys to go and do those times. It's going to be difficult to run it on your own, I think, especially if you haven't done the fitness. You know, we got to remember going into Beijing and going into Berlin, he was in fantastic shape. He was worried about a few different people, and it's just a totally different mentality. There was nothing that Johan Blake did then to make him think I'm going to have to pull out something magical tomorrow.
Well, it'd just be wonderful. I think we're just, I'm just trying to chivvy him along. Come on, Usain, break that 19-second barrier, and you want to run the third leg. Just get on with it and run the third leg. I know Sonia will keep asking him, which is great. We're going to speak to Anthony Quintano from the American network NBC, because, of course, it's an all-American final in the women's beach volleyball. Anthony, great to speak to you on 5 Live Sport. How big is this final back in the States?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's to have United States, no matter what, win this medal. I mean, regardless, these names are very popular in the beach volleyball community, and everybody's excited for all of them, no matter what.
Are they more excited because it's an all-American final, therefore clearly the medals are all settled, or would they rather the tension and the jeopardy of a final against somebody else?
I think a lot of people are rooting for Jennifer Kessie and April Ross. They want to see them get that medal, that gold medal.
It's a great setting. We love looking at it. It's obviously a setting that we're familiar with. How has it gone down back home, the Horse Guards Parade setting?
Oh, I think everybody has said that this is the most beautiful venue here in London, and the most exciting. The crowd here is into the beach volleyball as it is back home in the States.
I mean, it's an interesting mix, isn't it, of top-class sport, and yet you've got the music, you've got the guy on the PA getting everybody clapping. It's quite a clever mix of sport and leisure, isn't it?
It is, and it's exactly, you guys, it's exactly as it is back home in the States.
Yeah. And do you think it's going down well generally, the Olympics, the London Olympics back in the States?
Absolutely. Bringing beach volleyball is definitely more of a younger crowd. And it's definitely brought more of that younger crowd to watch the games, the Summer Olympics.
Okay, Anthony, thank you very much indeed. Anthony Quintano is from the American network NBC, and the beach volleyball is an all-American final. Right, I think we'll leave Usain Bolt alone, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's had enough airtime for this evening.
Yes.
I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure there's more to come.
Will be when he runs the 4x4.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm loving you. You're my kind of man. I'm loving you. You keep on going.
Come on, Usain. It's been a brilliant London Games. Your reception, as we said before, you transcend all national barriers and boundaries. Everybody wants you to run. You're going to win the 200. You'll get the 4x1 baton round. You'll win that. Come on.
Sorry, no, what I was going to say, he's clearly thought about it.
Yeah.
Because he knows which leg he'd run.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what the boys
I never got that far.
You were never offered a number, were you?
No, they asked me, but I was like, nah. Let's see after the 200.
Yeah.
Darren said the 5th leg.
Yeah, exactly. The reserve leg. Right, let's build up. The barriers are going out. The women's 400 hurdles final. No Perry Shake Straight. We saw her just not quite squeezing through the other day. So give us the runners and riders and where your money is.
I'll tell you what, it was just great seeing these ladies come into the arena. Very impressive physiques. And this is going to be a boss race. I can't see any further. There's only one woman here. She's a woman on a mission. She didn't make the Olympic Games last year, 4 years ago, but she's come back. She's a world champion. Lashinda Demus is where my money is going to go. But I tell you what, she ain't going to have it all her own way. The young Nigerian, she's been a massive surprise package. Odomosu will be having some of the action down in the home straight. But of course, our Russian world leader, Antyuk, Natalia, will want some of the piece as well. What do you say?
She doesn't get a build-up, Chris.
Yeah.
Dimas and Antyuk. Yeah. No, it's a good shout from the big man, to be honest, Pooh, because I think there's going to be a real battle, and my money's going to go on Natalia Antyuk, the world leader. She's one of very few Russians who actually comes out of Russia and performs well on the world stage, because they always seem to perform well in the home country for whatever reason. Look. Perform, but I think it's going to be a big battle there with the people that Chris said.
Look at her, Kath. I mean, you've got on the screen, she's a very impressive female specimen, wonderful, and I'm not being funny, but her thighs, athletic thighs.
You're talking about Antyuk here.
Antyuk, yeah. She's got horsepower.
She's got great flat speed as well over the 400 metres, which is always, of course, a Brucey bonus in the 400
Now,
metre.
you've been teaching me all this week. The fact that they're in lanes 5, 6 and 7, sometimes you say there is an advantage because you can see what your competitors are doing. Sometimes that's a disadvantage because you start worrying too much about them and not running your own race.
Yeah, I think as we saw in Felix Sanchez ran from lane 7, I think lane 7 is going to be a great lane for Demus. She can't worry about anybody else. She's going to be the rabbit. She's going to get scared. She's going to get out of the hole and stay out of that hole, and I expect to see a fresh air between her and her competitors as she comes off hurdle 8. Hurdle 8 is the one that comes out of the bend, and I don't think they're going to catch her. They're going to try, they're not going to catch her. But you're right, Antyuk is going to make it a real tough battle down home straight, but I think she's battling for second with Odomosu.
There you go. Chris is going Demus, I'm going Antyuk, and then Mike can introduce us and take us through the runners.
Just to say, the hockey's about to start the second half on Olympics Extra. Great Britain's women are 2-0 down to Argentina. Remember, if they win, they're guaranteed a medal. It's their biggest match for 20 years. The first half has really gone against them. They're 2-0 down. It's on Olympics Extra.
Yes, one of the surprises here, as well as the elimination at the semi-final stage of Perry Shake-Strayton, who was reinstated and then thrown out again at the expense of Denisa Rosolova, who's in lane number 3 here. Melaine Walker of Jamaica, the defending champion, also failing to get through. There are 3 Americans in the lineup, and the first of them, Teraya Brown, is drawn on the inside in lane number 2. Then it's Denisa Rosolova of the Czech Republic in lane 3, ex-wife of Lucas Rosol, who beat Rafael Nadal in the early stages at Wimbledon just a few weeks ago. Susanna Hejnova of the Czech Republic is in 4. Then Natalia Anchuk, who is the world leader for Russia so far this year, 53.33 seconds. On all-rounder, she finished 6th in the 400 metres flat behind Christine Ohurugu and Nicola Sanders at the World Championships in 2007. That's Anchuk in 5. Odomosu of Nigeria in 6, Commonwealth Games champion 2 years ago. Demas in 7 for the United States. The third American, Georgianne Moline, is in 8, and Kaylee Spencer of Jamaica is on the outside in lane number 9. They're settled into their blocks then for the first time, and this is the women's 400 metres hurdles final at London 2012.
Set.
And the gun sets them on their way after all the success for America's men in their discipline. No American woman has ever won this particular event. Is Lashinda Demas about to end that barren run as they head down the far side? Natalia Anchuk, the fastest in the world this year, has gone off in pursuit, and these two are dominating the race at this stage, and Anchuk is starting to close down as they go over the 5th barrier, and it's the Russian who has the lead from Demas in 2nd place. Spencer of Jamaica on the outside is trying to stay with them. She was 4th at the last 2 World Championships, and she's in contention. These 3 are clear of the field at this stage. Anchuk has a narrow lead over Demas in 2nd place, and it seems as though Anchuk is far too strong. There's 2 metres between them. Hejnova is finishing strongly for the Czech Republic over the final barrier, and Anchuk now is trying to hold on, but Demas is closing with every stride, but Anchuk just leans and dips and holds on and wins the Olympic 400 metres hurdles title in a time of 52.72 seconds, by some distance a lifetime best for her. It's the fastest in the world this year, just outside the Olympic record, but that's of mere importance for Natalia Anchuk, because she is crowned the Olympic champion in the 400 metres hurdles, despite that brave late challenge from Lashinda Demas of the United States, with Hejnova taking bronze for the Czech Republic.
What a fantastic race. The 2 big contenders were Anchuk and Demas, and it went right down to the wire. It looked like Lashinda Demas had the momentum coming off the 10th and final barrier, but Anchuk ran a superbly balanced race. She is so smooth over those barriers that she just had enough strength over the last few metres to hold on. And once again, as you said, Mike, the USA have not won a gold medal in this event, but Natalia Anchuk, she came here as the world leader. She was nervous before the race. They go across the lines on the big screen. You saw her on the screen, very nervous and tentative. These are important times for athletes. You have to concentrate, and she, Chris Akabusi, delivered when it really, really mattered.
Hats off to you, Kath. You know what you're talking about. Akabusi, sit down, shut up. But what I've got to say is Lashinda Demas, I mean, to run 52.77 and not come away with a big G, that's telling me something. That's telling me that some monster woman, brilliant woman, unbelievable woman was in the house. I know we're going to go across to the long jump in a minute, but let's carry on this conversation. I am absolutely hats off to you, Natalia Anchuk. You look brilliant. You ran brilliant. Worthy Olympic champion.
She really was. She guts it out when she needed to after the last hurdle, just to hold off the fast finishing Lashinda Demas. Back to this in a second. Shara Proctor's getting the crowd going on the far side.
Yes, she is. She's in 8th position, and so will go through to the last 3 rounds of jumps if she maintains that position. 6 metres and 55 is her best mark so far. The lead is held by the American Brittany Rees, 7 metres and 12 centimetres. The bronze medal position, Radovica of Latvia, is 6.88, and that is within the compass of Shara Proctor for the 3rd time down the runway out towards 7 metres, but you can hear from the silence in the crowd that it's not enough. Steve Backley.
And her reaction tells us everything. She sort of just sits in the sand looking almost nonchalantly back down the runway. It's going to not improve, but at this halfway stage she is in 8th place. She will get another 3 jumps, and she will get a chance to possibly climb into I don't know, maybe a medal position. third place at the moment, 6 metres and 88. She has jumped further than that this year.
Steve, is she actually trying too hard? There doesn't seem to be the smoothness that we saw in the first round jump, nice and relaxed. It almost seems like the anxiousness of the crowd is slightly maybe getting to her.
Yeah, I totally agree, Darren. She looks tense, tight on the approach, tight on the board, just trying to force it rather than let it flow. Do you know what? Comps can turn around, though, at the cut being the halfway stage, top 8, get the further 3 jumps, and then in reverse order they will jump. She might just relax in now.
Shara Proctor then with work to do if she wants to get a medal in the long jump. Great Britain's women with a lot of work to do if they want a shot at the gold medal. Alistair Eakin.
Certainly there is much work to be done. Argentina leading by 2-0 with half an hour of this match left to play. They were awarded a penalty corner, Sean Curley. Krista Cullen has been knocking them in with great alacrity in the run-up to this particular match. 7 out of 16 had been converted prior to tonight, but this occasion it was very well blocked by the Argentine defence.
Yeah, they've looked at the tape and they know what's coming, and they charged straight down the line and defended it well. But my comment at half-time, would they have a nice team talk? No, they didn't. I think they had a bit of a hard time and came out looking very resolute and a bit moody, and they've actually played really well in the first 5 minutes of this half.
Yeah, playing with good intensity, good tempo as well. Ashley Ball had a shot which she fired well wide of the goalkeeper. The goal was never likely to be troubled by it, but it just gave a little indication of the intent that GB are now showing. Argentina 2, Great Britain 0, 29 minutes left.
It's live on Olympics Extra. Chris, let's just have one more on that hurdles. You have to have speed, you've got to have technical ability, and you have to have guts and desire. And she had that over the last when Demas was finishing the quicker.
Absolutely phenomenal. When it came out to coming out, Demas was the quickest out the first 3 hurdles, but Antwerp put a kick in down her back straight, which I wasn't expecting, and she came out on hurdle 5 and 6 up in the lead. But you saw Demas, when all of a sudden Demas caught sight of Antwerp, decided, this is my race, honey. Come over hurdle 8. Not that. That's when what Kath was saying. This girl, she doesn't just fight in her backyard. She fights in your yard. In fact, she fights in any yard, and she fought in Olympic Park. And you know what? A worthy Olympic champion.
She certainly is. And coming up now, nearly time for the fastest women in the world to line up for the 200 metres final.
And they get away first time, and she catapults herself from the blocks, does Shelly-Ann Fraser, and she's the athlete to catch.
You know, I'm not intimidated by anybody or what time they run. You know, whatever you want to run, if you want to run it, you have to run it in a race with me.
Jetta is closing on the run to the line, but the strength of Veronica Campbell-Brown is too great. Jamaica win. Veronica Campbell-Brown, twice the Olympic champion, is now the world champion. It's Jamaica against the USA. And Felix just extends her stride now and takes it up. The most graceful athlete in the world, Allyson Felix.
Having gotten those silver medals has made me work so much harder. I think about it all the time, and I don't want to take this opportunity for granted. And I've just really been pushing myself harder than I ever have before this year, and hoping that it all pay off.
Jetta just gets ahead in front in the closing stages and wins. Carmelita Jetta.
You have so many different hitters in there right now, and I believe everybody's going to show up. Everybody right now is running great times. Everybody's doing well, so I'm not underestimating anyone.
It's Sanya Richards-Ross from Ohorugu. Richards-Ross this time hung on. This time she timed it right.
Looking forward to this race so much. Just a quick word about the discus ceremony. Robert Harting, who we saw celebrating by jumping over the hurdles, he had a very, very large night. Apparently lost his accreditation, his kit, and slept in the tube station. But he's the Olympic discus champion.
And he's 6'8".
And he's
going to move him on.
No one is going to touch him.
He does look like Matt Dawson, though, doesn't he?
He looks like a bigger Matt Dawson.
A big Matt Dawson.
Yeah, they've got the same haircut, haven't they?
Same barber.
The same barber. But he looked quite fresh-faced, I thought, considering he can't have slept very much last night.
That's why you wear glasses. He looked absolutely knackered.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm surprised he even turned up, but we're glad he did.
Did they give him flowers or a bacon sandwich and a can of Coke?
I don't think
what did they give him? 200 metres final for women. What a lineup, Darren, this is. So, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, 100 champion. Veronica Campbell-Brown, twice champion in the 200. Sanya Richards-Ross won the 400, beat Christian Ohorugu. Allyson Felix, 3 times world champion over this distance. Carmelita Jetta, world champion over 100. What a lineup.
It's basically 5 Americans versus 2 Jamaicans. That's how I see it. It's anybody's race. Anybody can win it. What we've got in this 200 metres is a fantastic blend of speed endurance, and little bit of endurance too. And it's going to be one of those where if it plays out and people are able to hold their nerve, I think it's going to be a fight right the way to the finish line, and that would make fantastic viewing.
And to expand on what you said earlier, the interesting thing will be whether it's won by the 400 metres runners who can guts it out till the end, or the 100 metre runners who can maintain that speed.
You've got 100 stroke 200 metre runners, then you've got a 200 metre 400 metre runner, and then you've got a 100, 200 and 400 metre runner, and you know that's fantastic spice, because CAF would always like to feel that the 2-stroke 400 metre runners are better than the 100-stroke 200 metre runners. Michael Johnson, I'm sure if he was sat at this table, would also agree with that, although when he had to race Donovan Bailey over 150, he got destroyed. So it's just one of those.
Why would the 200-400 be better than the 100-200? I hope you're following all this at home. We're going to test you later.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. Why would the 200-400 runners be better than the 100-200, if that's what you're saying?
Well, I feel in a championship, it's just the rounds. It's down to the rounds, and obviously a very, very good 400 metre runner will have a very, very good 200 metre time because of the split, because it allows them then to let's say their PB is 20.5, well then they can run a 21, 22, 21 and a half split in the first 200 of a 400 and bring it home. So Michael Johnson was a fantastic exception to the rule. It doesn't really happen too often anymore in the men's sprints, because you've got the likes of Usain Bolt, so you're not going to find a 400 metre runner who can keep up with that type of pace.
And it's these two athletes that are special here that we're focusing on potentially for the medals, Mark. Alison Felix and Sanya Richards-Ross, the 200, 400 metre specialist in inverted commas. You look at their 100 metre personal best, they both run under 11 seconds.
Yeah.
They are very unique sprinters in the terms of they run fast over 100, 200 and 400, whereas Veronica Campbell-Brown, the Jamaican threat, will run fast over 100 and 200. Felix and Sanya Richards-Ross are very special athletes, and that's potentially, when you talk about why is 200, 400 better, with these two athletes, it is better because their 100 metre speed is absolutely awesome.
Whereas what was amazing with Michael Johnson is he was actually rubbish at 100 metres, couldn't run a good 200 metre time, which is crazy, because then when you think what he ran then over the 200,
really, what would
listen,
Frankie
Frederick was one of the most talented sprinters I ever trained with. I was fortunate enough to train with the likes of Donovan Bailey, Bruni Surin, Linford Christie, Frankie Frederick. I trained with some special people. Frankie Frederick, she could be doing a session and maybe having to run 21-second 200 metres, and Frankie Fredericks would be talking to you while she's doing it. Right. And I watched Michael Johnson come off the bend ahead of Frankie Frederick. To this day, I don't know how he did it.
What a field this is. This is one of the races of the Olympics, and make no mistake about that.
Only the men's 100 metres final so far has had a more attractive lineup than this. You've got the 100 metres champion moving up in distance, the 400 metres Olympic champion moving down in distance, and we have two 200 metre specialists who've dominated this half-lap event for the best part of the last 10 years. Myriam Soumaré of France, the European champion in Barcelona 2 years ago, is in lane number 2. For Trinidad and Tobago, Samoy Hackett is in lane 3. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price of Jamaica in lane 4, attempting to become the first athlete to complete the female sprint double since Florence Griffith-Joyner in Seoul in 1988. Veronica Campbell-Brown is drawn in lane number 5 outside her fellow Jamaican champion for the last 2 Olympic Games, first of all in Athens in 2004 and successfully defending her title in Beijing in 2008. Then Sanya Richards-Ross held off the late surge of Christina Horugu in a fascinating and thrilling finish to the women's 400 metres final. Alison Felix in lane number 7. Many pundits' idea as the favourite here, the specialist, 3 times world champion, twice Olympic silver medalist. She's drawn in lane 7. Muriel Ahure, who's a 100 metre specialist for the Ivory Coast, is in 8. And the 100 metres world champion Carmelita Jeter for the United States on the outside in lane 9. Silence once again ahead of a big sprint final. It's the women's 200 metres. And they're underway, and on the outside, Jetta gets a smart start, and so too does Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. But Veronica Campbell-Brown maybe has a slight advantage as they head into the home straight. And it's two Jamaicans being led now by Allyson Felix. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce towards the inside is challenging, but Allyson Felix has the advantage. Allyson Felix, 3 times the world champion, is now the Olympic champion, from Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce taking silver. Carmelita Jetta for the United States takes the bronze, 21.88 seconds. It's gold at last for Allyson Felix of the United States at the Olympic Games.
Well, Mike, we were so impressed with Allyson Felix's bend yesterday that we felt that if she could repeat that bend that she performed in the semi-final, in this final, that it was going to be difficult for the rest of the field to catch her. In fairness to Fraser-Pryce, she tried everything to get close to Felix, but the gap was too big, and my surprise was Jetta in 3rd place in a time of 22.14. Did not see that coming, but fair play to Allyson Felix, totally deserves this Olympic gold medal.
So Allyson Felix has broken the Jamaican stranglehold on the sprints here, winning the 200 metres, 21.88 seconds, the only athlete in the entire competition to break the 22-second barrier, and just so beautiful to watch.
That was fantastic, wasn't it, Kath? That really was magnificent to watch. You all said that Allyson Felix really should win it if she ran it as well as she can, and she did, which is also great to see at this sort of level.
And what's wonderful to see is that Allyson Felix, for me, is one of the most beautiful sprinters you will ever see running. She is so smooth, she is so fluid, she makes it look effortless. She did come here with the world lead. She's the only woman this year to run under 22 seconds. She was a big favourite, but she's been a favourite before at the Olympic Games, Mark, and she's got 2 silvers in her locker. This was Allyson Felix' year. It was just written in the stars from when she ran that world lead of 21.69 seconds. So I don't think any of us up here are surprised at the winner. But as Darren said, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce grabbing the silver, not too much of a surprise in a big PB, but Carmelita Jetta pulled that one out for the USA, didn't she? She was making sure there was the Star-Spangled Banner being represented somewhere, Chris, on that podium.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking, Sonia Richards-Ross, who would have expected to be up there, you can tell that 400 took a whole heap out of her.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm seeing there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that caught up. When she came out that turn, all of a sudden, monkey on her back, caught the fridge. Hey baby, remember that quarter? I'm back to say hello.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you look at Allyson Felix, Darren, and Sonia Richards-Ross, who've both been trying to win an Olympic title, having won everything else, and here they have. Here in London they have.
Yeah, well, listen, and it shows. If you keep persevering and you keep going and you keep believing and putting in the work, because ultimately you've got to put the work in training, that eventually you get the reward that you deserve. And I think, you know, for me, that's what the whole Olympic journey teaches you. Adversity is part and parcel of life, and what we've witnessed over the last weeks or so is Olympians constantly going out and defeating adversity, whether that's a season's best, a personal best, Olympic bronze, silver or gold. That's what the Olympic spirit is about. It's about testing yourself and seeing how far you can go. And I'm so pleased for Allyson Felix, because she has been the nearly lady. There has been many times where we've felt that she's the favourite and she's failed to deliver. But on this occasion, as I say, after that bend that she ran yesterday in the semi-final, it was really difficult to see anybody else being able to beat her. All she had to do really was repeat that, and you could see up the straight, as much as the others tried.
She's a very graceful runner, isn't she? What a lovely runner to watch. She really is.
There's nothing worse than watching some, and that's what I was saying earlier about Frankie Fredericks. Yeah. You would be running next to Frankie Fredericks. Frankie Fredericks would be bouncing like that, and you're next to him going, and he's going, "Come on, Darren, keep the shoulders down, keep the arms going," and you're thinking, mate, you know,
I'm really trying.
Yeah,
here.
You're taking the mickey.
Yeah.
You're taking the mickey. But it's all those things that show you the levels that you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Why? Because then when the youngsters joined in with me, I did the same.
Right, let's go to Steve, and it's not good news on the long jump, Steve.
No, as I hoped and anticipated that Britain's Shara Proctor may have advanced to the second half of this women's long jump final. In fact, the very last jump of the halfway stage saw the Russian Kolchanova go beyond the Brit, and unfortunately that means it's the end of Shara Proctor's Olympic campaign with a best of 6 metres and 55. She finished in 9th place.
Thank you, Steve. This is BBC Radio 5 Live with Mark Pugac and the team. We're live at the Olympic Stadium at 9:05.
This is the Olympic Station.
An Olympic dream is realised.
London 2012.
On 5 Live.
And Alison Felix strikes Olympic gold at last in the women's 200 metres.
And it's two Jamaicans being led now by Alison Felix. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price towards the inside is challenging, but Alison Felix has the advantage. Alison Felix, 3 times the world champion, is now the Olympic champion.
Usain Bolt cruises through to the men's 200 final. He's joined by Johan Blake. Russia's Natalia Anchuk won the women's 400 hurdles. Lisa Dobrisky and Laura Wakeman are through to the 1500 metres final. Hannah England misses out. Shara Proctor is out of the women's long jump. Coming up, promises to be one of the races of the Games, the final of the men's 110 hurdles. And at 10 o'clock, Tom Stalker fights for a place in boxing's light welterweight final. On Olympics Extra right now, Great Britain's women 2-0 down to Argentina in the hockey semi-final.
Remember, you can catch every Olympic moment right here on 5 Live and also over on our new digital radio station, 5 Live Olympics Extra. And if you miss it, catch up later on the BBC Sport website. This is the Olympic Station.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
I'm Faye Ruskay with the BBC 5 Live News. The boyfriend of a missing 12-year-old's grandmother has returned home after being interviewed by police about her disappearance. He wasn't arrested and was being treated as a witness. It's believed he was one of the last people to have seen Tia Sharp before she went missing on Friday. The Chancellor George Osborne has defended his economic policies despite the Bank of England predicting the economy is unlikely to grow at all this year. He said he agreed the outlook was disappointing, but said the government is working to address the challenges the economy faces. One of 2 men accused of taking money from the British honeymooner Shrien Dhewani to kill his wife in South Africa has been jailed for 25 years for murder. Mr Dhewani denies any involvement in the death of his bride Annie in Cape Town in 2010. And London 2012 organisers say their system to sell unused tickets has been a success. There were rows of empty seats at the start of the Games, but Locog says around 13,000 tickets are now being reallocated every day.
Let's go straight to the Riverbank Arena. Great Britain's women's hockey players really need to turn it around, Alistair Eakin, and quickly.
They're running out of time here, Mark. 13 minutes left to play. Argentina 2, Great Britain 0. They have had opportunities in this half. They've had the penalty corner, which was blocked, the shot from Krista Cullen. Ashley Ball fired wide. Danson's had a couple of chances. And just a moment or two ago, as the Argentines break up towards the GB goal once more, Helen Richardson found herself in a huge amount of space inside the circle. She also had time. It was a golden opportunity and she mishit the ball wide. She scuffed it and it just went wide of the goal, and that was just absolute killer as far as Great Britain were concerned. Sean Curley, very, very disappointing.
Well, they've worked hard. They've created the chances they've needed, really. They've had a corner. They've had 2 shots on goal. So they just haven't put it in the net. They haven't made it count in the danger area.
Well, the tempo is rising here, as is the temperature and indeed the restlessness of the crowd. Argentina 2, Great Britain 0. They have 12 minutes left to play to get inside the minds and the souls of the Argentinian players and try to find a place in the Olympic gold medal match.
It's live on Olympics Extra. If you want to have commentary from Al and from Sean, you can do so. There's a Mexican wave going around the Olympic Stadium as the hurdles are put out for the final of the 110 hurdles. Colin Jackson's a former world record holder, and here is his prediction.
Darren Robles is not really arriving here with much form. The fastest man in the field is Aries Merritt from the United States. And Lu Zhang is out of the game with an Achilles injury. So for me, if I was going to hang the gold medal around somebody's neck, it would be Aries Merritt at this moment of time. He's the most consistent hurdler out there, and he's beaten everybody more than they've beaten him. So he's got to start as a favourite.
Chris Akabusi, Merritt is the one to beat, says your pal Colin Jackson.
Well, watching him today, I think he's got to be right. The way he went out there, he looks quite peerless. He was effortless, flowed over the hurdles. He comes into that final now with the fastest time of the games, and I can't really see past him. But of course, he won't have it his own way, all his own way, because as we've said, there are 10 barriers to come over, and at any one of those, the boogeyman can come and get you.
Well, as we we've seen in Olympic finals before, haven't we? Particularly the women's Olympic hurdles finals, Alison. We've seen those hurdles quite literally trip up Olympic dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Gail Devers comes straight to mind. You know, when you're flowing, when you're flying, when you're really at the peak, you just clip that hurdle with your trail leg and it just knocks you for six. As we heard Colin Jackson speaking earlier, they're travelling around about 20 mile an hour, 21 mile an hour. And all you need is your trail leg toe just to clip the top of the hurdle. If you're not ready for that, it throws you off balance and you're out of there. I mean, Lawrence Clark, look, he's got a lane in the final. You know, I'd love to make similarities with the fact that lane one was where Colin Jackson back in '88 got a medal from that lane when no one thought anything of this guy. But I just think these Americans right in the middle of the field there are just too hot. Richardson and Merritt, and then you throw in there Robles, who knows what it's like to win on a big stage. He's a beautiful hurdler when he's at the best. We've just not had a lot of form this year. He's had a back problem, which, you know, you definitely don't want when you're going into hurdles trying to get over these 3'6" barriers.
The only thing I could say for the other people's favour, and I've seen it before, when someone has such a good first round semi-final, they can get ahead of themselves. You know, Richardson quite clearly is a class apart as far as these games are concerned, but you can get ahead of yourselves. You can all of a sudden put it on the medal on yourself, and before you know it, it is easy
to start believing everything, all the hype,
your own success, your own showboating. Because when people look around and start jogging off the last hurdle, they're showboating. Believe it or not, showboating, and boom, all of a sudden, a surprise, someone's on your shoulder, they give me a bit of pressure, you clip a hurdle. This is not supposed to be happening, but they haven't been listening to your script.
I mean, it's interesting. You want to clear as Colin Jackson said earlier, clear the hurdle with the smallest margin possible. I mean, it's like tennis, isn't it? Get the ball over the net by the smallest margin possible. But of course, a slight miscalculation, and it's all over. Your medal's gone.
And everything here is about margins, it's about shaving it down, You know, when people here try to raise the bar, they know it's a thickness of a vest that's going to separate the winner from the also-rans. So all the time they're taking small margins and really trying to get one over the rest of the teams.
Is a world record a ridiculous suggestion at this stage?
You know what? Yeah. Not ridiculous. Is it ridiculous? Ridiculous? No. Likely? No.
Lawrence Clark is whipping the crowd up, as you can hear there, as he's introduced in lane 2. Andy Turner didn't make it through, but Lawrence Clark did. Quite enjoys the stage. Quite right too. You've got to enjoy the stage. No point being cowed by it.
Look, how often are you going to get 80,000 people chanting your name and cheering? And quite rightly, he stands there, tries to compose himself, but you just see that little smirk start to appear. And Lawrence Clark has done absolutely tremendously well, and funnily enough, is coached by Malcolm Arnold, who took Colin Jackson to all his medals and greatness. I think he will enjoy this, and we're going to see a lot more of Lawrence Clark on this stage.
110 metres hurdles final here then at London 2012.
Well, this 6th evening of athletics competition has been a wonderful festival of sport, with the crowd getting engrossed in so many of the events, even though there haven't been too many Britons in medal contention. And this is the last of the track finals this evening. Lawrence Clark then, as you heard, drawn in lane 2, qualifying with a lifetime best as a fastest loser. Lehan Fourie for South Africa is drawn in lane 3, gold at the recent African Championships. Jason Richardson of the United States is in lane number 4, won the World Championships last year after Dairon Robles of Cuba was disqualified for interfering with Liu Shang in the closing stages. Dairon Robles himself is in lane number 5, the reigning Olympic champion, but hasn't broken 13 seconds since Olympic year 2008. He is also the world record holder. Will that be lowered this evening by the man drawn to his right, Aries Merritt of the United States? 4 times in succession under 13 seconds this season, and a blistering 12.94 seconds in his semi-final, by far the quickest of the qualifiers for the final. Hansel Parchment of Jamaica is in lane number 7, finished second behind Merritt in his semi-final. The former world champion Ryan Brathwaite of Barbados is in lane 8. And then the second Cuban in the lineup, who beat Robles earlier in the season, Orlando Ortego, on the outside in lane number 9, down at the far end of the stadium. They settle into their blocks. Nervous moments ahead. The biggest moment of their lives. It's the men's 110 metres hurdles final at London 2012. And they blast away from their blocks, and Merritt does get a good start, but so too does the defending champion Dairon Robles and Richardson. But Merritt hits the front at halfway and now starts to storm clear. It's Merritt against Richardson and the clock, and Merritt wins in 12.94 seconds. It's an American 1-2. Jason Richardson comes through to take silver, and Hansel Parchment of Jamaica takes the bronze as Dairon Robles once again pulls up injured, and so his reign as Olympic champion over. And the new man is Aries Merritt of the United States.
A fantastic race. The man that we all thought would take the title has now had his time rounded down to 12.92, a fifth time under 13 seconds, and a personal best for the American 1-2. I think Lawrence Clark might have sneaked, well, I'd like to say fourth. It was very tight for fourth and fifth between himself and the Cuban on the other side, but so sad to see the reigning Olympic champion Dairon Robles. We know he's had so much pain and trouble all year. So sad to see him limp in.
And a Jamaican national record for Hansel Parchment in third place, but it's an American 1-2. Yet again, the Americans have taken gold here for the 20th time, and Lawrence Clark 13.39 seconds in fourth place. It isn't a lifetime best, but it's a lifetime best performance, whatever the clock might say. Fourth place in an Olympic final for Lawrence Clark. He stamps himself here, the British #1, and at 22, what a future for him. The 20th gold medal then for the United States, and it's Aries Merritt, the champion.
Lots more reflections to come on that race, on the evening's athletics as well, but we're going straight to the hockey because Alice Saric and Great Britain are back in it.
Great Britain have a sniff, Mark. They have a goal back thanks to Alex Danson. The cross came in from Helen Richardson, and Danson launched herself goalwards, and the stick on the reverse steered the ball into the net past Mutio. So Argentina 2, Great Britain 1. There is only 4.5 minutes to play. They desperately need to find an equaliser to take this into extra time, and Argentina are on the ball midway between the halfway and the Great Britain 25. GB have been much brighter in this second period. They really have. They've been applying the pressure. Danson's had a couple of other shots. Ashley Ball and Helen Richardson has also fired the ball wide, Sean Curley. They have looked brighter. There's been much greater urgency. Can they find that leveller?
Well, they've scored one, they can score another. They've had enough pressure. They've been camped at times in the Argentinian 25, but Argentina have been so resolute at the back. They've been so clever at playing the ball around, keeping possession and running this clock down, which is what they've been trying to do all this half.
Barrio Nuevo sends it aerially in the direction of Unsworth, and here comes Cullen to the roar of the crowd. She breaks over halfway and feeds it to the left, where she finds Ann Panther. Panther to Danson, the goal scorer. Can she work some more magic? On the edge of the circle, still has the ball, working it to Cullen. Cullen getting inside the circle as she knows, stripped of possession just outside the D. 3.5 minutes left to play. Argentina 2, Great Britain 1. This the match of their lives for these particular British players. Danny Kerry has spoken so often of their resilience and their character and their determination and the work ethic that they have, the bond that they have with each other. They will fight to the last, this lot, as Bartlett gains possession of the ball for GB on halfway. Swivels turns 360 and approaches the 25. Still she moves forwards up towards the circle. Can she find an Argentinian foot? Yes, she can. Just outside the circle, taken on by Helen Richardson, who spreads it wide to Chloe Rogers. Rogers needs to hang on to the ball here, and Argentina, who have been so strong in that particular right-hand corner, managed to get the intervention, and it goes over the sideline, Sean.
Yeah, and Argentina, they keep proving that they've got a cool head on those shoulders in that position. Great Britain, they are playing their best, and in fact the last 5 minutes since they scored, they've really raised their game, but it might be a bit too late. Only 2.5 minutes left.
If only they'd found this sort of form just a little bit earlier. We have the Argentinian fans up on their feet, brandishing their blue and white flag down below us, as Barrio Nuevo, who scored the opening goal, moves up the left flank, but then Unsworth regathers it for GB, and they have the ball just outside the 25. Just over 2 minutes left to play, and Argentina come on the counter this time. Down the left flank, and the ball runs away from Flavenia Habif and over halfway So GB have the ball. Argentina 2, Great Britain 1. 5 live at the Olympic Games. Sally Walton on the ball as Great Britain's women look to book a place in the gold medal match. They need an equaliser. Unsworth sweeps it upfield and over the back line for an Argentine 16-yard hit. Sean Curley.
Yeah, the coach on the side, assistant coach on the side, pulling his hair out. Argentinian coach shouting at his troops. Both teams looking dead on their feet at times, but Great Britain, well, they're really exerting pressure, but Argentina cleverly just chucking the ball up the other end of the pitch and now pressing the British defence.
Yeah, aerially, route one. Oh dear, Kate Walsh has fed that straight to Luciana Aymar. Edge of the circle, Cullen is in there with the tackle. Aymar is down, and Argentina will have the hit just outside the circle now. Aymar is making a bit of a meal of the tackle as Argentina break forward again. Working it is Struoga inside the circle. GB a standing offer here, and Kate Walsh has the ball for GB. Out of defence they run. Sarah Thomas feeds it upfield, but straight to an Argentinian player. 55 seconds on the clock. 55 seconds for Great Britain's women to find an equaliser. Can they do it? They would move into a period of extra time. Unsworth crashes it upfield straight to the Argentinian skipper Aymar, who is a genius on the ball. She threads it wide, and up the middle they go. Inside the circle, trouble here for Beth Story. She comes out and makes the save. And Kate Walsh is on hand. And now the clock is ticking down. Just 30 seconds. Sarah Thomas has it. Bartlett breaks over halfway. Final throw of the dice for Great Britain. And the ball has hit Krista Cullen's foot. No. She got in a bit of a tangle as the ball is crashed inside the circle and Argentina clear the ball away. Was that the last opportunity, Sean?
No, still a bit of time. Kate Walsh is going to get that ball up forward.
10 seconds left. Here comes Richardson inside the circle, deflected wide and over the back line by Argentina. And there is only 3 seconds left to play. The ball is taken on by Thomas. She crashes it into the circle and the Argentinians are there in huge numbers. And Argentina are the winners by 2-1. They are guaranteed a medal. They are leaping for joy. They will win either gold or silver. And the picture in front of us here is a desperate one. Great Britain's players, every single one of them, are down on their haunches, their bodies heaving with emotion, disappointment writ large all across this blue hockey pitch at the Riverbank Arena. It's the end of the dream. The dream of the gold medal shattered. And to be honest, the hopes of a hockey nation for the moment shattered. The men, of course, still involved in the semi-final. The women will play off for bronze, Sean Curley. And to be honest, we can't have any quibbles about the result.
No, Argentina outsmarted Great Britain in the first half particularly, and Great Britain didn't really get going, really get going until the last 5 minutes, and that's too late. They came out in the second half, they really worked hard, they got back into the game, they didn't quite have the skills to get that goal earlier on, and then all of a sudden they did get the goal, but it was too late. The effort was there, but they couldn't quite do the job in the end.
Full time here, Mark. Great Britain 1, Argentina 2. The Argentinians will play Dutch for the gold medal, and Great Britain will play off against New Zealand for the bronze.
So Alistair's going to go off and get us some reaction to a bitterly disappointing night for Great Britain's hockey players. So I'll have a quick word with Sean about that. Sean, we were so upbeat. There were so many reasons to be positive about this evening. You say that the Argentinians had done their homework. Did Great Britain freeze at all, do you feel, given the circumstances and the atmosphere?
Well, I think the experience of Argentina showed. Did Great Britain freeze? No, I don't think they froze, but they just did the best they could. And I think Argentina, you've got to give credit to the way they played. Great Britain have beaten them in the test event here twice, but they didn't play anywhere near like this. And Argentina are a big tournament team. They've been in the semi-finals now in the last 3 Olympics. They've got a silver and 2 bronze. They know how to play these games. They've lost some of them as well, so the pain of that loss does stick with you for a long time, and you don't want to repeat it.
Now the key is they will be bitterly disappointed, but there is still a medal to be won there, Sean. The key is, as a coach, what do you let the team do? Do you let them mope for a little bit, have their moments being desolate, and then say, right, come on, go, or do you do that straight away?
Well, I think you've got to get the troops together, and you've got to say, right, guys, that was a performance. You did really well, as they did, got back into the game. We were just beaten by a better team, and there's no disgrace in that. And all he's then got to do is just try and lift them up, because you're right, a bronze medal. I've been in this position myself. I've lost in the first Olympics I went to. We lost the semi-final, and there's nothing so disappointing, because you end up thinking about, oh, what happens? We could end up with absolutely nothing out of this. So that is a thought. The thought of failure is in the minds. But, you know, at the end of the day, that is going to be a huge game. They want to end on a positive note, and a bronze medal is a fantastic achievement in anybody's book. Just look at what's happened in this Olympics all over the country.
And what is Great Britain's record against New Zealand like? Are they the sort of team that Great Britain should be confident of beating?
New Zealand have used the word achieved above their station. Great Britain, 3 places above them in world rankings. They have beaten them more times in the last 2 years than New Zealand have troubled Great Britain, and I think they do definitely have the beating of them, and I think they will get over the disappointment, and I think that they will come away with that bronze medal.
The men are in the same position tomorrow night. How confident are you for the men tomorrow, Sean?
Well, that's another matter. That's against the Dutch, and the Dutch are a technically proficient side. They haven't really had to extend themselves too much so far. They won their group quite easily. They won all their games, so they are really in a good position. But the one thing that Great Britain showed against Australia in that fight back to draw 3-3 is that they have got a game that can take on the best in the world if they can put together a long enough spurt. And in fact, if they can start in that way, they will really reel the Dutch. And the Dutch are a confidence side. If you can rattle them, they then start fighting with each other. And we all know, in all their sports, once they start fighting with each other, that's half job done. And I think Great Britain, they're not necessarily going to win it without working hard, but they can beat them.
Thank you very much, Sean. We're looking forward to that semi-final tomorrow night, even if it has been a disappointing night for the women, losing 2-1 to Argentina. So they'll play Argentina will play Holland in the final. GB will play New Zealand for the bronze medal. Let's go to Steve Parry, the beach volleyball, the bronze medal match and the final tonight, Steve.
I tell you what, it is nip and tuck here in the second set. America know that they're going to win the gold medal because they got both teams in the final. But if you remember, Walsh and May Trainer, they are going for their 3rd consecutive Olympic gold medal. They won the first set 21-16, and it's nip and tuck in the second. They haven't been more than a point away from each other. It's 9-9, and Walsh is currently serving. If they can take this set, they will win their 3rd consecutive Olympic gold medal. I'm concentrating between the volleyball and also the beautiful smell of the hog roast outside.
Oh. Well, you see, it's the whole package, isn't it? There's the sports, there's the spectators, there's the food outside.
And I'll tell you what,
there are some nice sights for you. I mean, it's all happening.
It's all happening down here. All the things you mentioned, including Bex has turned up. He's with his kids. He's 5 rows in front. Everyone is watching the beach volleyball finals.
Thank you. Let's go to the basketball, which has moved to the North Greenwich Arena. I discovered that today when I headed to the basketball arena to watch the basketball, but it's gone, Chris Mitchell.
Yep, we're over at the North Greenwich Arena. As you say, we've crossed the River Thames. No nip and tuck here really at the moment. Argentina leading Brazil in this heavyweight South American contest by 11 points. 6 minutes to go until full time. But you've got to hand it to these Argentinians. Average age 30. They won the gold in 2004, the bronze in 2008, and they've still got the team really that won the gold back in Athens. Luis Scola and Manu Ginobili, 32 and 35 years old respectively. Fab, that's amazing to be playing at this level at that age. You couldn't do that, could you?
I'm doing it now, but not on the Olympic level, Chris, at the age of 38. But they have lots of experience, and that's the difference between the Brazilians and the Argentinians right now. Every time there's a big play to be made, it's Ginobili or it's Scola, and the shooting percentage from Brazil is going away from them.
And we didn't have David Beckham here earlier, but we did have LeBron James and co watching the earlier matches. So we've got stars, we've got food outside. It's very much like the volleyball.
Thank you very much, guys. That's Fab and Chris, and the USA-Australia basketball, the Dream Team, on Olympic Extra from 10:15. From 10:15. We've got live boxing for you in the next hour and a review of the evening's athletics. All that to come. Coming up to 9:30 now. So that's news time with Faye Rusker.
on digital radio, digital TV, mobile and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The boyfriend of the grandmother of a missing 12-year-old girl has returned home after talking to police. Detectives say he hasn't been arrested and has been helping with their inquiries. Tia Sharp hasn't been seen since last Friday. The Chancellor George Osborne has admitted economic growth is disappointing after the Bank of England warned the economy would barely grow at all this year. The bank's governor, Sir Mervyn King, said that while inflation was coming under control, the recovery was a long and slow process. Police in Surrey are questioning a 31-year-old man in connection with an attack on an elderly woman who was tied up and doused in boiling water. 73-year-old Françoise Janssen was tortured during a burglary at her home in Weybridge on Friday night. A man's been jailed for 25 years after pleading guilty to murdering Annie Dewani on her honeymoon in Cape Town in 2010. Her husband, Shreyan, who's from Bristol, is accused of paying two men to kill her. He denies the claims and is awaiting an extradition hearing. And the Olympics organisers say a system to sell last-minute tickets to fans has been a success. After the empty seat scandal at the beginning of the Games, because corporate tickets weren't being used, LOCOG is now passing on 13,000 a day. Quick look at the roads in Hertfordshire. One lane of the M25 clockwise is closed between junction 21A at St Albans and junction 22 at the Bell roundabout. And just south of Coventry, the A46 is shut in both directions at London Road. Lots of congestion in the area because of a large fire. All approaches to the main roundabout are now closed while firefighters deal with the blaze on the industrial estate at Siskin Drive. Faye Rusco, 5 Live Travel.
5 Live.
Every story.
You'll be aware of this breaking story this evening of disturbances.
It's an absolute war zone.
Every moment.
We have an audience of around 150 people who were affected by the riots.
Every event.
In a sense, the Olympic Games are coming home tonight.
It's 5 Live, it's the opening ceremony.
This is completely different to anything we've ever seen.
What a moment that is.
To run faster, to jump higher, to be stronger.
And still to come, the London Paralympic Games. Plus, the Premier League returns on August 18th. Don't miss a thing.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
So we've got some live boxing for you to come in the last hour, and these are the headlines from the Olympic Stadium this evening. A tremendous night for the USA. Allyson Felix won the women's 200. Her countryman Arius Merritt, the men's 110 hurdles. Britain's Lawrence Clark finished fourth. Usain Bolt cruised through to the men's 200 final along with Johan Blake. Russia's Natalia Anchuk won the women's 400 hurdles. Elisa Dobryska and Laura Waitman are through to the 1500 metres final, but Shara Proctor went out early in the women's long jump final. Mike Costello, we were very excited on Saturday night when we saw, frankly, an evening we will probably never see again in British athletics history, with 3 goals in 44 minutes. But the Americans have dipped under that time.
They have. They've done it in about 25 or 26 minutes with goals, first of all, for Allyson Felix in the women's 200 metres, then Aries Merritt in the next track final, the men's 110 metres hurdles. And a few moments after that, Brittany Reese over on the far side of the stadium took her 6th and final attempt in the women's long jump and was crowned the champion. So 3 gold medals for the United States within half an hour, and that has elevated them to the top of the athletics medals table, replacing Great Britain, who now dropped down actually to 3rd place behind Russia, with Britain's 3 golds, 1 silver and 1 bronze, with 3 nights of competition still to come here in the stadium.
Steve Backley, was interesting because Brittany Reese, we saw qualifying for the high jump, not for the long jump, not very convincingly, and actually Shara Proctor did jump really well for qualification. It wasn't Shara Proctor's evening, but the American found her form when it mattered. That's the mark of a true champion.
And it quite often happens, you know, you go to qualifying, it doesn't quite work out, and you just get that wake-up call, and you come back strong. Brittany Reese there just dropped a bomb in the second round, way over 7 metres. And Shara Proctor just looking tight, 6.95. She jumped in the Olympic trials just a few months ago, and that would have featured tonight. It's a disappointing evening for the Brit.
And the javelin qualification, Mervyn Luckwell?
Real interesting. Mervyn Luckwell, first of all, he's had his first round throw. He's 21st to throw in this second ball. He's had a 40-minute wait. His first round throw just over 74 metres down in 12th place in the B qualifying. So out of what he would need to progress to the final on Saturday. But real interesting story emerging. Andreas Thorkildsen, twice Olympic champion, 2 previous games, through way over the qualifying mark. Vitaslav Vesely of the Czech Republic even. That's a bit of a tongue twister. The longest in qualification, over 88 metres. He's coached by Jan Zelezny. And the significance of that, of course, is because Jan, 3 times Olympic champion, is what Andreas Thorkildsen of Norway is trying to emulate.
So we'll keep our eye on that as we go to George Riley, coming towards the end of the second set of the beach volleyball final.
And it could be the final set as well, Mark, of the women's competition, because Misty May Traynor and Kerry Walsh-Jennings are 3 points away from gold. 3 points from a successful defence of their gold medal and 3 points from a third successive Olympic gold. But Walsh goes wide with the serve, so we're back to 18-15. As you heard from Steve, it's an all-American final as they take on April Ross and Jennifer Kessie, who were blown away 21-16 in the first set and are fighting to stay alive on the Kessie serve here. Great set from Traynor though, and cross court from Walsh. 19-15, 2 to go. Steve Parry, you've been hugely impressed with the standard of this match.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. And you know, these girls aren't 2-time Olympic champions for nothing. They have really got the bit between their teeth now. Unbelievable performance. And May Traynor, she really wants this. She's a big match player. She's got the ball. She's about to serve.
2 points away from another slice of history for Misty May Traynor. Oh, what a block as well! 2015 match point as they swap ends. Misty May Traynor and Kerry Walsh-Jennings.
She was unbelievable there, Walsh, wasn't she? The height that she got on that block, and that gives them the match point. Just got to get this serving.
David Beckham watches on, just a couple of rows in front of us. Match point. Match point saved. Lovely floated down the line effort from Kessie. But still, 2016. Match point number 2. Misty May Traynor waits on the right-hand side of the net. And it's long! The serve is long. Misty May Traynor and Kerry Walsh-Jennings sink to their knees in the sand. It's a third successive gold medal for Misty May Traynor, and Horsecars Parade is absolutely bouncing. Steve Parry.
They're absolutely loving it. But I tell you, Misty May Traynor and Walsh, they decided that after they won in 2008, they weren't going to work as a pair anymore. One went off to do celebrity television, the other went off to have a couple of children. They're back, they're victorious, and they are absolutely loving it.
The crowd are too. Straight sets, real symmetry on the scoreboard. 21-16, 21-16. It was all over in the blink of an eye, and Misty May Traynor grabs a little bit of history. They were far too good, Mark.
George, terrific. We can hear your enthusiasm there. That is Misty May Traynor. What a name that is, isn't it, Steve Backley? It sounds like the name of the horse. Yeah.
with a husky undertone there. Very good.
I've got 6-4 against George being able to do breakfast tomorrow morning with that voice. It might disappear in the middle of the night. But there we are. Steve Parry. Steve Parry, from Olympic bronze medalist to beach volleyball summariser. It's a strange world. Right. Sonia's with an Olympic champion.
I am. Alison Felix, bedecked in the star-spangled banner. Many, many congratulations. Finally, you're going to stand on the top spot of the podium. How much does that mean to you to take gold?
Oh my gosh, so much. It's been such a long time coming, and finally I put the race together, and I couldn't be happier.
I'll take you back to Daegu. There were tears after the 200 metres there because you got a bronze medal. I wonder, how much have you been running in this last 12 months to put that right and to take your spot as number 1?
You know, I was happy that moment happened because it taught me a good lesson, and it brought me back to the 100 this year, and I feel like that's been the difference, to have that aggressive speed, and it definitely paid off.
Yeah, and you, of course, got caught up in that controversial 100 metres at the US trials. I wonder, how much did that take out of you mentally?
You know, it was unfortunate because it was just, you know, it kind of overshadowed everything, and I just didn't want to lose focus, you know, something I had worked so hard for. So I just tried to, you know, keep in mind my goal and keep pushing.
Yeah, you're such a beautiful runner to watch. Is it as easy as it looks?
Not at all. Everyone always says that, but you know, and for me, it feels like I'm straining, but I guess it just comes off that way.
Absolutely. And what do you believe as an athlete you can go on to achieve from here, having finally got this monkey off your back, if you like?
I don't know. You know, well, I still have the relays left here, but I can see another games for me. I still have a passion for the sport, and I love what I do.
And we love watching you do it. Many congratulations.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
You can hear that, can't you, Alison? You can hear in her voice that she appreciates what Sonia says and how pleased she is. She is one of the most beautiful runners to look at. And as someone once said, if you're not making it look easy, you're not working hard enough.
You know, that was such a beautiful interview. You know, there was none... out of all the cracking athletes we've got here, just the world's best. I was so pleased to see Alison Felix finally get the gold medal, because she has promised so much, and when you've been world champion 3 times and never managed to get that Olympic title, but you do deserve it. And she came in here running 21.69, making that look easy. There was talk of 21, possibly 50 this tonight, but I think for her, she looks so serious on the start line, which I've never seen before. She wanted that badly tonight, and yeah, all credit to her. Fantastic race.
Just got a couple of minutes left. Steve, we've seen a young man in Lawrence Clark who's come here in an Olympic final in his own country and come 4th in the final. What at his age, what is he, 22? What does that do for him mentally, psychologically going forward from here?
Well, it's just got to be a massive confidence boost, doesn't it? To run a lifetime best in the semi, to come 4th in the final. It's been a great evening for him. And you know what? The world doesn't stop after these games. It might feel like it, but Rio in 4 years' time certainly beckons.
Well, Merritt's 27. Colin Jackson said that's his peak. That was his peak, that age of 27. So there's so much to look forward to. And Mike, we saw Usain Bolt sprint for about 100 metres and then jog for about 100 metres. And you've got the draw for the final as well, the lane draw.
Yes, he's drawn in lane number 7, which is just where he'd want to be. Now, when he runs on the Diamond League circuit over 200 metres and he gets a choice of where he wants to run, because he's the main attraction, he always chooses lane number 6. So if you consider that they're not using lane 1 here, in effect, he's in lane number 6. He's 3 from the outside, which is exactly where he wants to be, and that suits his long, loping, expansive stride, and it will give him every chance of completing the double-double. Never before done, and he said that he cannot be called a legend until he does that.
That's just worth bearing in mind. No one has ever done the double-double, and he is on course to do it. Thank you, everybody, very much. It's been a terrific night's athletics here. We've got plenty more for you before we hand over to Tony Livesey in just over 45 minutes' time. We've got live boxing on the way. Tom Stalker is captain of Great Britain, and tonight he can guarantee himself a medal.
The Commonwealth Games I went to was big and it was a great experience, but this is another level.
You're a fight away from a bronze medal guaranteed.
Do you know what? I'm just a local lad. Went off today, I basically went to boxing. That's transcended my life, and it's given me a goal from winning my first amateur fight to want to go on the novice under 10 championships, to win them, to win everything what I've won as an amateur. One goal's gone to another goal, and even though I've made the goal of being an Olympian, I never really thought I'd actually make an Olympian.
Stalker promised a war, and that's exactly what these two are managing to put together for us here at Excel.
The pressure's getting to the Olympics, and because I know deep down I've done all my work, I'm here to fight and I'm ready. So
can you actually imagine what it would feel like to stand on that podium with a gold medal around your neck and the national anthem being played?
I just think about having that national anthem getting played and like having a gold medal, and because it's in England, I couldn't. It's scary to think about it. I get a bit, because it's that's surreal. Hopefully I'll be the last one standing.
Stalker lands a left and a right.
Well, a lot of people start when they're 11, 12, and I've come from walking in the gym when I was like 18 after my nan died, and I had my first fight when I was 19, and I've just come such a long way. And that's what people say. People go like, oh, I wouldn't get where I've got, but if you keep believing and you keep working hard, you do get where you need to get. It doesn't matter, age is just a number. If you live a clean, healthy life, age is just a number. So
was that the turning point, your nan dying, and you then deciding I've got to turn my life around, and here you are today?
Yeah, it was my nan and my missus was having my little girl. I was only young, I was only like 17. I was like, bloody hell, I have to do something positive, and then I went to the gym. So
guess what? He's the Scouser from the Salisbury Club in Liverpool, and he loves a fight.
The captain of the GB boxing team.
I want to look back on it in a few years. I was captain of that team, and because of me, now it hasn't really sunk in what's really happening, because I know I've got a job to do, but it's unbelievable.
He's in the ring just after 10 o'clock tonight. Steve Bunce and Darren Fletcher, you heard that little piece, and they're our commentary team, of course. Darren, if there were medals for enthusiasm, he'd walk away with it.
You know what, I was just about to say exactly that, Mark. Whenever you see him, he's got a beaming smile on his face. He can't believe this whole Olympic experience. He's a guy, as you've just heard, that's turned his life around, and he's got this infectious enthusiasm. That's why he's the captain of the team. Rob McCracken wants that enthusiasm, wants him to move around the other boxers and keep them up. You know, he can't believe what he can get for nothing in the Olympic Village. He said he's got a bag full of free drinks and free food, and he's whatever he can get his hands on, he's taking back to Merseyside. But he's the kind of fighter, the kind of person that the crowd here at Excel will warm to, and I really hope he can do it tonight, because you can tell by what he says and how he feels, you know, just what this is going to mean to him if he can take a medal back to Liverpool.
Steve, what does captain of the British boxing team entail?
Well, obviously you get to be the person that has to attend anything official. Like, you're the one that shakes Princess Anne's hand if she comes into the village, although I did see her check if her watch was there after she did it. It's all of that type of stuff, but more importantly, and this is the real thing, you need to lift the team, keep them on an even keel. Now that's easier said than done, because a few boxers go out, and some of them go out easily, some of them go out in hard fights, and once they've gone out, even though you're preparing for a fight, you've got to console them, you've got to talk to them. That's why the boxers here have been given the option. The ones that have lost have been given the option. They can stay inside the system, or they can go home. In Beijing, they were encouraged to leave. Here they've been given the option, and we're not quite sure who has stayed. We believe all of them have stayed, and that's what Stalker has to do. But he's got that kind of thing. You talk about his enthusiasm, you talk about it being infectious. It's actually, if you want to know the honest truth, a bit of a pain in the jacksie for the training squad. So what they've done at their private training camp, they've got this special school they've got, secret location, slightly against Olympic rules, to be perfectly honest with you, and what they've had to do is give him 2 sessions a day to compensate for his energy levels, because he would have 7 bouts in the Olympics and be happy. And they need to keep his level of fitness up by giving him so much work to try and calm him down, if you can believe it.
Yeah. And Darren, we're talking about somebody who's been world champion, European champion, currently world #1.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic, you know, and the thing is, he's had to travel such a route to get here, you know, from the mean streets of Liverpool, where he's on the wrong side of the law. It took 1 or 2 life-changing situations for him to get things on track, and he didn't walk into a boxing ring until he was 19 years of age. He's 27 now, and here he is 8 years later at the Olympic Games and potentially boxing for a bronze medal. So he's a real story. It's Tom Stalker. He loves the microphone. He's never seen a microphone that he's not fallen in love with, and every time he walks to the mix zone here, he's got a word for everybody, wants to tell everybody what he can do. But the thing is, you make the point, he's a very good boxer. He comes into this event as the #1 in the world at light welterweight. With that brings expectation and brings a bit of pressure. He did fight a little bit pressurised in his first fight. Rob McCracken insists that the bout he had to kick it all off has settled him down a bit, and we'll see the best of Tom Stalker here in the boxing ring tonight.
And Steve, tell us about his opponent tonight.
Well, look, you know, I actually think that the seeding here has been a problem. In fact, Tommy Stalker told me about 3 weeks ago, he said, Steve, I'm not really happy with the seeding. I've been given a seed, but I'll be straight with you. There's about 10 people that I'd like to avoid. They're all really good fighters, and this guy's one of them. Last year at the World Championships, this guy was ranked at 2. Stalker was ranked at 6. He's a Mongolian called Uranchimeg. He got a medal at a World Championships in 2009, and this tonight is a really hard fight. I know we've been building up Stalker because he's cheeky and he's a chappy and he's a nice guy, but this is a really tough fight. And what's been happening, in fact, since the boxing tournament started and Lennox Lewis joined us, is that every night Stalker's wandering around. I think Lennox thought he was part of the physio team, because he comes and spends 10 minutes up here with Lennox, and in fact him and Lennox Lennox must have done 2 hours of shadow boxing with him. It's true, isn't it, Lennox?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a tough fight ahead of him. All he has to do is settle down. I think he's got the cobwebs out as well. He said he was trying really hard to knock the guy out, but this time he's going to stick to his boxing, move around the ring and get that jab working.
Darren, this is the first of many medals that the Great Britain boxing team, men and women, can pick up in the next few days.
Yeah, we're looking at 6, which is going to be the best total, provided Tom Stalker wins tonight. The best total the GB boxing team have managed, Mark, since 1920 in Antwerp. At the moment, they've got 5, which equals what happened in Melbourne in 1956. But these are very good times. These are the halcyon days for GB boxing. Already we've got fighters through guaranteed for a bronze medal. Nicola Adams early, the flyweight. She's made sure she's in the gold medal bout, so she's guaranteed a silver. Tom Stalker, because he's the last man to climb into the ring for the GB team, his bout tonight is for a guaranteed medal. The target was between 3 and 5. They won 3 in Beijing 4 years ago. So they're going to smash the target, provided Tom Stalker wins tonight. And when you think, Mark, they came here with 10 boxers, if 6 of them medal, that's a fantastic achievement.
And also, Pugas, just quickly, the mighty America came here with 12. They've got 1 woman in the medal position, 1 from 12. And we've got 5, and in an hour or so we'll have 6.
And as Bunsey mentioned, Mark, they were the dark horses for the event, the Americans. He fancied them for the gold.
There's no need for that, Fletch. There's no need.
It's like EastEnders. We play this episode every evening, don't we? Reminding Bunsey of his prediction.
Groundhog Day here at the ExCeL.
Do you know what, Mark? He gets so much right. It's the only thing I've got on him. That's all I could come up with every day.
We're really looking forward to this Tom Stalker fight. Thank you, guys. We'll just let you have a brief interlude before we come back to the ExCeL. For that, we're going to talk about Britain's swimmers, indoor swimmers, who failed to win a gold here at London. So tomorrow, attention turns to the outdoor, to the 10K open water swim. Kerry-Anne Payne is the world champion. Steve Parry will be there for us. Steve's been at the beach volleyball this evening. Steve, does this add any more pressure on the shoulders of Kerry-Anne Payne because of the lack of medals in the pool?
You know, I think with Kerry it probably doesn't, just because she was the world champion anyway. I mean, she's been the world champion a couple of times. She is the out-and-out favourite for the marathon swim, the 10K open water. So I think she was feeling a lot of the pressure anyway. But, you know, it certainly didn't help with the pool swimmers only getting 3 medals when the target was 5. So, yeah, I mean, I think the media's going to be looking for her to get a medal. But in terms of pressure on Kerry, she's just going to go out there and do her thing. I mean, this is a fast, tight course which is set up for Kerry-Anne. She is the fastest swimmer in that water.
And if she wins tomorrow, she becomes the face of the pool, doesn't she? Because of the lack of success in the pool itself.
Yeah, I mean, the British swimming talks about the fact that they had 23 finalists, which is more than they've ever had. You know, there's never been more than 3 medals since 1988. It was a good games, but it wasn't a great games. And I think there's been a big opportunity missed there for the swimmers, and I think they're the first to say that themselves. So there's stuff to sort out in the pool, but you're absolutely right. If she can get that gong, if she can get the big gold medal around their neck tomorrow, she will become the face of swimming, I believe.
Let me draw a parallel with that to what I've seen here this evening, which is Lawrence Clark reaching a final and running a personal best. Not getting a medal, no one expected him to be honest. Not many necessarily expected him to make the final, but he ran a personal best. That's been the problem with the swimmers, hasn't it? Not enough personal bests or season's bests, so not enough peaking, even if it wasn't going to win them a medal at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, I think we've got to be frank about this. I'm a huge swimming fan, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys on the team, but I think they'd be the first to admit if they'd swam close to their season's best, we'd certainly have 2 or 3 more medals. And they're the first to admit it. Now, I think swimming's got to figure out why it hasn't gained positively from home advantage, whereas we've seen incredible things coming out of other sports. And I think they're going to be the first people to say, let's figure out what's gone on here. But in terms of the swim tomorrow, it's going to do great things not only for swimming but for open water swimming as a whole. The Serpentine course is beautiful, and it's an open event, so people can go down there and watch. There's 6 laps of the same course, so unlike the road race and also the marathon, you are going to get to see the swimmers virtually all the time. So it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere down there. And the Paynes, they love a party. They're sending 100 family and friends down there to support.
Are they going to have their own sort of little mini stand, do you think, somewhere in Hyde Park?
I got a text telling me which tree they were going to meet under, so they have sorted it out. They will get the barbecue on. They'll probably get a few beers out, knowing the Paynes, and it'll be fantastic.
I think they might have a little gazebo up, don't you?
Yeah, maybe get that gazebo up. They'll be loving that. But it's pretty chilly in there, though, Mark. Important to mention, Kerry doesn't like cold water, and it looks like it's only going to be about 68 degrees, which is a little bit on the chilly side. That may work against her. And there's some other good quality people in the field, of course. This is the Olympics after all.
Let's hear about Kerry-Anne Payne's experiences then. She's had some interesting open water swims before.
One was in Melbourne 2007 for the World Championships, which was my first World Championships and second ever open water swim. It was in St Kilda, just off the beach there, and there was thousands and thousands of jellyfish in the water, all the size of dinner plate, and it was pretty difficult, to be honest. Took a lot of mental strength for me to get in there and swim, because usually the day before the race we'll swim the course once, one lap of the course, and then we'll get out, just final preparation, just double checking everything's good. I think I got in, swam maybe 300 metres before I completely freaked out and had to be pulled out. Open water really shows you how to be tough and how to handle all that kind of stuff. Another one was swimming in Hong Kong, absolutely beautiful location. But we were swimming past these big buoys, and when I asked what was the buoys, they said they were the shark nets, and we were swimming on the other side of the shark nets, which was a little bit... So I kind of made sure I stayed in the middle of the pack for that one. And then we had there was another one just down another river in China. Everybody keeps mentioning the dead horse. There was no dead horse. No dead horse. It was just a dead dog.
Wow, she's selling the sport, Steve, isn't she?
And now you know why I refer to it as swamp swimming.
Yes. I don't think anybody could sue you for that. Interesting, because she was a good pool swimmer, wasn't she? Did she swim 1500? Was that her distance?
Yeah, she swam 200 medley, 400 medley, and 800 freestyle. All those distance events, and she was very, very good. But you know, at that level, you do have to concentrate on one event, and she was clearly suited to the 10k open water. She does the she did this event in South Africa since she was 15 years old called the Midmar Mile. It's just a mile swim around the lake. She won it for 8 years consecutively, and obviously showed her promise of doing that.
Just one worry would be the fact she had to pull out of a race in Israel in the build-up to the Games. What was the problem then?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that we didn't actually get an official reason. I just don't think she was in as good a shape as she wanted to be to get ready for that event. My fear about tomorrow is, unlike the swimming pool where you have lanes, you're all in together, and the pack could go after her with her being the fastest swimmer. So she needs to get out, get in clear water. If she does that, she'll be a strong favourite to win.
Steve, thank you very much. It's a really great event in Hyde Park tomorrow, as the two triathlons have been. So if you're anywhere near central London, do go and have a look. The crowds for both triathlons were fabulous. It really was a great chance, if you haven't, to see the Olympics in your own country. So do that. Right, let's go back to Ali Eakin at the Riverbank Arena. Real disappointment for the women GB hockey players, losing 2-1 to Argentina, so they can't win gold or silver. And it's bronze or nothing when they come up against New Zealand. But first, some reflections on tonight, Ali.
Yes, I mean, it was disappointing from a British perspective, Mark, but I think there can be no debate. The better team won. I mean, Argentina were outstanding tonight. They put away their chances in the first half, and their defence was just immense. I thought it was terrific the way they blocked Great Britain. Time and again, they thwarted the attacks that were launched towards the circle, particularly in the second half. And GB, as Sean Curley, I think, probably told you a little while ago, they just seemed to lack a little bit of finesse in the circle. They needed to get those penalty corners for Krista Cullen. She's the one who's been scoring a lot of goals, and those opportunities just never came. She had one all night. They did pressurise in the back end of the second half, but they left it very, very late. And of course, with 15 minutes to go, there was one golden opportunity. Helen Richardson found herself in space with time in the circle and scuffed the shot well wide. It was one of those moments which you just look at and you think, well, that's pretty much it. If that doesn't go in, then nothing's going in tonight. Danson, of course, Alex Danson did grab one goal back with 5 minutes to go, but the equaliser never came, and after the match she was just utterly inconsolable.
No, we're absolutely devastated. The only thing we can say is that we gave it absolutely everything. We left nothing on the field today, and I hope everybody that watched saw the combination of 4 years of hard work, with dedication, and of course we couldn't do that without the support from our coaching staff, our family, UK Sport, National Lottery. We couldn't do it without them, and we hope we've done them proud. And I'll tell you what, we're devastated, but we're going to come out fighting. We are not going home empty-handed, so we will come out for our next game, and they will not be able to keep up with us.
The last 10 minutes, you had so much pressure, you created so many opportunities, you obviously got your goal back, but there was a feeling of just a little bit too late.
Of course, we had our chances. We had an exceptionally good game today. Argentina did exceptionally well to defend their D. They had the two chances pretty much, and they took them, and that's how cruel sport can be. But I will look back and there's nothing we can do about that game now. But as I said, we'll not go home empty-handed. We will get everything out tonight. We'll recover tomorrow. We'll come back and we'll be a professional unit, and hopefully that's what everybody will see in 2 days' time.
Well, you can hear just how much it means, just how devastating it is to miss out on a chance to win the gold medal at the Olympics. For GB's women, will play New Zealand for a chance to win the bronze. Right, before we go to the news, coming to the end of the evening's athletics here in the Olympic Stadium, Kath, the men's decathlon.
Gold medal. Is it sinking in?
It hasn't sunk in quite yet, but I'm sure it will later on tonight when I'm in my room staring at the wall trying to go to sleep.
It was billed as a battle between you and your US teammate Jason Richardson. Just how concerned were you by the threat from him?
He's a phenomenal athlete. You know, he's run sub-13 twice this year, and so anytime you race against an athlete that's run sub-13, only a few of us in history have done it. So you're worried sometimes, but you know, if you just focus on your lane, execute your own race, anything can happen.
The great American hurdler Alan Johnson won this title way back in 1996. How much does it mean to you be following in his footsteps?
It feels great to even be put in the same sentence as Alan Johnson. He's legendary, arguably one of the best hurdlers of all time. And so to come out here and bring a medal back to the U.S., a gold win at that, is nothing short of amazing.
I think you started hurdling in high school. Give us an insight as to how your talent was spotted.
Well, a friend of mine dared me to jump a fence, and my high school coach, that's what we're talking about. My high school coach saw me jump the fence, and so he was like, oh my God, you're gonna be a hurdler. And ever since then I've been hurdling. So I taught myself how to hurdle, and I've just been motoring away as we speak. So
and you certainly have, and you're one of 3 gold medals won by the United States in this stadium this evening, with Brittany Reese and Allyson Felix. How proud to be part of that triumvirate.
It feels good. You know, Allyson is a very decorated athlete. She has so many world championship medals, 2 silver medals from previous Olympics, and now finally a gold. I'm so happy for her. I'm happy for Brittany. I'm happy for myself. This is a big, big day for the U.S.
It certainly is. Many congratulations, Aries.
Thank you.
Well, that was Sonia McLaughlin with Aries Merritt, of course, who's just won the hurdles, and Lawrence Clark. I can't believe I came fourth in the Olympic Games. Thanks so much for your support. Kath, let's just tidy up the decathlon this evening as the events come to an end for the night.
Ashton Eaton walked past, and Ashton Eaton, of course, is now leading the men's decathlon after day one, Pugas, and he is just 67 points down, the American, on his world record score. So he goes overnight in the men's decathlon in the lead, 220 points ahead of his teammate Trey Hardy, and Warner of Canada's moved up. So we're expecting a special day tomorrow from Ashton Eaton, who overnight leads the men's decathlon nearly on world record schedule.
Thank you very much, Kath. Tony Livesey's up at 10:30. Tony, where are you this evening?
I'm just a few hundred yards from you, Mark. I'm outside the stadium, actually. It was just fascinating listening to Steve Parry talk about the open water swimming tomorrow. I've been open water swimming with Steve, and the one thing I just don't know how they see anything. My goggles were black within 2 feet, and he had to nudge me like a seal with a pup all the way around the course. I was hitting the boys head on. It's a really difficult discipline, so good luck to Kerry-Ann Payne tomorrow. It's day 15, Mark, of our 19-night odyssey, and the rot's set in. We're going to start the inquiry tonight. What's gone wrong with Team GB? Lord Co out. We've won no medals. Actually, even though I'm never afraid to panic first, we have made history today, haven't we? Flyweight Nicola Adams guaranteed herself a gold or silver in the boxing. Loads to talk about tonight. I've got a gold medal guest, Marlon Devonish. David Cameron today, and I'd love any teachers listening to contact me on this. David Cameron says we need a big cultural change in our schools if we're to build on the Olympic legacy. He says some teachers don't want to join in and take part. So if you're a teacher or a parent, what do you think of that? 85058 is the text number. We're also going to hear from parents of Olympians about their dedication to the cause. They need a bit of praise tonight. And after the US basketball dream team was snapped on the tube and the Rwandan athletes were caught waiting for a bus to Shoreditch in a bus stop, we want to know, when have you seen sports stars out of context? Text us tonight, 85058, or the phone number as usual. We'd love to hear from you, 0500 909 693.
Tony, did you see, I think it was a Venezuelan was on the tube as well, with his gold medal round his neck?
I didn't see that. That's excellent.
Try and get someone to tweet you that. I definitely saw that picture. Someone may well have it to tweet you.
I've got it. I've just seen it now. Yeah, there he is. Well, he's a brave boy, isn't he? Yeah, well, any sports stars out of context. Mind you, Mark, they're selling Russian tracksuits here. I could go on the tube and look like an Olympian, to be fair.
Yeah, but you might not have a medal
with you. A
bit
of tinfoil and that Russian tracksuit. Well, I can improvise.
Tony,
I deserve 15 nights of 19.
It's a personal best. It's a personal best. Tony's with you in just over half an hour's time. It's 5 Live at the Olympics. There he goes with Mark Pugac at 4 minutes past 10.
This is the Olympic Station.
An Olympic dream is realised.
London 2012
on 5 Live.
It's a great night for Team USA here in the Olympic Stadium. First, Allyson Felix struck gold at last in the women's 200 metres.
And it's two Jamaicans being led now by Allyson Felix. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price towards the inside is challenging, but Allyson Felix has the advantage. Allyson Felix, 3 times the world champion, is now the Olympic champion.
3 golds in total for the US this evening. Brittany Reese won the women's long jump. Aries Merritt took gold in the men's 110 hurdles. Russia's Natalia Anchuk won the women's 400 hurdles. Usain Bolt cruises through to the men's 200 final. So does Johan Blake. Lisa Dobrisky and Laura Waitman both race into the women's 1500 metres final. In the women's hockey, Great Britain lost their semi-final 2-1 to Argentina. The Americans, Misty May Trainer and Kerry Walsh, won their 3rd consecutive women's beach volleyball title. And coming up, Tom Stalker on the fight of his life at the Excel.
Remember, you can catch every Olympic moment right here on 5 Live and also over on our new digital radio station, 5 Live Olympics Extra. And if you miss it, catch up later on the BBC Sport website. This is the Olympic Station.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
I'm Faye Rusko with the BBC 5 Live News. Police have interviewed the boyfriend of Tia Sharp's grandmother as they continue to hunt for the 12-year-old who went missing last week. Stuart Hazel wasn't under arrest and has now returned home. More than 80 officers are helping search for Tia, and family and friends are handing out flyers.
They live in the community, and the community here is one. We all like to pull together in times of need.
The Chancellor's admitted that economic growth this year is disappointing. George Osborne's comments come after the Bank of England's decision to downgrade its growth forecast from 0.8% to around 0. Labour leader Ed Miliband says the government needs to change course on the economy.
It's not like there aren't things to be done in the country. There isn't infrastructure, housing to be built. So I really hope that over the summer, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor don't just come out and say, well, let's just carry on, let's just keep trying what we're trying. Let's listen to what the figures are telling us, what the people are telling us, and change course.
A South African man's been jailed for 25 years over the murder of Annie Dewani. The newlywed was murdered on honeymoon in 2010. Her husband, Shriem, from Bristol, is facing extradition to face charges he organised the killing. He denies any involvement. London 2012 organisers say their system for reallocating tickets at short notice has been a success. They've been holding discussions every day with accredited groups to find out how many they can put back on sale. Initially, 3,000 tickets were being released every day. Now it's around 13,000. And Great Britain have yet to add to their medal haul today, but the Sports Minister Hugh Robertson has revealed the 22 golds they've already got means he's won a bet with his Australian counterpart. Hugh Robertson explained what Kate Lundy will have to do.
Kate has to do the forfeit. Kate is a rower, actually, so she's going to do a length of the lake at Eton Dorney wearing a GB rowing shirt, and if I had lost it, I'd have had to dribble a hockey ball around the island on the Strand where Australia House is, wearing an Australian hockey shirt.
Hugh Robertson there.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
London 2012 with Mark Pugac.
So we're going to go boxing in a second. Just to mark your card for tomorrow, world champion Kerry-Anne Payne, as we've just been discussing with Steve Parry, goes in the open water swim at midday. It's a 10k race at midday. Britain's gold medal winning dressage riders are back in Greenwich Park. The individual event starts at 2 o'clock. Great Britain's Nicola Adams aims to be the first woman ever to win an Olympic gold medal. Her fight is at 4:30. Usain Bolt goes for the sprint double in the 200 metres at 5 to 9. And Great Britain's men's hockey team play their semi against the Netherlands at 8 o'clock. It's on Olympics Extra, which is right next to 5 Live on your digital radio. That's tomorrow night. Tonight on Olympics Extra, the Dream Team, the USA against Australia at 10:15. Right, let's go boxing now then. To the XL. Light welterweight is the category. Tom Stalker is the man's name. Lennox Lewis, Steve Bunce and Darren Fletcher are your team. Darren, it's built up nicely. A lovely crescendo to the boxing this week as far as the Team GB boxers are concerned.
Absolutely, Mark, and we've got a fantastic crowd in attendance here at XL again. Just on these Olympic champions and medalists that you were talking about popping up in strange places, Buncey pointed out earlier that the man that hoovers the ring here at XL is a bronze medalist from 1984 in Los Angeles. Billy Wells, remember him, the boxer? He's here hoovering the ring at XL between bouts, isn't he, Buncey? Bombardier Billy Wells.
No, he's in the ring. He's actually Bombardier Billy Wells. Now, that's a great fighter. He's dead. The man we're talking about here is Big Bobby Wells. It's okay. Listen, they're both big white geezers from London. It's easy to mistake them.
Lennox, Billy and Bobby, it's an easy mistake to make, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It begins with B.
So does Bertrand.
Well, we're just about ready to get Tom Stalker in the ring, and what a big night. Mark Pougatch described it perfectly, Buncey. It's the fight of his life, isn't it, this?
It's the fight of his life, and as we said about this kid, he walks in the gym at 18, he throws his first legal punch at 19, and he has to turn his life around. He goes to tournaments, he keeps losing, and he refines his act. And because he's a man, Fletch, and because he's a man, Lennox, he's learning. He's not those 16-year-old kids who think they know everything. So when he goes to a European or World Championships, when he's 26, 27, he's got his eyes open and he's learning. And you've had all those conversations with him. He's the guy that shuts up when you're talking.
Absolutely. He said for his first couple fights, you know what I mean, he was kind of not doing what he wanted to do. Now he's settled down. He wants to get in there. He doesn't want to punch himself out too early. Last fight, he felt he put a little bit too much in it. Now he's had time to rest, so we can expect good things and big things this fight.
He's the complete opposite to you. He used to sit on the treatment table or the rubbing table in the dressing room and have a sleep before a world title fight. Tom Stalker is an absolute bundle of energy. He says that sometimes he wakes up in his dream fighting. He's flailing around in his bed. I mean, this is a guy that they've literally got to tie down to stop him doing things, to keep his energy intact.
Well, some guys have a bundle of energy and some guys like to reserve it. But I'm sure he's moving around in the change room right now trying to get ready. Actually, he's coming out.
Yes, he is. Listen to the noise inside XL. They've not seen him yet, but he's going to be the first boxer into the arena. Tom Stalker from Huyton on Merseyside, from Salisbury ABC, the 27-year-old who will soak up this XL atmosphere and feed off it. Says he got a bit carried away in his first bout, carried away by the roar of the crowd. Rob McCracken says that won't happen tonight. He's got the experience of the big occasion now, and he looks extremely focused, Steve.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a different man. Didn't you think that when we saw him, Fletch, before he had his first fight against a really good Indian, he was he was hyper, but after it, he was relaxed. His shoulders were down, he was laughing, he was joking. He needed that 9 minutes of action, that 9 minutes of pressure for the release.
Started boxing at the age of 19 after problems with drugs and an arrest for stealing cars. He said it took him a year to learn how to throw a punch properly. He said the death of his nan also inspired him to make something of himself. And also the arrival of his daughters, who are here in the arena watching him, Ellie Louise and Scarlett, along with his partner Rachel, as Tom Stalker steps to the ropes and puts on the red head guard. If he wins tonight, he's guaranteed at least a bronze medal. He's ranked number 1 in the world at light welterweight, but only seeded number 3 here at London 2012. And it's really important he can keep that composure in check and not let the nerves and let the excitement get the better of him, as it threatened to do at times in his last 16 bout. He's up against Monk Uranchimeg from Mongolia, who's had a decent run to this point.
It's easy for you to say so.
Yeah.
In fact, we should make Lennox to correct us on the pronunciation.
All I'm going to say is this. Tom Stalker, there you go. That's all I'm going to say. We'll deal with the Uranchimeg, Lennox, as the night goes on. But when I try and say his name, I don't expect you as part of the commentary team to laugh. You might have to say it at some point as well.
I'm thinking you're going to have to say the boxer from Mongolia. That's the easiest.
The thoughts crossed my mind as well, I've got to say. Anyway, Uranchimeg it is from Mongolia against Stalker from Huyton on Merseyside. 3 3-minute rounds at light welterweight, and Uranchimeg comes out quickly with a quick fire combination to the body. Stalker in the red headguard and the red vest, all blue for the man from Mongolia, who's standing in centre ring and bouncing up and down on his toes. Stalker happy just to watch him for a second or two, try and work out what he's going to do. They've been watching tape of Uranchimeg because they don't know too much about him. He's a 30-year-old, won bronze at the 2009 World Championship, boxed in Beijing but didn't medal 4 years ago, and he should be light on his feet. One of his hobbies, they tell us, is dancing, and he's certainly moving around out there, in and out of range. Stalker yet to really set his feet and throw any punch of significance. Lands there with a decent right onto the side of Uranchimeg's head, but the Mongolian, Steve, has made a decent, confident start.
He's made a really confident start. You know, the word in the village is you really got to beat the British fighters, and he's going out to do that. What Stalker's doing is what Stalker does best. He's having a little look, he's having a little feel. May not be pleasing Lennox, but satisfying himself, and that's all that matters.
Uranchimeg slips over under his own steam. The referee just checks he's okay. 1 or 2 Union flags flutting around the XL, which is full and noisy as always, as Tom Stalker gets to work, the captain of the Great Britain team. 5 medals in the bag already. Nicola Adams guaranteed at least a silver. The other 4 boxers guaranteed a bronze, and if Stalker wins this, he'll be through to the semi-final at light welterweight, and Great Britain will have their 6th medal in boxing, their best total since Antwerp in 1920. Stalker just started to settle down a bit, land 1 or 2 punches, keeps flicking out that right jab, and he doubled his up there with a right hook as well, which landed flush on the side of Uranchimeg's head. Stalker settling into the round, but takes 2 or 3 decent shots there from the Mongolian, who's landing the better scoring shots in round 1.
Yeah, he is. That was a fantastic short left there, and it seemed to stun Tommy for a moment.
Stalker's got to up the tempo a little bit, not really throwing too many punches at the moment, sitting off a little bit too much maybe, and now he's got a problem with the shorts. Been a problem for 1 or 2 boxers during the course of this Olympic tournament. The protective cup underneath seems to be coming loose, and they've got to go back to their corner and have it sorted out. So 1 minute and 14 seconds of round 1 to go, and Stalker, you feel, needs a decent finish because Uranchimeg has landed the majority of the decent punches in this contest so far. The crowd are involved already. Stalker following Uranchimeg around the ring, but the Mongolians landing the better punches, and then they get tied up. Stalker caught as the 2 boxers were separated, and then falls short with a combination, but does start to let the punches go for the first time, and that brought the cheer from the crowd with less than 50 seconds of round 1 to go.
You get the feeling here that this is always going to be Uranchimeg's round. He always wanted to come out fast. It's down to Tommy now to claw it back over the final 6 minutes. It's going to be brutal here tonight, Fletch.
Catches Stalker on the way in, but Stalker repaid the compliment with a decent short left hook to the side of Uranchimeg's head. The Mongolian, though, constantly coming forward, letting the punches go. Tagged there by a right hook from Stalker, and then Stalker misses with another follow-up right hand. Both of them standing in centre ring. Stalker backs towards his own corner. Accurate shots on the counter from Stalker, going backwards and landing shots in the process, and 1 or 2 of those stunned Uranchimeg in the process as we move towards the end of round number 1, which was the Mongolians to start with, but it's certainly been better from Tom Stalker in the last minute or so. And let's see the scores. 6-6, he turned things around, Bunsey.
Yeah, 6-6, I don't think I can complain about that. Uranchimeg probably took the first minute and a half, Tommy came back in the last minute, so if it was 5-6 either way you couldn't complain. A few boos here from the Mongolian jibbers over here on the right.
Lennox, what did you think of it? Didn't start too well, Stalker, but grew into the task, didn't it?
Yeah, it didn't start too well. Stalker really stayed back and allowed the Mongolian to actually start the punching first, and when he shouldn't really do that, he should answer the question when the Mongolian puncher is throwing his combination. As soon as he's finished, Tom Stalker should start throwing his combination, but to hold your gloves up and let the guy hit you, it just weighs bad on the judges. The judges are going to look at that and say, okay, he's scoring points.
3 of the judges scored the round even. The judges from Algeria, Italy and Turkey. The Cuban judge scored it 10-5 for Uranchimeg, and the Korean judge scored it 8-7 for Stalker.
And we've seen a few anomalies with the Cubans, Fletch. We've seen several of them, actually. We could analyse this at another time.
Amir Khan and Barry McGuigan among the spectators here at the XL Arena tonight. Second round, 6-6 on the scorecard. Stalker in red, Uranchimeg in blue, and Stalker, who settled in the final minute of the first round, comes out looking much busier to start the second, and he lands 2 decent shots. The right hand in particular was a very impressive punch, and he's cut down that space a little bit. He's a bit closer to Uranchimeg, and he's letting the punches go with a little bit more accuracy. This was much better from Tom Stalker to start the second round. The Mongolian, though, will keep coming forward. He's an all-action, aggressive customer. Tom Stalker's got to be prepared here, Bunsey, to box on the counter-attack, moving backwards.
Yeah, he's going to have to do it if he goes backwards, but if not, he's going to have to take that risk, get over that front foot, keep that left hand up high and pump that jab out. He throws a fantastic short right hook, Stalker. It's going to be hard, Fletch. We knew it was going to be hard.
The 27-year-old from Highton loves to stand toe-to-toe, predicted a war against Manoj Kumar in his first round, and that's exactly what we got. They could have fought that bout in a telephone box, and they're not too far away in round 2 here. Minute gone. Aranchimeg caught as he comes in, still looking to throw the greater volume of punches, but Stalker's work is so much crisper now, so much more accurate, and you get the sense he's relaxing. Took him a while to settle, but now the better stuff is coming from the Great Britain captain, and he's landing with much more regularity.
Yeah, he's landing with regularity. He's dropping that left crossover, and he's moving out and throwing the short right, and Aranchimeg is catching him, and then he's moving away. Makes a lot of sense.
90 seconds to go in the second round. Decent combination by Aranchimeg as they were stood in centre ring, and then Stalker backs him to the rope and hits him with a short chopping left hook. Aranchimeg unmoved by it, keeps coming forward, sticks out the right jab into the face of Tom Stalker with the high guard, peeking out from behind the glove. Stalker moves away to his right. Aranchimeg follows him. Stalker comes forward, lands a shot, and then forces Aranchimeg backwards and lands with 2 more as well. Stalker getting better as each minute of this fight ticks by.
He may be getting better, but he can't pause for a second. I think he may need to go over that front foot because Aranchimeg is coming at him relentlessly, and judges notice forward pressure.
Every step Aranchimeg makes is forward, but that's a really good looping left hand from Stalker onto the side of the head guard. Probably the best punch of the fight. They'll have seen that, the judges. 50 seconds of the second round to go. Aranchimeg continues to come forward. Stalker with his hands held high, moves to his left, lands a decent stiff-looking right jab into the face of the Mongolian, and then skirts around the ropes to safety. Aranchimeg throws a couple of punches, they're not really landing, and then Stalker bends over, covers up, and the referee separates the boxers with 30 seconds of round 2 to go.
It's going to be about conditioning now. It's going to be about 2 years in camps every single day of the year, every single week of the year. It's going to come down to that in the final 180 seconds, Fletch, and I guess we knew that was always going to be that way.
Rob McCracken said he started well in his first bout and then slacked off a bit in round 3. He's got to do the opposite tonight. Started slowly, so he needs the big finish. 20 seconds of the second round to go, and he's caught by 2 really good shots, Stalker, from Aranchimeg. Comes back with a couple of decent punches of his own and then misses with a right jab. They're in close here, the 2 fighters. Stood in centre ring in the final 10 seconds of round 2. Stalker went to throw a punch, feinted and stopped, and then was caught by the Mongolian. The bell rings, and let's look at the scores. There's 1 point in it, and Tom Stalker needs a big last round. Aranchimeg 14, Stalker 13. It comes down, Lennox Lewis, to the last 3 minutes.
I thought Stalker did a lot better that round. He definitely ended off the round a lot better. He got caught with a couple of punches. Maybe the judges seen that, but I thought he did a lot well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lennox there. I mean, we don't play devil's advocacy here. He did, I thought, won that round. He did get caught a couple of times with big shots. Perhaps it was those big head-turning shots that influenced the judges.
This round, he's definitely got to turn it on and win this round to win the fight.
It's pretty simple, isn't it, Steve? 3-minute tear-up and Tom Stalker can go through.
You know what? Boxing's a basic sport. You train for 4 years. You sacrifice left, right and centre. You don't see your kids. You don't see your wife. You don't see your family. And it comes down to the final 3 minutes. This is it for Tommy Stalker. Make or break. Medal or no medal.
2 of the 5 judges scored it for Stalker. 3 of the 5 for Aranchimeg. Here we go then. 3 minutes. Tom Stalker has 3 minutes to maintain his Olympic dream. A big 3 minutes and he's secure with the bronze medal, and he's into the last 4. If Aranchimeg can nick the last round, Stalker's Olympic dream is over, and he comes out ready for business. The Scouser letting the punches go, but Aranchimeg isn't going to take a backward step and continues to throw decent quality shots of his own. Stalker started with a decent flurry, and Aranchimeg made him pay with a flurry of similar quality straight back.
It comes down to this stage here. It's not about countering, it's not about thinking, it's just about attacking and going for broke and leaving, as Lennox has been saying for a week, nothing in the ring when it matters.
The crowd are into it. Good left hand by Stalker. Wobbled Aranchimeg on the far side of the ring. Stalker doing his best work of the fight, letting the punches go. Aranchimeg just stopped in his tracks by the referee, and it breaks Stalker's momentum. Stalker sticks out the jab. Aranchimeg falls short with a couple of punches. Stalker looks at him, waits for the right time to throw the punches. Just over 2 minutes to go. Stalker cuffs Aranchimeg around the left side of the head with a right hand, and then they get a little bit tied up in centre ring. But Stalker now is winning the exchanges, fighting his way out of the clinches, and he looks to be finishing the stronger of the two. The Mongolian's given so much energy to get the lead on the scorecards by 14 points to 13, but now the better punching is coming from Tom Stalker.
That's quite clean, that exchange there, Fletch, and you again looks like they were clean punches. 2 or 3 combination. Lennox is drumming the table, and I think Stalker may have pulled ahead.
Lennox Lewis is throwing every punch with Tom Stalker in the boxing ring. He's back in 1988 in Seoul. Stalker throwing the leather, centre ring here at XL. 90 seconds of the third round to go. Stalker's got to win the round, otherwise he's out. Team GB is the chant in XL. Stalker goes back to work, but he's caught on the way in, and then he lands a decent punch of his own. The referee looks at Aranchimeg, and there's a problem, I think, with the head guard. He's sent back to his corner for some running repairs. The chin strap's come undone.
Let me tell you, he's lucky that he got that. The referee stopped the competition because he was hurt.
Hurt by a good shot by Stalker. Minute and 15 to go. Tom Stalker's future in the Olympic Games on the line. And he's looking strong, and he pushes Aranchimeg back to the ropes and let the punches go. The Mongolian, though, is able to slip away. Both of them stand face to face. Stalker with his back to us against the ropes, moving to his left-hand side. Jabs being thrown out by Aranchimeg, but not landing. Stalker moves forward. Aranchimeg hits him with a jab as he comes in. Stalker hits him with a decent left hand, then takes one back, then hits him with another good left hand. He's really accurate now in the final round, Tom Stalker.
It seems to me that Aranchimeg slowed up a bit. He's 30 years of age. He's getting on a bit. Perhaps he's struggling with the weight. Tommy's had a fantastic final round.
It's going to come down, though, to the last 30 seconds. Whoever finishes the stronger is going to be through to the last 4. And Tom Stalker's throwing the better stuff. Catches Aranchimeg with a decent left hand. The Mongolian keeps coming forward. Stalker catches him on the way in. Then it's Aranchimeg's turn to throw a couple of punches with 20 seconds to go. The referee separates the two fighters, and now they re-engage in centre ring. 20 seconds between Tom Stalker and a place in the last 4 and a guaranteed bronze medal, but he's caught on the way in. Lots of tension inside XL as we go into the final 10 seconds. Can Stalker finish with a flourish? Starts to come forward, misses with a jab, but then lands a right hook, and then he lets the punches go, and he backs Aranchimeg to the corner. The bell ends the contest. The all-important question, Lennox Lewis, has he done enough in the final 3 minutes?
Let me tell you, this fight is very, very close, and I felt that he really pulled it out in the end. You could tell that he wanted it, and he was trying his hardest to really win this fight. So whether it showed that well on the judges, we'll have to wait until the decision.
Bunsey, how do you call it?
I think Stalker's won that by a few points. My only fear, Fletch, is that when he took the risk, which he had to take, and you're sweating, I'm sweating, the big man's sweating, when he took the risk, he left himself open. So when he was caught, they looked like big punches. You get what I mean, don't you?
I do, yeah. I do. They looked impressive shots, when maybe it was because Stalker was off balance. You were throwing every punch in there, Lennox Lewis.
Let me tell you, every time the Mongolian got hit, I was counting the punches, and I was saying, okay, I know I would press the button for that. So if I was looking at that round and who won the most punch counts, I would say Stalker won the last round big.
Remember, it was 14-13 with 3 minutes to go, and it comes down to the judges at ringside. A man in a green jacket walks to the far side of the ring, and he takes the piece of paper from the 5 men at ringside. Then he'll hand it to the man on the mic, and here we go with the decision.
By a score of 23 points to 22 in the blue corner.
Tom Stalker is beaten. 23 points to 22. His Olympic dream is over. No doubt there'll be tears for Tom Stalker, who battled very hard in the final 3 minutes. But it's Aranchimeg from Mongolia who marches through to the last 4 at light welterweight. Tom Stalker leaves the ring. He's heartbroken, Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, I know how he's feeling right now. It's disappointment, but that fight could have went either way. I know my heart was with Tom Stalker, but you know, there can only be one winner in the ring, and this is what happens.
Steve, we've had lots of tight decisions in this Olympic boxing tournament. Some have gone for the GB fighters, some haven't. That's one that could have gone either way, but Aranchimeg has got the nod.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when they scored, the judges scored that last round, you can hear it in my voice, 9-9. I thought Stalker won that last round by a good few points, and therefore should have been given decision. But there have been some tight ones, there have been some close ones. I'm not going to use the word payback, but I got a feeling. My feeling is we deserved that one tonight, Fletch.
Mark, you've got to leave everything behind in an Olympic boxing ring, and that's exactly what Tom Stalker did tonight. He gave everything over 9 minutes. In the end, he fell 1 point short. He's heartbroken. Back in the dressing room, his Olympic dream is over.
Darren, we've listened to you and your fabulous commentary so many times, and you have said, oh, they've just got it. And in the end, you know, from where I am, obviously not seeing pictures, you're just thinking in the end, they can't get them all. You know what I mean? A close one is bound to go against them at some stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had the Anthony Ogogo decision, we've had the Luke Campbell decision, the Fred Evans decision, right the way through the competition, and other decisions involving boxers from other nations. It's such an inexact science, scoring an amateur bout and the way they do it with the 5 judges and only 3 scores actually counting at the end of the round, that it does create a situation like this where a tight bout leaves it very much on a knife edge. And I've got to be honest with you, I thought Tom Stalker had done just enough in that last round, but over the balance of 3 rounds, it genuinely is a fight that could have gone either way. You can't really complain at the fact that Aranchimeg has got the decision. You wouldn't have complained either if Tom Stalker would have been given the nod. They were 2 boxers committed to winning an Olympic medal, and they both gave absolutely everything they got.
Just before we go, Lennox, just a word about Nicola Adams, which is of course an historic run to the final, women boxing for the first time at the Olympics and guaranteed at least a silver medal. How impressed have you been with her?
I've been very impressed with her. I've been impressed with her poise, the fact that she throws great combinations. Not only that, she moves very well, and she looks like a professional to me. And, you know, she's really close right now. She can smell it, so I don't think there's anything holding her back. She's going to give it all she's got in her next fight.
Thank you very much, gents. That fight's at 4:30 tomorrow. Just a quick football line before we go. Very interesting that Sir Alex Ferguson has gone public with this evening, telling reporters that the club have made a bid for the Arsenal striker Robin van Persie. 10:30 then, and it's time to hand over to Tony Livesey. Tony, it's all yours.